Tian Ci, unmatched amongst his peers, has been defeated. As the god of Thunders Immortal Treasure opens and a traitor moves within the Jiuyang Sect, the final confrontation begins. Leave a like and subscribe to witness the culmination. The fight ended with Tian Ci's defeat. This was something that nobody had expected. After all, he was unmatched amongst his peers, and the fact that he was regarded as the senior brother by some holy sons and daughters in Zhong Province showed how frightening his strength was. However, he was defeated by a little girl today. Most of the people couldn't come around to their senses. Tian Ci was shocked by the outcome of the battle as well. People always say that there's always someone better than us. I used to think that I'm the strongest, but only now do I realize how ignorant I was. Tian Ci sighed. You're truly powerful, junior sister Linglong. Your strength and power are unparalleled amongst your peers, especially your phoenix bloodline. It's so pure that it feels as if you're the direct descendant of a phoenix. I can see that I still need a lot of training after today's defeat. Therefore, I'm going back to my place to continue training. I hope to see you all again in the future. Tian Ci greeted the crowd and flew into the sky. A lot of the people in the mountain had mixed expressions on their faces as Tian Ci's figure was getting smaller and smaller in their vision. They turned their heads to look at Linglong, and the mixed expressions on their faces grew even more complicated. Some of them were jealous of her, but a lot of them shook their heads inwardly. Although Tian Ci did not state it explicitly, they could see what he was trying to do. He was setting up a trap for Linglong. On Chuyang Peak, swoosh, the human paths record flipped open. Tian Ci's status. He was amazed by Linglong's strength. He was delighted when he saw Linglong defeating many geniuses in a row. Initially, he planned to defeat her and bring her under his command, but things didn't go as he wished. He was defeated by Linglong. After his defeat, he was disappointed in himself and felt too ashamed to stay. After thrusting Linglong into the limelight, he left. He swore to himself that he would come back one day and make Linglong submit to him in the future. A glimmer of light flitted across Jiang Ming's eyes, but it disappeared in the next second. He lifted his head and looked into the sky. He had a hunch that they were being watched by a powerful being. It was a shame that he did not know their name and had never seen them before. Otherwise, he would have checked their information through the human path's record. I think there's nothing I can do other than wait now, Jiang Ming muttered. Tian Ci lost, old Tai said, disbelief accenting his voice. Ever since he became a martial artist, he had never been defeated before. No matter if it was a genius, a holy son, or someone with a special body, he triumphed over all of them, and that fueled his ego. It makes him feel like he's the strongest, and he must be very upset after his defeat in Linglong's hands today. He seems like a gentle person on the surface, but deep down he's very prideful. If he cannot pick himself up after his defeat today, then this is as far as he can go. If he's able to walk out of it, he will reach a whole new level. At that time, he will become a very formidable person. King Fengzi commented, unfortunately, he's weak-willed. Weak-willed? Yes, you spend all day either working out or taking a lava bath in the mountains, so you're not as good as me at looking through someone. The power of darkness is one of the Daos as well. If you want to comprehend it, first you need to immerse yourself in it. But what about him? He's always gentle and covers all his sides beautifully. It's as if he has never made a single mistake before, and he seems a little bit too perfect. So how is this a genius who has forged an invincible faith? That's why I have been getting a strange vibe from him. So this is it. His smile isn't as warm and sincere as this boy over here. Yes. Jiang Ming nodded in assent. Many people were leaving Reception Peak, but a few of them stayed behind. Unfortunately, the son of Prophet did not get to form a list in the end. The sun was setting into the horizon in the distance. Linglong returned to Kuyang Peak. Girl, I'm sure you've heard of the Infinite Alchemy Pavilion, right? It's a sacred land in Zhong Province, and I'm a supreme elder of the Infinite Alchemy Pavilion. If you come with me, I can make you a holy daughter, and you'll have access to a full range of resources such as precious pills, Dao vessels, and many more. Old Tai said, I'm the supreme elder of the Yue Sect, and I say you should come with me. Although the Infinite Alchemy Pavilion is a sacred land, there are many of them in Zhong Province, but the Yue Sect is the only sacred land in Eastern region. If you come with me, I assure you that you can have whatever you want. Holy daughter, a full set of Dao vessels, you just need to name it, and I'll prepare everything for you, Qing Fengzi said. This is my home, and I have no intention of leaving, Linglong said with a smile. Thank you for your offer. They did not press on, just sighed and left. Linglong wrapped her arms around his and asked, what do you think of my performance, senior brother? Even though some of them are holy sons and daughters, they're no match for me. You're the most awesome, Jiang Ming replied. In fact, you're the best, and I'm a little bit scared of you right now. Are you going to leave me alone, senior brother? Linglong asked with a pout, looking just like an abandoned kitten. I'm just scared that you will accidentally kill me when you're hugging me, Jiang Ming said. Humph, I can even jump on you and crush you with my weight. Linglong harumphed. Haha, you're so funny. Hee senior brother, it has been some time since I last ate your food. So what do you want to eat today? Anything, as long as you're the one who makes it, I'll eat it. Alright then. Sigh, I'm really such a busy bee, Jiang Ming said as he rushed into the kitchen happily. In the next few days, more and more people left reception peak. Name, Lin Han race, human gender, male cultivation base, Dao Seed Realm background, holy son of the Yue Sect relationship, 1 innate talent, 10 stars, mystic ice body status. Although he was defeated by Zi Linglong, he was delighted. This was because he realized that Zi Linglong had mastered the Tao of Yang. After returning to his sect, he would ask an elder to keep an eye on the Jiuyang Sect. He was going to take her away when she left the sect and force her to help him in his cultivation. Standing on the roof with his hands clasped behind him, Jiang Ming looked at the figures that were leaving reception peak. He checked Qing Fengzi's information again. When he tried to trace him, he realized that he was at a location 1,000 miles away from him. Shh! What a shame, I can't kill him like this. Jiang Ming had come up with a few plans, but he discarded all of them in the end. He did not have the confidence that he could take Qing Fengzi down. No matter if he used his decoy to distract him or went up straight at him, none of them would work. After all, Qing Fengzi was too strong, even stronger than Bai Zizai. I guess I'll let him live for now, Jiang Ming said to himself. The remaining 2 people left as well. Shi Yao's status. She felt upset when she was defeated by Zi Linglong, but the negative feeling dissipated after seeing Zi Linglong defeating several geniuses in a row, including Tian Ci, with her powerful special abilities. She challenged Zi Linglong to a fight in the next few days. Initially, she wanted to make Zi Linglong submit to her, but she had long forsaken the goal and admired Zi Linglong from the bottom of her heart. She also had a slight understanding of the Tao of extreme yin. When she was leaving, she promised that she would come to visit Zi Linglong again after digesting everything she gained through her fights with her. Well, she's one of a kind, she isn't as arrogant as other holy sons or daughters. Jiang Ming nodded inwardly. In fact, he hoped that she would stay. After all, she had a voluptuous body figure, and her skin was as fair as snow. On top of that, she was gorgeous and pleasing to the eyes. Yang Ming was certain that she could add a lot of fun and color to this bleak and boring mountain if she stayed. Just when he was locked in his thoughts, Shi Yao turned her head around and a smile appeared on her face. She looked just like a blooming flower under the sun. She's really gorgeous. Jiang Ming's heart skipped a beat and then the corner of his lips twitched when he noticed the new addition in the human path's record. Shi Yan's status. When she realized someone was looking at her, she turned her head around and realized the person standing on the roof was Zi Linglong's senior brother. She wondered why Zi Linglong would have a useless senior brother like him since she was a prodigy herself. She felt ashamed on her behalf. Should I teach her a lesson? Jiang Ming gnashed his teeth. However, when he saw Mo Lin's status, killing intent surged in his eyes. Well, it seems like someone is asking for a beating. He initially wanted to fight with Tian Ci, but little did he expect that he would be defeated by Zi Linglong. However, he was not disheartened. He kept a close eye on the Jiuyang Sect, and then he noticed that the Jiuyang Sect was not powerful at all. After everyone left the Jiuyang Sect, he was going to ask his guardian to ambush and abduct Zi Linglong to become his cauldron. If he succeeded, he would become stronger than his peers. Jiang Ming's killing intent surged after he read Mo Lin's status. I'll let you live until nighttime. It's not the right time yet. Swoosh! The human path's record flipped. Name Yue Cheng race, human gender, male cultivation base, Dao Seed Realm background, first seed of Zhiyang Peak. Note, he's actually an elder of the Yinmo Sect. Relationship, -1 status. He was already taken aback by the fact that Zi Linglong could defeat Zhou Tian, the 18th prince of the Great Zhou dynasty, and now he was even more frightened after witnessing Zi Linglong defeat so many geniuses. He was worried that she would kill him in one slash if he busted himself. Damn it, should I stay here, or should I run away? Maybe I should turn myself in. Do I still have a chance to redeem myself? No, I don't. Should I tell the Holy Sun about me? No, it doesn't work either. He doesn't know my existence at all. If I go straight up to him recklessly, I will be done for if he refuses to acknowledge me or I expose myself. Sigh, this is really hard. Jiang Ming lifted his brows. He was going to leave him aside first. After all, since he already knew Yue Cheng was a mole, it was better to keep him alive than kill him since he could get some information about the Yinmo Sect from him. Zi Linglong threw herself at him after she saw everyone out. Jiang Ming opened his arms subconsciously and secured her tightly in his embrace. However, he couldn't stop the momentum and nearly fell to the ground. Before his back could touch the ground, an invisible energy barrier appeared behind him and saved him from the fate of falling to the ground. Lying on top of him, Zi Linglong asked, "Are you hurt, senior brother? Just like what you said earlier, you nearly crushed me." Jiang Ming replied as he tousled her hair. "You should be grateful that I didn't go all out on you, senior brother. Anyway, are you hurt? You nearly broke my spine." Hee, don't worry, I can heal you right away." Get off me now." "No, I'm going to spank you." "No, you're not." Smack. In the afternoon, Gu Hai returned and announced, "Ming, I'll leave the affairs of the peak in your hands. Linglong, you're going to assist your senior brother. What about you, master?" Jiang Ming asked in surprise. Are you going to discuss your life and dreams with First Steam Yin Yue? Ahem? Ahem? Gu Hao took a big gulp of wine and said, I've been busy my whole life. It's time for me to take some rest. Once you've ascended into the Purple Mansion realm, I'll make you the first seat. As for Ling Long, well, we need to give her some space and time to cultivate. So you're going to dump your responsibility on us? Jiang Ming exclaimed. I'm leaving now, Gu Hai said as he flew into the air. I'll leave everything here in your care. I'll come back from time to time, so make sure you clean my room every now and then. This old man, Jiang Ming shook his head. Is he seriously going to pursue a woman in his current age? Who knows? Ling Long chimed in. After that, she turned around and chirped happily. Senior brother, does this mean that we'll be the only ones on the mountain and no one will bother us anymore? Yeah, that's awesome. The joyous times were always short-lived. After they finished their dinner, Jiang Ming was rewarded with 1 month's worth of cultivation base. He then absorbed it into his sea of consciousness, and it marked the end of the day. Just like what they usually did, they sat on their chairs and watched the starry sky until midnight. You should go back to your room and get some rest. Senior brother, I don't need rest anymore in my current realm. Let me keep you company. If you want to cultivate, I'll be your guard. Be good. It took Yang Ming a lot of effort to convince her to go back to her room. At midnight, in his room, Yang Ming activated his formation, left a decoy behind, and departed quietly. The mountain ranges were shining beautifully under the starry sky and moon. At the edge of High Province, there was a valley. It was quiet there as it was surrounded by a formation. Although it looked like there was nothing from outside, there was a massive altar in the center of the valley. The altar was engraved with a dense amount of crimson devilish patterns as if it was burning. Mo Lin was standing at the center of the altar. Everything is ready, and all I need is a missing piece, Mo Lin said excitedly as he stood with his hands clasped behind him and looked into the sky. Even if the Phoenix bloodline cannot help me in my transformation, it can enhance my physical body and bring my strength to a whole new level. Once it's done, I will obtain the light-dark body. I only need to absorb Tian Ci and I'll have the power to conquer the world, said Mo Lin as a bright future was presented before his eyes. Suddenly, someone appeared in front of him. Who are you? Mo Lin shouted in surprise when he saw the man. However, he soon calmed down and started his attack. The altar gave off a bright red light and runes began to appear throughout the valley. Who are you? How did you find it here? Mo Lin asked, his face stern. I didn't expect someone could enter my formation without me knowing anything. Could it be that you've mastered the Tao of Spatial? The person was none other than Jiang Ming. After getting here, he teleported himself into the formation. To prevent Mo Lin from recognizing him, he even changed his appearance. Who am I? I'm the one who came to take your life, Yang Ming replied as he summoned the middle-grade sky-rending sword in his hand. He swiped it down and performed the Slice the Heavens sword technique, which was one of the Jiuyang Sect's special abilities. He imbued the special ability with the Tao of Great Demolition, which further enhanced its attack output to a shocking degree. Sword energy appeared and shattered the formation. The runes were falling from the sky one after the other, and even the altar slowed down as it couldn't handle the attack. Reverse Demon Mirror. Counter. Mo Lin reacted swiftly when he realized something was not right. A pitch-black demon mirror appeared from his body and emitted an eerie light. It was a top-grade artifact that could reflect any attack. However, when the sword energy fell, the reverse demon mirror was cut in half and dropped on Mo Lin. Bam! Light burst forward as the 9 layers of protective barriers on Mo Lin's battle armor shattered. He was then sent flying through the air with blood spilling out of him. He survived that hit? Well, considering that he has 2 defensive armors with his Dark Devil body and protective special ability, it's not surprising that he can survive that. Yang Ming was not surprised. After all, Mo Lin was a holy son. Not only was he equipped with defensive artifacts, but he also had cast formation on himself. However, he was still nearly reduced to a bloody pulp by that attack. Slice the Heavens. Jiang Ming did not give him any chance to take a breath and launched another attack on him. It slashed through the Akasa and destroyed everything in its path. No! Mo Lin shouted. Master, save me! Mo Lin couldn't stop the attack without his defensive artifacts and was cut in half. He was dead. Rumble. The altar crumbled and the formation shattered, causing the surrounding mountains to shake and crack as if an earth dragon was rolling on the ground. Just when Jiang Ming was about to leave, a palm appeared above him. The starlight disappeared and darkness enveloped him, plunging him into absolute darkness. Darkness enveloped Jiang Ming whole, depriving him of all his senses. The air thickened, and even the spatial nodes had distorted. Jiang Ming couldn't use his special abilities, and he knew that he was within the paradox enacted by a martial artist in the paradox realm. It was like a sphere or a dimension. Once one was trapped in it, it would be impossible to get out. A martial artist in the Paradise realm only needed to manifest their Paradise to deal with a primal spirit martial artist, and this showed how terrifying the power of a Paradise martial artist was. Great Akasa Formless Sword Chi. Jiang Ming lifted the sky-rending sword and formed 9 formless sword energies around him. The sword energies pierced through the dimension and ripped apart the darkness, charging toward the falling palm above him and resulting in a huge explosion. Light returned, the air was vibrating and all of the clouds under the moonlight were gone. The mountain peaks surrounding him had crumbled and the earth wailed. I didn't expect you to be able to control the power of space. It's no wonder that you're able to destroy my parody projection and repel my attack. A voice echoed, followed by the figure of a man. He looked like he was in his middle age. He was wearing a blood-red robe, and his hair was long and curly, giving him a wild vibe. There was a deep wound on his hand behind him. Blood could be seen flowing out of the wound, but it soon evaporated into the air as the wound was closing up rapidly. Who are you? Yang Ming frowned. The great Akasa formless sword chi he performed just now was in the second stage. It could pierce through space, and the fact that he could unleash 9 sword energies at once meant that he had reached perfection for this stage. It was extremely powerful, and no ordinary people could stop it. Therefore, he was kind of surprised to see that the man in front of him appeared unscathed from the attack. Swoosh. The human paths record appeared. Name: Guishang, race, human, gender, male, cultivation base, Paradise Realm background, Supreme Elder of the Yinmo Sect, relationship, -91 and 8 talent, 9-star status. After sensing that he had reached the bottleneck in his cultivation, he decided to become the guardian of Mo Lin, the Holy Sun. In the meantime, although the chance was slim, he did not give up on searching for the opportunity to advance into the next realm. He was observing from the dark throughout the entire fight in reception peak of the Jiuyang Sect. He sighed at the sight of so many geniuses, especially Tian Ci and Ziling Long. They were so gifted that he was envious of them. If he was as talented as them, he wouldn't be trapped in the Paradise Realm for such a long time. He hesitated for a moment when he received Mo Lin's plan, but he agreed to his plan eventually. He was going to prepare himself before he went to the Jiuyang Sect to take Ziling Long away by force. Just when he was cultivating, he noticed with shock that there was a fight going on here. He hurriedly rushed over here, but he was too late. The formation had collapsed, the mountain peaks had crumbled, and the Holy Sun was dead. Fueled by his anger, he attacked Jiang Ming. However, he didn't expect that the young man before him was able to injure him, and he nearly lost his hand. He was confident that this young man was an existence even more terrifying than Tian Ci and Ziling Long. He never expected there would be someone like Jiang Ming in this world, and he wondered if chaos was coming since so many geniuses had emerged all of a sudden. That said, he soon felt it must be the case and chaos was going to descend on this world when he thought that the 6 paths of the Sky Devil were going to emerge. The corner of Jiang Ming's lips quivered after he took a glance at his status. It seemed to him that the system was getting more and more mischievous. His status was very detailed, but there was a limited amount of useful information. While he was going through Guishang's information, Guishang harumphed coldly. Who am I? You killed my holy son and you have the nerves to ask who am I? Tell me your name, why don't you give it a guess? Jiang Ming said as he formed a seal with his left hand. A lightning bolt came down from the sky and struck the man with deadly precision. It was the 9 heavens imperial lightning, and he had comprehended it to the mastery stage. He was going to have a fight with Guishang to see how he could hold out against a martial artist in the Paradise Realm, as well as to have a primary assessment of his own combat power. Rumble. Thunder and lightning fell again. Ha! Petty trick. Guishang harumphed coldly. A ray of dark light shot out of his head and stopped the lightning. In the next second, Jiang Ming summoned his sword and used the Slice the Heavens sword technique against Guishang. You're a disciple from the Qingyun sect. Guishang frowned. In the next second, he appeared behind Jiang Ming and delivered a palm strike at him. The attack was soundless and formless, but it carried with it so much force that it could crush everything in its path. Swoosh! As if Jiang Ming had read his movement, he took a step sideways and entered the void to avoid the attack. You've mastered the Tao of Spatial, Guishang said, his brows twitching vigorously. Not only can you pierce through space with your sword energy, but you know how to teleport as well. None of your peers can be better than you. But unfortunately, your opponent today is me. Kingdom of Darkness, descend. Guishang's killing intent rose after he learned what kind of Tao had Jiang Ming mastered. He figured that he had to kill him here today. Otherwise, he would become a threat to him in the future. In the next instant, the entire area was covered in complete darkness, followed by an immense pressure that could crush the people within. Jiang Ming had already prepared for this. In the next second, an intense light that was brighter than the moon and whiter than the sun emitted from him. It was the perfect counter for Guishang's Kingdom of Darkness, which consisted of nothing but pure darkness. Not only that, but he even had invoked the light power of order. What? You've mastered the Tao of Light as well? Guishang exclaimed. His Kingdom of Darkness was shattered by the light. Fortunately, this was his parody projection. The power of his attack surged, and fought back the light with a flick of his mind. I can't let someone like you exist in this world. I have to kill you here today, Guishang hissed. Darkness stream, rumble. The power of darkness came from the surroundings and swarmed over Jiang Ming like a tidal wave. It even distorted the Akasa, and the spatial nodes were disappearing. Jiang Ming sighed inwardly. The power of light he released just now was just a rendition of the Tao of light. He did not know any special light ability, so he couldn't unleash the true power of light. When he sensed that the spatial nodes were disappearing, he knew it was time for him to get serious. Great Akasa Steps. Great Akasa Formless Sword Key. Great Akasa Divine Hand. Slaloming in the darkness through the spatial networks, Yang Ming covered the sky with his left hand and formed sword energies with his right hand as he unleashed all of his special abilities one after another. Darkness vanish. Jixiang disappeared and completely merged into the darkness to avoid Jiang Ming's attack. Shadow Clone. Soon Jixiang's clones appeared in the darkness and charged at Jiang Ming. Yang Ming took a step forward and emitted light into the surroundings, forming it into sword energies and cutting down anyone who came near him. However, in the next second he suddenly felt a force on his body. He turned around and noticed that there were 3 mirrors around him. All of them emitted a ghastly light on him, and he felt as if he had fallen into a swarm. He could barely take a step forward, let alone performing any teleport techniques or moving along the spatial nodes. The air thickened, and the pressure was getting stronger and stronger. Come on! Jiang Ming was on the verge of crying. 3 low-grade Dao vessels, and all of them are supporting types that can restrict my movements. Although you're younger than me, I treat you as my equal. If I don't kill you today, you will come and kill me one day. Thus, I have to go all out and kill you. Guishang said faintly, once I cast my parody projection, I can easily kill a primal spirit martial artist. However, not only does that not affect you, but you nearly shattered it with your Tao of light. This is something I refuse to accept. I don't know how many trump cards you still have on your body, but I must destroy you today to save me from worries. A sword appeared in his hand. The sword was sharp, and Jiang Ming felt a chill down his spine just by looking at it. It was even stronger than the sky-rending sword. Crap. It's a high-grade Dao sword, Jiang Ming cursed. You really are the most cautious being I've ever come across. I'm younger than you, and you should fight me with your special abilities. You shouldn't use your parody projection and high-grade Dao vessels right off the bat just to kill me. Damn it. You're even more cautious than me. The combined effort of the parody projection and 3 low-grade Dao vessels had successfully contained Jiang Ming. He couldn't even take a step forward, let alone run away. When Jixiang pulled out his top-grade Dao sword and cut through all of his special abilities, it further pushed him into the abyss of despair. Vroom! It went without saying that Jiang Ming wouldn't just stand still and wait for his death. His body began to enlarge, and his aura surged. He was getting taller and taller, and it only stopped when he reached about 999 centimeters in height. This was the threefold astral transformation from the Infinite Alchemy Pavilion. He had already mastered it to the 3rd stage. His height had reached 999 centimeters, and his physical strength had increased by 8 times. The power of suppression became lighter. The sky-rending sword in Jiang Ming's hand disappeared, and the middle-grade Dao Vessel Tyrant Halberd appeared in its place. In the meantime, the sword energy had already arrived right in front of his face. Bam! Jiang Ming hurriedly turned the halberd around to intercept the attack, but he was knocked back by the impact as well. Just as I expected, killing a genius like you is harder than reaching the sky. But no matter what, I must destroy you today. Jixiang's face was dark and he launched another attack at Jiang Ming. Have you never heard of the phrase, don't count your chickens before they hatch? Are you sure you can destroy me? Jiang Ming brandished his halberd and began intercepting Jixiang's attack. He was not using any special abilities at all. He was just swinging his halberd and fending off Guishang's attack with his brute strength. The Akasa crumbled, and Guishang was forced to take a few steps back. Again! Jiang Ming shouted. He lifted his halberd and started his attack again. Ha! What a fool! Guishang harumphed coldly. In the next second, he turned into a plume of smoke and disappeared into the darkness. The 3 mirrors on top of Jiang Ming began to vibrate while giving off an eerie light. Bam! The area around Jiang Ming began to distort, and in the next second, he appeared in front of a mirror. He lifted his halberd and struck down with a mighty swipe, cutting the mirror in half. What? Jixiang, who had just come out of the darkness and appeared behind Jiang Ming, couldn't help himself and exclaimed, he can cut a low-grade Dao vessel into half. Before he could retrieve the remaining 2 mirrors, Jiang Ming had destroyed them. Come at me, you booster. There's only one of us who can get out of here today. It's either you or me, Jiang Ming shouted, his aura surging madly, and it made him look even more imposing. He brandished his halberd and the Akasa distorted. All right then, I shall grant you your wish, Jixiang harumphed coldly, and then a black flag with a dense devil pattern emerged from the darkness. In the next second, the black flag shone brightly and several tiny human figures flew out of it. All of them looked very delicate, but their faces were distorted. There were a total of 9 of them. Primal spirits. Jiang Ming's pupils constricted. That's right, Jixiang's voice rang out. These 9 people are the martial artists and the primal spirits who have been killed by me in the past. I trap their primal spirits with my god subordination flag so that I can use them whenever I want. God demolition. As soon as he gave out his command, The 9 little human figures opened their mouths simultaneously and let out a silent scream. In an instant, the terrifying power of the primal spirit set off a frightening storm that descended directly into Jiang Ming's mind, trying to destroy his sea of consciousness and annihilate his divine soul. With these 9 primal spirits puppets, I can even kill a paradise martial artist easily. I would like to see how you're going to stop this attack this time, Jiuyang said, his voice thick with confidence. This is my trump card, and I won't use it until the last moment, so consider yourself lucky, kid. Afterward, he suddenly frowned. Although Jiang Ming was bleeding profusely and looked like he was going to fall at any moment, he did not seem like he was going to die soon. Could it be that he's protecting his sea of consciousness with an item? Jiuyang squinted and approached Jiang Ming with his sword pointing straight at the center of his forehead. This is the moment I've been waiting for. Jiang Ming cracked his eyes open. A chest plate appeared in front of him, trying to suck Jiuyang in with its terrifying suction force. However, Jiuyang was a paradise martial artist. He was able to resist the suction force. Suddenly, a figure appeared behind him. It was the decoy Jiang Ming projected with the human path's record. The decoy then kicked Jiuyang into the chest plate. Even the 9 tiny human figures and the black flag were sucked into the chest plate along with Jiuyang. The parody projection disappeared, and moonlight shone on Jiang Ming once again. Swoosh! He took a deep breath and entered the chest plate. The chest plate then fell to the ground while emitting a divine light. Inside the chest plate, as soon as he landed on the ground, he was greeted by a sword. Jiuyang was fast, but Jiang Ming was a tad faster. He waved his hand and deflected his attack, sending him flying away. Here is my world, Jiang Ming smiled. His face was full of blood, and his smile made him look even fiercer. The 9 primal spirit puppets were disappearing. They were not returning to the black flag. Instead, they were dissipating into the air. This is why I hate geniuses the most, especially a genius like you, even if I was one of them as well in the past, Jiuyang hissed. A bad feeling had been stirring his heart from the moment the chest plate appeared. Once he was inside the chest plate, he found that he couldn't activate his mana or use the paradise projection at all. When he tried to activate them by force, his sea of consciousness nearly exploded. Why? Jiang Ming asked. When he was attacked by the 9 primal spirit puppets just now, although he managed to prevent them from destroying his sea of consciousness, he ended up bleeding profusely. The silver lining was that he did not sustain other injuries anymore. Isn't that obvious? Jiuyang growled madly. He wanted to attack Jiang Ming, but he suppressed the urge. I used to be a genius as well. I was beloved by heaven and could always turn calamities into blessings every time. After that, I became stronger and stronger, but who knew I would run into a bottleneck? No matter how hard I train or cultivate, I just cannot make it into the next realm. I've studied many geniuses, and I know all of them are extremely hard to kill. Therefore, when I saw you, I used all of my special abilities and tried to kill you, but I still couldn't kill you. Damn it, you're just a martial artist in the Dao Seed Realm. But I've already reached the Paradise Realm. Dao Seed, Nascent Soul, Primal Spirit, Paradise. There is such a big gap between you and me, yet not only did I fail to kill you, but you also trapped me in this goddamn place. Damn it, why is the world so unfair? Jiuyang shouted. You're very cautious, ruthless, and you wouldn't hesitate to kill someone. Had you run into other people, I don't think they would stand a chance against you. Jiang Ming said, sneering sarcastically. Are you hopeless now? Of course I am. I can't use my mana, I'm not good at physical fighting, and look at you. Who would have thought that you have perfectly mastered the threefold astral transformation from the Infinite Alchemy Sect? Now that your physical body is so strong, how am I supposed to fight you? Jiuyang smiled bitterly. What do you want me to do to let me go? Kneel before you? Give you all my precious items? Make you my master? Enslave me? Can't you just say something? You're making me even more nervous, Jiuyang said. I'm going to die soon, so can you fulfill my last wish and tell me who you are and why you want to kill Mo Lin so that I can die in peace? Jiuyang asked as he sighed. Why do I have to tell you? Jiang Ming let out a cold laugh. Holding the halberd in his hand, he walked up to Jiuyang and said, You said you want to die in peace? Fat chance. Please, I beg you. Can you please fulfill my last wish before I die? Jiuyang said as he dropped to the ground on his knees. Jiang Ming was stunned. Now is my chance. Sky Devil Deconstructive Technique, Jiuyang shouted as his mana surged. He lifted his head and pointed his sword at Jiang Ming. At the same time, the halberd fell and cut him in half. Jiuyang was dumbfounded. He did not expect that at all. After coming to his senses, he huffed and said, I, a martial artist in the Paradise Realm, knelt and you still want to kill me? You deem. Bam. Jiang Ming delivered a kick at him, reducing him into a plume of blood mist before he could finish his sentence. Just shut your mouth and die, you sneaky son of a bitch. Name Jiuyang's status was sucked into an unknown dimension. He was filled with worries, trepidation, and apprehension when he realized he couldn't use his mana. When he saw his opponent falling from the sky, he tried to ambush him, But when his attempt failed, he felt hopeless. Knowing that he had only one chance, he fell to his knees in an attempt to distract his opponent. Then, he activated a forbidden spell to enhance his physical attribution and try to ambush his opponent once again. Want to ambush me? Fat chance. Jiang Ming chuckled as he read the content in the Human Path's record. Once Ji Shang died, the chest plate was deactivated. Jiang Ming grabbed the air with an outstretched arm, and Ji Shang's sword appeared in his hand. The sword was thoroughly black with 2 words engraved on the blade that read, Dark Abyss. Dark Abyss, huh? Jiang Ming stored the sword away, and then he took all the items out of Ji Shang's storage space. After that, he burned everything into ashes. After he finished doing everything, his body began to shrink to its original size, and he felt a surge of lethargy rush through him. That was a close call. Jiang Ming noticed that his battle prowess was not much worse than that of a parody martial artist. That being said, the parody projection was indeed a tricky skill. It could suppress and render a lot of his special abilities and power useless. Besides, he also noticed that he lacked special abilities no matter if it was the 5 elemental type or the light and darkness type. He thought for a moment and went out of the mana sealing chest plate. Before Jiang Ming could stand straight, he felt a strong aura coming straight at him. He lifted his head, and one person was looking at him from a distance. Jiang Ming was stunned. That man was none other than Bai Zizai, the Paradise Monarch. Although Jiang Ming had changed his appearance, the mana sealing chest plate was right in front of him. Whoosh! The Human Path's record flipped open. Name: Bai Zizai. Race: Scaled Dragon. Gender: Male. Cultivation base: Paradise Realm. Background: one of the 4 commanders of the Red Mountain Palace relationship. Minis 99 innate talent, 10 stars, pure Scaled Dragon bloodline. Status: he was delighted when he heard the news that Zi Linglong from the Jiuyang Sect had crushed many geniuses, and even the immortal fetus from the Tianyuan school was no match for her. He also found out that Zi Linglong had a pure phoenix bloodline, therefore he was going to utilize her bloodline to make himself even stronger. After all of the geniuses returned to their own places, he knew his chance would arrive and that he would have to act fast to prevent anything from going south. To be on the safe side, he sent the Bishui Sect to the Jiuyang Sect first. He even goaded the elder of the Bishui Sect, who had the same cultivation base as him, to launch an attack on the Jiuyang Sect. As for himself, he hid in the dark and observed if there were any martial artists stronger than him around so that he wouldn't be targeted. When the members of the Bishui Sect were heading toward the Jiuyang Sect, he noticed a terrifying aura coming from this area. After he came here, he found the chest plate hovering in the air. He remembered that the owner of the chest plate was the one who killed his lover, his son, and his grandson, and he flew into a rage. After he got closer, although the person that came out of the chest plate had a different appearance, he was confident that he was the man. He decided to kill him and obtain all of his treasured items before going to capture Zi Linglong from the Jiuyang Sect. Rumble! A veil of water appeared and swept across the sky, turning the entire area into a world of water. Paradise projection. This was the Dao of water. Jiang Ming felt he had fallen into the sea. Countless forces came from all different directions, forming into multiple vortexes and distorting the spatial nodes to prevent Jiang Ming from running away. Who are you? Bai Zizai's voice wafted into Jiang Ming's ears. His silver hair was fluttering in the wind and his shirt was as white as snow. He then summoned a sword onto his hand. The sword emitted a divine light, and it was so sharp that it seemed it could cut through everything in the world. Who am I? Jiang Ming laughed coldly. He lifted his head up in an arrogant manner and continued. Do you really want to know? Are you sure you can take it when you learn who I am? At the same time, he wrote the name Bishui Great Monarch on the Human Path's record using his mind. Surprisingly, his information appeared. Name Bishui, Bishui Great Monarch. Race human demon. Half human bloodline and half blue-blooded toad bloodline. Gender male. Cultivation base, Paradise Realm. Background: Great Monarch of the Bishui Sect relationship. -66 innate talent, 9 stars. Status: used to be ashamed of his blue-blooded toad bloodline. In order to make himself stronger, he annihilated all of the blue-blooded toads in his father's lineage and absorbed them through a demonic formation, forcibly refining them and enhancing his bloodline origin. Afterward, he formed the Bishui Sect. However, he was ostracized in the submerged dragon continent and could only survive on the periphery. Refusing to accept his fate, he made an alliance with the Red Mountain Palace. When the Red Mountain Palace approached him, they told him that the devil sects were going to reappear in the land of Shenzhou. Chaos would descend upon the world, and Eastern region would fall into disorder. The Red Mountain Palace wanted to dominate Eastern region, as well as join forces with the Yinmo Sect, one of the 6 Sky Devil sects, to destroy the Yue Sect. He was asked to lead the Bishui Sect to investigate the situation first. If they succeeded, the Bishui Sect would get at least 1/3 of Eastern region. He was tempted. If he could occupy 1/3 of Eastern region, with the help from the items he collected from the Yue Sect, he was certain that he could push his strength to a whole new level. First, he sent Haiyan, the elder of the Bishui Sect, to Hai Province. Just when Haiyan was about to take over Hai Province, the entire Bishui sect in Hai Province was destroyed in one night, and he was furious. Then, he heard that many people were coveting Eastern region. Bai Zizai, the leader of the Red Mountain Palace, and even Long Yuan had set his eyes on Eastern region. Moreover, more and more sea clans from the sea were quietly moving toward the coastal waters. After hesitating for a while, he finally decided to move his sect to Hai Province in Eastern region. When he was in Eastern region, he noticed that a big war was about to befall Eastern region. Several days ago, Bai Zizai came to look for him and asked for his assistance in taking over Qing Province. At the same time, they were going to test the reaction of the Qingyun Sect, as well as urge the Yinmo Sect to speed things up. When he received the message from Bai Zizai, he knew the chance had come. He led nearly half of his sect toward the Jiuyang Sect in an attempt to destroy the Jiuyang Sect. Jiang Ming's pupils constricted after seeing Bishui's status. Damn it, I just didn't check on him for a while and he has already prepared such a big gift for me. Submerged Dragon Continent, Red Mountain Palace, Long Yuan, Bishui Sect, Yinmo Sect. The entire world is going crazy. If you want to destroy the Jiuyang Sect, then you'd have to step over my dead body, Yang Ming shouted. Yang Ming did not really care about everything that happened in the outside world. Even if the Qingyun Sect had dominated Eastern region or the Yinmo Sect was rising up, he would not do anything to them as long as they did not disturb him. However, they wanted to destroy the Jiuyang Sect right now. Ha! You've comprehended the Tao of Spatial, so you mustn't be a nobody. Bai Zizai said, tell me where are you from? Perhaps I can spare your life. I came from the Tianyuan school. Jiang Ming said, smiling coldly. So are you sure you want to kill me? Tianyuan school. Bai Zizai was stunned. Then, he shook his head. This is impossible. There's no way you're from the Tianyuan school. You're much stronger than Tian Ci, and if you're from the Tianyuan school, then where is your guardian? Anyway, it doesn't matter anymore now. Since you refuse to tell me who you are or where you come from, I'm going to kill you now. Kill me. A card appeared in front of Jiang Ming. It was the 3-minute Extreme Path experience card, and he activated it without any hesitation. The experience card turned into a flash of light and entered his body, further amplifying his power to a shocking degree. Bai Zizai's face turned pale in fear. The one who's going to die today isn't me, you are, Jiang Ming shouted, distorting space. A speck of light entered Jiang Ming's body as soon as the experience card was activated. For a moment, Jiang Ming felt as if a human figure that resembled him had come to his aid across time and space. The human figure then became one with him, causing his power to skyrocket to a shocking degree. He could crush a planet just by lifting his arm and crack the ground with a stomp. He looked ahead and everything was clear in his eyes. He could see the flow of mana, the changes of yin and yang, and the 5 elemental forces in the air. He stretched his arm forward with his palm facing upward, and the chain of law that could cut through nature appeared in his hand. The only thing he couldn't comprehend completely was the force of time. That being said, he still had some understanding about it. It was only now that Jiang Ming understood what it meant by the Extreme Path Realm. Once a person had achieved the Extreme Path Realm, they would have control over the extreme force in the universe. The power of the Extreme Path depends on the Tao that I've mastered so far. Even the strength of my physical body has reached an unimaginable level. Jiang Ming was shocked. He was 1,000 times, no, 1,000,000 times stronger than he was before now. Jiang Ming only needed to think, and he could perform the great Akasa formless sword chi at its highest level. Jiang Ming really wanted to test how strong he had become, but he knew now was not the right timing. He turned his head and realized Bai Zizai had already run away. What the? Initially, Bai Zizai had been under the impression that Jiang Ming was just an ant he could crush easily. However, it turned out that Jiang Ming was much stronger than him, so he decided to run away. After all, going up against Jiang Ming at his current state was no different than walking himself into his own grave. Although he did not know what had happened to Jiang Ming, he knew he had to run away right now. Want to run? Fat chance. Jiang Ming stored the mana sealing chestplate away and leaped upward. He formed a seal with his hand and threw the Heaven Suppression Divine Seal on Bai Zizai. The Divine Seal was massive. As soon as it appeared, millions of cracks appeared in the Akasa. It seemed as if the Divine Seal was going to crush the Akasa and destroy everything in its path. Please forgive me, Senior. This is all a misunderstanding. Bai Zizai shouted after he was pinned onto the ground by the Divine Seal. While he was screaming, he unconsciously transformed back to his original form, a white dragon. He spat out a divine pagoda, which was a middle-grade defensive Tao vessel. It emitted a blue light and formed into a dome to protect him. Bam! The Divine Seal fell and crushed the pagoda. No! Bai Zizai screamed. There was nothing he could do other than watch in despair as the Divine Seal fell onto him, crushing him and all of his belongings in the process. Even the mountain was crushed, and there was nothing but a deep abyss left behind. Jiang Ming did not look at Bai Zizai anymore and leaped into space. In the next second, he appeared 10,000 miles away from the Jiuyang Sect. He looked toward his sect and realized that the formation responsible for protecting the Jiuyang Sect had broken. Other than Bishui Great Monarch, the rest of the 4 people are in the primal spirit realm? Very well then, Jiang Ming harumphed coldly. Then, he conjured up sword energy and sent it toward Bishui Great Monarch. It was the Slice the Heavens sword technique. It tore through the air and left a big crack in the night sky. In the distance, Bishui Great Monarch did not attack the Jiuyang Sect right away. After all, he was a parody martial artist, and he didn't feel like degrading himself by joining the war right away. Besides, Bai Zizai hadn't appeared yet, so he dared not to stand at the front of the crowd. This is the sword energy from an extreme path martial artist. Damn it, who the hell could it be? No, it must be Bai Zizai. Bishui Great Monarch's face turned pale and he soon realized what was going on. After all, he had arrived at Eastern Region not long ago and he doubted there would be anyone who wanted to kill him. Besides, the one who had invited him to this war was Bai Zizai, and only he would attract such a powerful being. Golden Sand Tent, come to my aid. Blue-blooded toad transformation. As he activated his Dao vessel to defend himself against the attack, he transformed into a big toad. His body began to glow divinely as he cast another defensive special ability on himself. In the next moment, the golden sand tent crumbled. The defensive special ability on himself was breaking as well like a paper. Dim you Bai Zizai, shouted Bishui Great Monarch, and then he was cut into half by the sword energy. However, it did not just stop there. The tremendous force contained in the sword energy then proceeded to destroy Bishui Great Monarch's body completely. Jiang Ming snapped his fingers, and 3 sword energies appeared. In an instant, the strongest 3 of the 4 primal spirits who had just attacked the Jiuyang Sect were exterminated. He decided to leave the last one as a practice dummy for the Jiuyang Sect. He did not kill the other disciples of the Bishui Sect as well. He glanced at his junior sister again and left. He was going to make use of the 3 minutes granted to him by the 3-minute Extreme Path Experience card. On Shuyang Peak, Zi Linglong appeared as soon as the Jiuyang Sect was under attack. She looked at her senior brother's room and heaved out a sigh of relief after seeing a formation encircling his room. I never knew someone would attack us at this time. The original trajectory is a complete mess now. Zi Linglong sighed inwardly. She had also decided that if the Jiuyang Sect couldn't get through this, she was going to bring her senior brother away from here. She came to the site and noticed that the formation protecting the sect had been destroyed. 4 primal spirit martial artists were hovering in the air, and several members of the Bishui Sect were casting their special abilities. Suddenly, she jerked her head to the side. Who is that person? He's strong, much stronger than anyone I've ever known. I can sense more than 10 types of Dao rhythms from him, and he has mastered every single one of them. Zi Linglong exclaimed. In the next second, sword energy appeared in the sky. The Slice the Heavens sword technique. But there isn't anyone in the Qingyun sect who could perform this special ability at this level. The man who had killed Bai Yu the other day appeared in Zi Linglong's head. However, this man was obviously stronger than the one who had killed Bai Yu. Then, she saw 3 of the 4 martial artists in the air explode into a blood mist. Who is he? The person who killed Bai Yu last time also used the special ability from the Qingyun sect. However, I don't know if he was there to kill Bai Yu or to save me, and now this one over here is even stronger. Is he here to save us? Zi Linglong's head was a muddled mess. Suddenly, she felt that the man was looking at her. The way he looks at me? Zi Linglong's eyes widened as her heart raced. Why does it look so much like senior brother? At High Province, Jiang Ming had come to the main body of the Bishui sect. All of you are going to die today. Jiang Ming raised his arms without any hesitation, and thousands of lightning bolts fell onto the buildings below, destroying everything and killing everyone in them. Next, the human paths record appeared. Ling Han, the holy son of the Qingyun sect, had gone back, so he couldn't kill him. He then looked at Zhou Tian, the 18th prince of the great Zhou dynasty. Zhou Tian was weak and even his guardian was just a primal spirit martial artist. Killing him would be a waste of time. Suddenly he stopped flipping across the book. This page showed the information of Tian Ci. He had no idea why, but at the moment he saw his name he had a hunch that he was going to become his enemy if he did not kill him now. Alright, it's you then, Jiang Ming said as he disappeared again. At the intersection of Eastern Region and Zhong Province, there was a deep chasm stretching 30,000 miles across with mountains extending on both sides. The roars of tigers and screeches of eagles echoed from time to time, and there were fewer animals here. Tian Ci came out of a valley. Well, it seems like today is my lucky day. I just came out for a walk to lighten my mood. Who knew I would run into an immortal's cave left behind by a parody martial artist? Tian Ci said while playing with a tiny blade in his hand. The sword energies the blade released from time to time were so powerful they could destroy a mountain with ease. He leaped into the air and stood on top of a mountain. As he took in the mountain ranges and the deep abyss, the fight he had with Zi Linglong at Reception Peak appeared in his mind. I'm an immortal fetus with great talent, yet I was defeated by a little girl. What a disgrace. Tian Ci's face sank. I should have taken my greatest weapon out and destroyed her along with the Jiuyang Sect, he said. But then he sighed. Unfortunately, Qing Fengzi from the Qingyun Sect and Old Tai from the Infinite Alchemy Pavilion were there at that time. Why were they so free? Did they not have other things to do? Why must they show up in a fight between the people of the younger generation? Tian Ci shook his head. I must work harder and fuse both the light Dao Seed and the dark Dao Seed to form the Dao of light and dark. Then, I'll ascend into the nascent soul realm and form my primal spirits. After I return to the school, I'll not come out of my seclusion until I've stepped into the primal spirits realm. He had a clear plan for his future. Just you wait, Zilonglong. After I come out of seclusion, I'll definitely make you yield to me. I want you to be my slave to make up for what you did to me. Tian Ci let out a breath. Suddenly, a storm came, and a human figure appeared about 100 feet away from him. Tian Ci did not know who the newcomer was, but he did not have a good feeling about it, as fear began to grow in his heart. The person was none other than Jiang Ming. Even though he had been 1,000 miles away from Tian Ci, he was able to locate him through the human path's record. Heaven Suppression Divine Seal. Yang Ming formed the divine seal with his hand as soon as he appeared. The divine seal materialized in the sky and even the night sky dimmed. Tian Ci opened his mouth, but no voice could come out. The descending divine seal was so powerful that it exceeded his limit. It caused the artifacts in his body to be awakened one after another as they came to protect their master. A pagoda appeared on top of him, a mirror in front of him, and battle armor on his body. All of them were top-grade defensive Dao vessels. What the heck? Jiang Ming cursed after seeing those Dao vessels. He truly is beloved by heaven. Very well then, I would like to see who is stronger, you or me. After that, Jiang Ming poured the power of the Dao of Great Decimation into the Heaven Suppression Divine Seal, further amplifying its power to a shocking degree in a few seconds. Bam! When the Divine Seal dropped, the pagoda was crushed, the mirror broke, and the armor on Tian Ci's body began to dissipate. As a hopeless expression appeared on Tian Ci's face, he exploded into a blood mist. It took Jiang Ming only one divine seal to destroy 3 top-grade Dao vessels and kill Tian Ci. However, Jiang Ming suddenly squinted his eyes and looked into the distance. He sensed Tian Ci's presence over there. Puppet substitution. He looked toward where Tian Ci was located and saw a broken wooden doll, which then exploded and disappeared. Who would have expected him to have such an ability to save his S? Just as Jiang Ming was about to go after Tian Ci, someone came. How dare you? How dare you try to harm the immortal fetus? You must have a death wish. It was a middle-aged man. He threw something into the air, and a web appeared in the sky. It covered the entire area around Jiang Ming as it tried to pin him down. Unfortunately, Jiang Ming was a tad faster. He located Tian Ci with the human path record and sent his decoy after him. Then he clapped his hand and turned it over. His palm was pointed outward and his thumbs and forefingers were interlocked, forming a heart shape aimed at the incoming person. 9 heavenly cannon. Bam! A crimson light burst forward, engulfing the net-like Dao vessel as well as the incoming person. The effect of the Dao vessel disappeared, and the middle-aged man was gone. Considering Jiang Ming's current power, even the most ordinary special ability would have devastating effects. Whoosh! The human path's record flipped open and the information about the middle-aged man appeared. Name Lu Yuan race, human gender male cultivation base, Paradise realm. Background, Grand Elder of the Tianyuan school relationship. -99 status. His time was drawn near, and he knew he had no hope in making any progress in his cultivation anymore. He was delighted at the emergence of Tian Ci, the immortal fetus, and proposed himself to be his guardian. He followed Tian Ci to eastern region but just watched him from afar. He was happy to see that Tian Ci was able to appear victorious from every fight he had fought. Initially, he thought Tian Ci could make a name for himself after defeating the geniuses in Reception Peak. Little did he expect that Tian Ci would be defeated by Zilonglong. He was furious at that time, but he sighed inwardly. People always say that there is always another heaven beyond this one. I didn't expect that there would be such a powerful being in a small place like this one. He felt that he should recruit Zilonglong into the school after escorting Tian Ci back to the school. He followed behind Tian Ci while on the way back. However, someone appeared and destroyed 3 artifacts of Tian Ci. While he was infuriated, he was stunned as well. He hurriedly informed the Supreme Elder in the school and went forward to buy some time. After watching Tian Ci being blown up and surviving the hit through a special method, he knew he had to step forward even if he was going to die. In the meantime, he hoped that the Supreme Elder would come as soon as possible so that Tian Ci could escape with his life. He was disappointed at the fact that he was going to die before he could see Tian Ci grow to his full might. Jiang Ming read and understood the middle-aged man's information in a second. At the same time, he learned that the Supreme Elder of the Tianyuan school was heading there. In the meantime, his decoy had arrived on top of Tian Ci. Heaven Suppression Divine Seal. This decoy had 1/10 of his original power. He flipped his palm and the divine seal fell downward. "Who are you? Why do you want to kill me?" Tian Ci asked, his voice desperate. However, he did not receive any response. Rumble. The seal fell and Tian Ci's rigid body began to fall apart. Just when he was about to explode into a blood mist, his forehead began to slip from the center. A weapon within his soul, unknown even to him, suddenly awoke. A terrifying aura swept across the area, and everything stopped moving for a second. The divine seal was still falling, but it had slowed down. Suddenly, a sword appeared from the center of Tian Ci's forehead. It shot into the sky, destroying the divine seal along with Jiang Ming's decoy. However, it did not just stop there. The sword locked onto Yang Ming and flew directly toward his soul in the sea of consciousness. "An immortal weapon!" Yang Ming exclaimed, his voice filled with trepidation. The luminous sword massacring everything gave Jiang Ming the jitters. He actually felt he did not have any confidence to take that head on. This only explained one thing. The long sword that suddenly appeared from Tian Ci's forehead was not of top grade, for he had already broken 3 of them. They were too fragile, nor was it an imminent immortal's weapon. Thus it should be a forged immortal weapon. Nevertheless, even if the weapon expended every bit of its power, it could only be on par with the imminent immortal level due to the absence of its owner. Thus, even if Jiang Ming was not confident enough to completely take him down, at least he could completely withstand the attack. He quickly came to a conclusion based on Tian Ci's status and the sheer terror of that sword. Bang! The space behind him suddenly burst. Jiang Ming took a step back into the void, trying to avoid the fury of the sword slash. However, the feeling of being targeted like it was a shadow never faded, and the tip of the sword was slashing onward through space, getting closer and closer. "I can't avoid this?" Jiang Ming was getting terrified. He quickly lifted his hand and slashed in the air, creating a void in between. The void looked as if it was near, yet it was actually miles and miles between them. Puff! However, the sword still penetrated easily. What now? In the blink of an eye, he thought of using the physical matter of the human path record to block off the attack. At the last minute, however, he grabbed onto the human path record, flipped it before him, and directly cut the sword targeting him. Jiang Ming quickly dashed up into the air and left. Meanwhile, the sword which lost its target had to go back where it came from. Coming back to reality, Jiang Ming rested atop a mountain. He called up his human path record. Name: Tian Ci, race immortal, gender male, cultivation based, Dao Seed Realm, background contemporary, senior brother of the Tianyuan school, Chenguang immortal mansion, relationship -97, innate talent, immortal fetus, a reincarnated wisp of immortal soul, status. He left the Jiuyang Sect after losing the battle. He found and benefited from the ruin of a parody expert. As he hurried back to the school, he was hunted down. The 3 top-grade Dao vessels were completely destroyed. How absurd is his strength to be able to destroy even top-grade Dao vessels with just a special ability. Luckily, I have a puppet substitution talisman to avoid the fatal attack, though all of my equipment was completely destroyed. He was ecstatic upon seeing the timely arrival of Lu Yuan, his guardian. He quickly retreated even further, praying that his guardian was able to hold the fort longer. Unfortunately, his guardian was instantly killed. He felt despair when he noticed he was being chased again. He was surprised at the sudden emergence of a sword from his forehead when he was on the brink of death. He sensed its dreadful aura and was bewildered at its ability to force back his opponent. He was uncertain if the sword was able to take down the enemy when he saw its return. Suddenly, information streamed into him. He learned that the sword was the mystical light sword. It was a true immortal weapon that had transcended the mortal shackles, where only immortals could truly bring out its power. Hidden in it were 3 instances of automated protection, and it had been used once. Why would I have such a weapon? Do I have a hidden identity that I do not know of? Jiang Ming frowned upon checking Tian Ci's status. He could not imagine how blessed Tian Ci was for not only having 3 defensive top-grade Dao vessels but also an immortal weapon. To hell with that, there's still some time, Jiang Ming thought. He recreated a clone that only had a fraction of its original power. He thought it would be sufficient. He projected his clone through the human path record to where Tian Ci was located. However, it was quickly destroyed. Jiang Ming frowned even more as he traveled through space. In the blink of an eye, he was 1,000 miles away from Tian Ci. A young man suddenly appeared next to Tian Ci. Jiang Ming immediately unsheathed his sky-rending sword and cast the Slice the Heavens sword technique. At the same time, his consciousness quickly skimmed through the human path record. Name: Yiming, race, human, gender, male, cultivation base, extreme path realm, background. One of the Tianyuan school's supreme elders, relationship, -82, innate talent, immortal, space illusion, god body, status. A former finest disciple of the Tianyuan school. He is embodied with the space illusion god body. He unintentionally consumed the ethereal flower, a type of immortal medicine, and it helped build an absolutely strong foundation. He started cultivating by the age of 8. broke through to the Foundation Establishment Realm, Core Formation Realm, Golden Core Ninth Stage, and Purple Mansion Realm at the age of 10, 15, 22, 30, and 31 respectively. He managed to form the Spatial Ripple Dao Seed at the age of 32. By the age of 68, he not only completely comprehended all branches of the space Sambodha, but he also managed to fuse everything together into a spatial Dao Seed. Before the age of 75, he defeated all holy sons, holy daughters, cultivators with God and saint bodies, overwhelming those of his era. He took down demons and dismayed many geniuses. He was the target of assassination countless times but still managed to pull through. In the same year, he met a woman and fell deeply in love, but his cultivation was still growing drastically. He perfected the spatial Dao Seed at the age of 78, broke through to the nascent soul realm at the age of 79, and then to the primal spirit realm at the age of 80. When he was 100 years old, he pioneered in the Paradis realm, creating a huge uproar. After he came out of seclusion, he overwhelmed everyone at his level and could even take down those extreme path experts, rendering him unbeatable. He broke through to the extreme path realm at the age of 120 but was backstabbed by his wife, who wanted to make him her servant. Even though he pulled through the whole ordeal, the whole incident left him with not only a scar in his cultivation path but also a scar in his heart. After investigating further, he found out that the love of his life was actually the secret disciple of the Yinmo Sect, who were trained specifically to seduce the world's best geniuses. However, his determination toward his cultivation remained unwavering, and she could not find the opportunity to strike. Feeling that her chances had been getting slimmer, she took action when he started ascending into the extreme path but failed. He retreated into cultivation to recover from the injury and rarely ever acted. He sometimes revealed himself in the school to check up on the disciples but was not satisfied with them. It was only until he discovered Tian Ci that he was pleased. After much investigation, he discovered that Tian Ci was not only an immortal fetus but also had exceedingly good fortune. He was so lucky that he obtained the top-grade protective body armor Dao Vessel and the Changlan Mirror by himself. He occasionally checked on Tian Ci with the intent of training him. He even gave him a top-grade Dao Vessel, the 9 reincarnation glass pagoda, to protect himself. When he heard that Tian Ci was out with Lu Yuan as his guardian, he was not worried at all. Still, in order to avoid any unexpected incidents, he gave Lu Yuan a token to call him immediately if anything bad happened. Upon receiving Lu Yuan's distress call, he quickly tracked the token down and ripped the void apart, only to arrive and see someone trying to kill Tian Ci. Enraged, he immediately slaughtered that person. Jiang Ming was astonished when he looked at Ye Ming's incredibly detailed status, which never happened. Moreover, it could be said to be the most detailed intel the human path records had ever produced. Jiang Ming felt that Ye Ming was a great enemy of his because he actually had immortal innate talent. Ye Ming was also a pinnacle extreme path expert, who was specializing in spatial Sambodha. His strength was no weaker than an imminent immortal expert. Nevertheless, Jiang Ming was not afraid. "How dare you hunt down my school's genius and kill my supreme elder? You are looking for your own death," Ye Ming roared. Meanwhile, he wielded his sword, slashing and dispersing Jiang Ming's attack. He then pushed Tian Ci to the top of a mountain located 1,000 miles away. Ye Ming waved his hand without even looking back. He invoked the power of spatial order and set a peerless formation around Tian Ci. "Great technique." Jiang Ming applauded with his eyes lit. Meanwhile, his body steadily grew taller until it was 3 miles high. His aura, particularly his blood, increased many folds that made it feel like the waves were hitting against everything. The surrounding area was at the brink of destruction under such immense power. Jiang Ming cast the great Akasa formless sword Qi at Ye Ming with the sky-rending sword. He then swapped it with the Tiran halberd as he lunged toward Ye Ming. At the same time, he secretly created a clone and projected it above Tian Ci using the human path records. It flipped its palm and cast the Heaven Suppression Divine Seal. Tian Ci heaved a sigh of relief inside the formation. Even though the elder Ye Ming is only an extreme path expert, he isn't afraid of any imminent immortal expert in the school. He is the strongest in his generation. It is said that his spatial Dao is up to the point of perfection. He can go anywhere without leaving a trace. Thus, he is unthreatened by any of the imminent immortal experts. "I'm safe because he's here," Tian Ci thought. But he suddenly felt uneasy. He raised his head only to see a giant palm falling on him from above. This is Elder Ye Ming's formation. How is it possible for him to infiltrate without anyone noticing? Tian Ci was beyond startled. His physical body was deteriorating, and his forehead split again, revealing the sword tip which neutralized the attack from the giant palm. The immortal sword glimmered in brighter rays, shuddered for a bit before withdrawing from the scene. On the other end, a void akin to a black hole was formed, pulling Ye Ming into it and trying to shred him to bits. Jiang Ming hastily raised up the halberd as he released a surge of tremendous strength. He ripped apart the night sky, shook the stars, and dimmed the night sky. Yet, right when it happened, numerous spatial doors formed at the center of the crumbling void as Ye Ming barged out of it, escaping narrowly. To think that your spatial Dao is not inferior to mine. How have I not heard of you? Ye Ming was surprised. Jiang Ming did not answer as he swung the halberd aiming at him. Akasa Gate! Yi Ming's pupil shrank as countless Akasa gates closely appeared around him, each with a figure of himself standing in it. This was spatial Dao at its pinnacle, yet it still shattered under the halberd's attack. Great special ability! Jiang Ming gasped in applause, but his eyes were locked onto Ye Ming's real self. Ye Ming's spatial Dao was formidable, but at the same time Jiang Ming was not at the weaker end of the match. 5 Elemental Dao, Yin-Yang Dao, Light and Dark Dao, Life and Death Dao, Reincarnation Dao, Demolition Dao. Jiang Ming thought and cast his Paradis projection. Jiang Ming's Paradis projection encompassed various Daos, covering thousands of miles in a blink of an eye, then condensing to only a 100-mile radius. As his Paradis projection took over the area, the space itself started to shatter layer by layer, forcing Yi Ming out in the open. How is this possible? Yi Ming sensed numerous types of Dao around him. Even with his Dao, he couldn't keep his composure as he was bewildered. Yi Ming had had to do his best to master the spatial Dao completely, even with his talent and wisdom. Yet, this person right here just conjugated so many different terrifying Daos, each Dao reaching the pinnacle of mastery. At that very moment, Yi Ming was surrounded and chained by numerous Dao energies which drowned him like a swamp. He shuddered, releasing bursts of energy. His forged immortal sword started to hum profusely, completely awakening to its full power. He slashed through the air, dispersing numerous Daos all at once. Just as he was about to struggle free, the tyrant halberd's attack was already on top of his head. He had no way to escape, for he was under spatial confinement, with the surroundings swamped by the Dao energy. Clang! Yi Ming kept his composure and slashed onward another wave to counteract the halberd's attack, but to no avail. A bright ray of light shone atop his head as a mystical bell emerged, ringing profusely and penetrating the 99 layers of space. It radiated continuous waves of mystical lights in successions, trying to protect him. Bang! The glowing light shattered, bombarding the mystical bell away. Yi Ming's pupil shrank. Never did he expect that the bell would fail to withstand even a single blow from the halberd. As he swung his head, the halberd struck his shoulder. Crackle! As the bursting sound from the attack echoed, a silver battle armor hidden under his skin surfaced with numerous cracks from shattering. The cracking sound from bones fissuring could be heard coming from his shoulder as blood came bursting out. Never-ending energy traveled along his, causing Ye Ming to tremble intensely. At the brink of death, he unleashed all of his strength to withstand the damage. Yang Ming's tyrant halberd suddenly rebounded and burst into pieces, unable to withstand the sheer strength of Ye Ming's power. Jiang Ming was about to continue with his barrage of attacks when his pupil shrunk suddenly. He then dashed in retreat into the void. The mystical light sword chased Jiang Ming into the void, hunting him down. Yi Ming exhaled a breath of rotten breath as he was startled over the whole ordeal. That was too close to death. How can there be such a terrifying existence in the human world? Yi Ming was frightened. He recalled the moment he reached this place and saw a sword merging into Tian Ci's forehead. He was already startled when it happened. That power was something that had transcended the normal human world. At first glance, he could already tell that the weapon was an immortal weapon, an authentic immortal weapon, not some forged imitation. He was perplexed, wondering how Tian Ci owned such an immortal weapon. Puzzled as he was, yet another abnormal existence appeared before him. I even heard that Tian Ci was defeated in battle by some 10-year-ish little girl. Sigh? Baffled, Yi Ming felt as though he had really grown old. Reaching up into the void, he took a bottle of potion out of the bright light from thin air. Upon consuming the potion, his shoulder that was supposed to be nearly obliterated quickly started to heal. The mystical bell came flying back to him with a simple thought. Unexpectedly, the radiance on it had dimmed down. Yi Ming put the mystical bell away and leaped high into the air, standing in midair. Behind him, layers and layers of shadow voids emerged as he was prepared for the worst. Suddenly, the mystical light sword that was hunting Jiang Ming down turned around abruptly, slitting into the huge formation far away. Yi Ming thought, how did he manage to infiltrate the formation to assassinate Tian Ci and evoke the immortal weapon again? I myself formed the formation, and yet I never sensed him penetrating into it. He felt the whole ordeal was becoming more and more out of hand, forming a clone to assassinate Tian Ci during our battle without me ever knowing. I can no longer hold back my curse. Fuck. As the whole thing ran through his mind, an array of light suddenly came out of his body, forming a silhouette of himself. It was projected into the formation directly, arriving by Tian Ci's side. At that moment, Jiang Ming leaped out of the void once again, launching his attacks. Die. Jiang Ming never uttered a word, but he conjugated the great Akasa divine hand with a wave of his hand, encompassing the whole region and confining the space itself. The whole area was confined under the divine hand, making it impossible for the enemy to hide or escape. Whoosh! Yi Ming's figure swayed once again, this time creating 9,999 Akasa gates. He leaped into one of them, keeping himself out of reality by staying inside the pocket of space. Even if more than half of the Akasa gates were destroyed by Jiang Ming, more than hundreds of them were left. Yi Ming said, I've merged into the void, constantly existing in thousands and thousands of spatial nodes ever moving in this 10,000-mile radius. Unless you can completely seal off this whole area here and force yourself through layers of space, you won't be able to lay a finger on me. You possess the power to penetrate through many, but I've mastered the essence of space, making me unparalleled at dodging and escaping. Forced by Jiang Ming, Ye Ming could only use this plan. The truth was, it was an act of desperation. Since Ye Ming could not fight Jiang Ming head-on, he could only stall for time. Your skills are indeed impeccable, but Jiang Ming smiled in reply, but you were never my target in the first place. Ye Ming suddenly looked over to the formation afar. Once again, hundreds and thousands of spatial gates emerged, each with a figure in it, looking in the same direction and radiating a haunting feeling. Inside the formation, two of Jiang Ming's clones emerged, one fending against Ye Ming's clones and the other trying to cut down Tian Ci again. Boom! The formation completely burst open almost immediately. Jiang Ming's clones were quickly taken care of by the mystical light sword. Damn it, I've used up all 3 times. Tian Ci was beyond terrified, yet he could not do anything. There was no use escaping while facing such impeccable existence. Unless he managed to escape into the Tianyuan school, he would be hunted down in just a matter of seconds. He could only put all his hopes on Yi Ming. On the other side, a part of Jiang Ming's consciousness was on the human path record. Person, Yi Ming's status, currently fighting against a formidable opponent that is adept in many different Daos. Truly incredible. In the Dao realm, this person completely overwhelms me to the point that I cannot even fight back. This person is too strong, to the point that I doubt he is even human. Tian Ci's immortal weapon emerged and fended off the opponent upon sensing that he was almost taken down. In a blink of an eye pertaining to the current situation, he could only think of using Akasa Gate to trade attacks, teleporting back and forth hundreds and thousands of miles, not giving the opponent any chances of subjugating him. He needed to spare a portion of energy to protect Tian Ci simultaneously. After Jiang Ming finished reading, he thought, adapt as you wish, for I have already completely seen through you. Prance around anywhere you want, you won't be able to escape from my hand. Perceiving the future and anticipating the opponent's moves, it is as simple as that. Upon seeing the mystical light sword launching at him again, Jiang Ming leaped into the void again. Yi Ming wanted to stop him from escaping, but he felt the sword's attack would target him if he were to be near the sword. Yi Ming was rather speechless. Within the void, Jiang Ming held the human path record in his hand. A simple flick and he could already disjoin the mystical light sword from locking on. The mystical light sword lost its target and swirled around for a while before heading back to where it came from. Whoosh! Yang Ming called up the human path record. Person, Tian Ci status. God, who is this person? Why is he trying to kill me? Why can't my mystical light sword kill him? Why can't Supreme Elder Yi Ming protect me? I'm screwed. This is already the 3rd time the mystical light sword launched its attack. If it returns to me, its power will completely cool down, and there will not be any auto-protection ability left. I can only wait until I have fully mastered elementary control before I can use it again. The mystical light sword has returned. I am done for. Damn this Supreme Elder Yi Ming. Isn't he the legendary impeccable one? How can he be so weak? What about the old ones from the school? Why haven't they arrived? At that moment, Tian Ci noticed in front of him 2 human figures. The 2 human figures that literally brought him into despair this time. Jiang Ming conjured 2 clones, sending them over using the human path record as a guide. One of them caught on to the returning mystical light sword while the other charged up for Heaven Suppression Divine Seal. Just when everyone thought he was going to be successful, the space warped suddenly. 2 Akasa gates appeared. 2 hands reached out of the Akasa gates each, with the palms smacking the 2 clones. At the same time, another clone emerged behind the 2 clones. Although all of them were dispersed, it was that slight break of time that changed everything. The first clone managed to grab a hold of the mystical light sword but was quickly destroyed by the sheer formidable power in it. On the other side, as the Heaven Suppression Divine Seal almost landed its killing blow onto Tian Ci, the space suddenly shattered and an old skinny skeleton-like hand appeared, dispersing the clone. However, the sheer power bursting out gave Tian Ci's whole body a concussion, nearly bursting his body into piles of blood. How dare you lay your hands on the disciples of my school? A deep and decrepit voice was heard transmitting through layers of space filled with anger. Such tremendous strength felt as if it could overtake Yi Ming. Do you think your school is invincible? Jiang Ming huffed, and even more clones emerged densely around Tian Ci. The numbers were no less than tens of thousands taking over the area. How can he conjure up so many of them? Exclaimed Yi Ming. He quickly leaped to Tian Ci's side and marked a boundary with a wave of his arm, creating a defensive barrier. At the same time, he splashed nature fluid onto Tian Ci's body, which seeped in and rejuvenated his vitality that was almost snuffed out. When Jiang Ming's clone was destroyed upon grabbing onto the sword, he could feel that the mystical light sword was already very weak. His true self could surely handle its remaining power. Knew you were going to try and snatch it. Die. The void suddenly cracked open right next to the mystical light sword. An old man with a long sword at hand dashed out, slashing at Jiang Ming's true body. As many clones as may be, as long as I can lock onto you, the spell will break easily. Bang! A loud explosion echoed as the light from the sword split apart heaven and earth. Jiang Ming frowned. He knew a person like Tian Ci would be very hard to kill, but never expected it to be this hard. Tian Ci had 3 top-grade Dao vessels for protection, a puppet substitution talisman, 3 times protection from the mystical light sword, and the protection from a paradis guardian. After killing Lu Yuan, the guardian, Ye Ming made his entrance. He was an extreme path expert who used to be an overwhelming genius from the past. As Ye Ming had also completely mastered the spatial Dao, he could challenge an imminent immortal expert. Hence he was indeed a terrifying character that stood atop the pinnacle of the world. Even so, Tian Ci could have been completely taken down with the use of the human path record's layers of calculations. But at the last moment, yet another peerless expert emerged. The aura from the person itself gave people a sense he had gone through the limits of many Daos, sending chills down people's spines. This man was obviously not an extreme path expert, but one level above, an imminent immortal expert. An imminent immortal could be labeled as a pseudo-immortal or a para-immortal. This was akin to the immortal of the mortal world. In other words, an imminent immortal was half a step beyond the mortal world, a real transcendence. It never crossed Jiang Ming's mind that the whole ordeal would invoke the appearance of such a formidable existence. It did not matter if Tian Ci was a distinctive genius, he was just a small character in the Dao Seed Realm. Having a paradis protector was already absurd. Then one of the extreme path experts joined the fray, and now even one of the imminent immortal experts appeared. Damn. Was he God's favorite? So what if he is in the imminent immortal realm? Jiang Ming grabbed onto the mystical light weapon in one hand while he clenched the other hand into a fist and charged onward. His fist broke through the void itself, creating a dark hole in the process. Even the sky itself started to tremble and warp. Its strength was beyond imagination. Bang! A clashing of swords sent the old man flying backward. As he was pushed back with tremendous force, he left a huge deep trail and shattered countless mountain peaks along the way. By the time he came to a stop, he was already thousands of miles away. Such power, exclaimed the old man. You are only of the extreme path realm, yet you managed to disperse such formidable strength? Is this because of absolute physique, topping off with the threefold astral transformation from the infinite alchemy pavilion? So what if it's true? Try immortal slash. The old man simply twisted his neck and unleashed a formidable special ability. The luminous glow from its slash was akin to riding the waves of the galaxy, cutting through layers of space. Jiang Ming was pushed back by it, but only a few hundreds of miles. In his grip, the mystical light sword was violently shaking as it tried to break free from him. Much to its dismay, after using up all 3 instances of power endowed to protect its master, how could it escape with only its own spiritual power left? Jiang Ming tried to keep the sword back in his spatial ring, but the ring could not contain it. He could not contain the sword in his body without refining it either. Just when Jiang Ming was in a dilemma, he suddenly looked at the human path record. He had a sudden moment of inspiration and inserted the long sword straight into the human path record. To his surprise, the sword went right into it. Yang Ming's eyes gleamed brightly. Among one of its pages, the symbol of a long sword appeared with a description. Mystical weapon, mysterious light sword, marked by an immortal being. When activated, it brings forth the strength of an immortal being. Side note 1. If used not by the owner, the person will be killed by the immortal being's power. Side note 2. Mana can be inserted into the weapon to cleanse the sword. Jiang Ming's mouth twitched upon reading the description. This was a time bomb waiting to go off if not for the human path record. If he activated the sword and the power of the immortal being trying to cut himself descended, that would have been a headache. He punched forward with both his fists without hesitation and shattered the 3 sword attacks just like that, leaving only 3 white marks on his fists. Is that all? Yang Ming scowled as he launched himself at Tian Ci. Yi Ming's eyes gleamed. He wanted to re-challenge Yang Ming, but he knew it was not the right time. He quickly grabbed Tian Ci, who had partially recovered, entered the void, and hurried back to the Tian Yuan school. Take that again. The old man's attack had already come flying toward him. This time, the attack was wrapped in a blue aura. Jiang Ming suddenly felt uneasy and quickly shifted his body, sidestepping into the air to avoid the attack. You insidious old thing. Jiang Ming cursed at the old man. Name, Lu Changkong race. Human gender, male cultivation base. Imminent immortal realm background. One of the supreme elders of the Tian Yuan school relationship. -81 innate talent, immortal sword skeletal body status. One of the strongest martial artists in the Tian Yuan school. He was once a person of influence back in the days, loathed evils, and was the main force to subjugate the demons. As the demon's force weakened, he retreated in hiding to mediate and comprehend the Tao. During meditation, he got a message from Ye Ming. He ripped apart space and came, saving Tian Ci in the nick of time. When Ye Ming informed him of the whole ordeal telepathically, he was shocked and acted without hesitation. After all, as a supreme elder of the Tianyuan school, how could he allow his school's disciple to be bullied by others? Only he could be the one bullying the disciples. The opponent can even withstand the attack from my forged immortal weapon. His absolute physique and his formidable power are unheard of. There is only one way to tackle such a person: to permeate dark blue Archeron water into the sword's light, corroding his body, eroding his blood vessels, and subjugating him. We will bring him back to the school and investigate further on his background. If he is not of the Devil Sect, he can still be saved. If not for reading the opponent's history, Jiang Ming would have fallen in his scheme. After all, his physical special ability was not equipped with any special spell. I should go now, thought Jiang Ming as he lurched into the void. Trying to escape? Liu Changkong's sword attack came flying at him, heading straight into the void. Yang Ming turned over and launched the great Akasa formless sword Qi. Used to its limits, the middle-graded Dao vessel shattered into pieces. 9 instances of sword Qi came rushing at Liu Changkong, causing the void to crumble and submerging him in it. Meanwhile, Jiang Ming hid his aura with the help of the system, and used the human path records to cut off the enemy's space lock as he weaved through the layers of space. After circling around a couple of times, he finally returned to Quyang Peak quietly, heading back into his room. 3 minutes, with only about 15 seconds left. Yang Ming was constantly keeping time. It was then that he finally heaved out a breath of relief. He then scanned through the sect with his consciousness and found out that the sect was still at war. Gu Hai had returned to Quyang Peak for support. Meanwhile, Ziling Long with her formidable strength weaved back and forth, slaughtering the nascent soul experts from the Bishui sect. The enemies of Quyang Peak were decimated regardless of their strength. After getting rid of the last nascent soul expert, she continued launching attacks onto the last primal spirit expert that the sect master deterred. The whole situation has been set, Jiang Ming thought, and no longer paid attention. He did not try to invoke any special ability but took the chance to allow his mind to slowly sink into the heavens and earth, assimilating the power of time and the wonders of karma. This time he could really feel the Symboda in depth, especially on the Karma Dao. In order to kill Mo Lin, he had lured out Bai Zizai and also the Paradise Bishui Great Monarch. He had had no choice but to invoke the 3-minute Extreme Path experience card. After killing the enemy by force, he continued to hunt down Tian Ci. As a result, he had elicited Ye Ming and Liu Changkong. The whole ordeal was so entangled it was hard to explain. This, however, was also a form of karma. Yang Ming now possessed the power to suppress 1,000 Daos and had Dharma at sight to comprehend its essence slowly. Just like that, the wonders of karma had slowly stepped into the correct doorway. Yang Ming shifted his focus, slowly unraveling the enigma of time. If he manages to also step into the pathway toward the Time Dao, his Symboda would truly be perfected. As for the rest of the Daos, it was only a matter of time before completion. However, even with powers able to suppress 1,000 Daos, or even the ability to interrupt the cycle of orders, the power of time still remained vague. It was like a flower reflected in a mirror, a reflection of the moon by the waters, very hard to see time for what it was truly. In battles, fighters traded blows at a swift pace, but time moved very slowly. Yet, during enlightenment, time passed swiftly. Jiang Ming suddenly trembled, and his face turned pale. Immense power was drawn away from him. The eyes which peered into heaven and earth were enveloped by countless layers of curtains that impeded the essence of heaven and earth. Even the heart itself seemed to have become dimmer. The feeling of immense weakness came surging at him, leaving Jiang Ming feeling as if he had grown very old, unable to lift even a finger. In actuality, he could still shatter a mountain with his bare hands. But when compared to before, the difference was too big. He was unable to acclimate yet. Releasing a breath filled with impurities, Jiang Ming closed his eyes as he started to readjust himself. Inside the Jiuyang Sect, they landed on top of Jiang Ming's building with their hands holding onto their swords, protecting the place. Meanwhile, in the Tianyuan school, upon returning to the Tianyuan school, Ye Ming ensured that Tian Ci was well taken care of and waited for Liu Changkong's return. The two then went into the forbidden place and started deciphering what had happened. He mastered the 5 elemental Dao, Yin-Yang Dao, Light and Dark Dao, Life and Death Dao, Reincarnation Dao, Spatial Dao. Unbelievable. Even the hair on my arm stood tingling at the thought of it. If Tian Ci is like a bright star, then this person is akin to the whole universe itself. His clones are intriguing, but the rest of his special abilities aren't that many. He has an invincible physique, yet he only just cast the 3-fold astral transformation of the Infinite Alchemy Pavilion. He has not mastered other physical offensive special abilities. Why did he try to kill Tian Ci? Why does Tian Ci hold an immortal sword? It could even protect its master 3 times. Tian Ci is an immortal fetus. That person is only of the human race, a pure human race. There's no doubt about it. What is the secret hidden in all this? There were many people in the palace of the Forbidden Place. Each of them was in the Paradise realm and above. That night, there were many who were rendered sleepless. One of them would be the Red Mountain Palace where Bai Zizai resided. Another would be the Yinmo Sect where Mo Lin was at. The others would be the many people who focused their attention on the whole war. The most miserable party was none other than the Bishui Sect. Even though some of their disciples managed to escape from the Jiuyang Sect, they could no longer pose any threat to anyone. The sect itself could be considered to have ended. At the Qingyun Sect, a jade scroll was floating in front of Qing Fengzi atop a suspended mountain. Rows and rows of words began to stream out of the scroll, appearing out of thin air and radiating bright light. They were the information they had gathered last night. Holy Son Mo Lin from the Yinmo Sect and his guardian have been killed. Bai Zizai of the Red Mountain Palace was nearby and was killed with the Heaven Suppression Divine Seal. The Bishui Sect's monarch was killed with the Heaven Slicing Sword technique. The Nine Heavens Imperial Lightning destroyed the sect itself. 3 of the 4 primal spirit experts were murdered by an unknown expert who escaped. The Jiuyang Sect then killed the remaining primal spirit expert. The rest of the disciples were killed, leaving only a portion of them escaping all over. From the side of the Nantian Grand Canyon, Tian Ci from the Tianyuan school was attacked, whereas his guardian Liu Yuan was killed by the 9 heavenly cannons. Yi Ming, who arrived later, almost failed to protect Tian Ci. The intimidating blinding light that dispersed was suspected to be from Tian Ci's hidden immortal vessel. Liu Changkong arrived in time and forced the enemy to retreat. This person has used the following special abilities: Heaven Suppression Divine Seal, Heaven Slicing Sword Technique, 9 Heavens Imperial Lightning, 9 Heavenly Cannons, and 3-fold Astral Transformation. Assumption: the Holy Sun from the Infinite Alchemy Pavilion was killed by this person. How did such a powerful person suddenly appear out of nowhere? He even specifically used ours and the Infinite Alchemy Palace's special abilities. Is he trying to pin it on us? If he is, then he is really a fool, said Qing Fengzi as he frowned. That's right. At our level, imitating other people's special abilities is not hard at all. It would be foolish to think that he can pin this all on us just like that. King Shuzi nodded, standing beside him. However, based on the information collected on the way to the Bishui Sect and also the remnants from the battlefield where Bai Zizai fell, that person has mastered the Lightning Dao, Earth Dao, Destruction Sword Dao, and the Fire Dao. If all these are from the same person, then this person cannot be taken lightly. Should we ask the Tianyuan school to give us more details on the whole battle? It's impossible for them to provide more detailed information than this, said Qing Fengzi as he shook his head. Anyhow, it's just another strong opponent. If he dares step into the Qingyun Sect, we can just obliterate them. Though, it is weird. Why would this person help out the Jiuyang Sect? Even if it's just to help, why would they intentionally leave behind a person of the primal spirit realm to train them? This relationship itself seems to be abnormal. Mo Lin and Tian Ci went to the Jiuyang Sect, and both of them were attacked. Are there any connections between these two incidents? Or is this just a coincidence? We completely understand the Jiuyang Sect's strength inside out. There's nothing hidden that we don't know of. The only variable to this is the sudden rising of Ziling Long. Being able to defeat so many geniuses when she is merely 10-ish years old is already abnormal. Keep an eye out for the Jiuyang Sect, especially Ziling Long. I'm afraid the only connection that formidable person has with the Jiuyang Sect is Ziling Long. What you said makes sense. These are all minor matters. We should prepare ourselves and wait for the Yinmo Sect and Red Mountain Palace to reveal themselves. This time we will really give them a lesson. They must be punished for making these small movements. Haha, I really do miss the taste of these prawn and crab soldiers, especially those flood dragons' tendons and real dragons' livers. King Fengzi laughed. They are really delicious. Mermaids, dragon women, clam ladies, they are not bad at all. You old man. At the Infinite Alchemy Pavilion, Old Tai stood side by side with a red-clad young man. They also received the same information. Heaven Suppression Divine Seal, Heaven Slicing Sword Technique, 9 Heavens Imperial Lightning, 9 Heavenly Cannons, and 3-fold Astral Transformation. He only used the special abilities from our sects. Trying to pin this on us, it's all meaningless. Why would you think it's meaningless? When the Holy Sun was killed, you were the first to jump out and force yourself all the way into the Qingyun Sect. I was even forced to follow you all the way. This incident happened in Eastern region. How is it possible that the Qingyun Sect had nothing to do with it? As I was brimming in anger, it is natural to find some way to vent it all on. What better choice than the Qingyun Sect? It's a shame that the Qingyun Sect and we haven't found the culprit behind this. Now we have to deal with yet another person appearing out of nowhere. Even if he is not the one who took the Holy Sun's life, he must be involved one way or another. He will surely be found if he dares to come out in the open. We are not the only ones paying close attention to him. The Qingyun Sect, Tianyun School, and even the Yinmo Sect are eyeing him as well, but I think that person must have something to do with the Jiuyang Sect. Old Tai, you stayed quite a few days atop the mountain. Did you not find anything out of the ordinary there? Not at all. The only thing that felt off was Zilong. Being able to train up to the Dao Seed Realm at the age of 10 is just incredible. She's even grasped the Sun Semboda, comprehended various special abilities, and defeated many strong opponents. I investigated in secret, and there was no sign of her being possessed by someone else. King Fengzi also investigated himself and came to the same conclusion. There's nothing wrong anywhere. We came to the only rationale that the Phoenix bloodline she has awakened is abnormal and has inherited the memories from the past. This explains quite a bit. Remember to keep an eye out from now on. Remember, don't find me over something insignificant. If a holy son dies, so be it. A holy son that has not been developed is just a good for nothing. It's not worth it for two extreme path supreme elders like us to take any action. You're speaking as if you've been a holy son yourself. I almost beat to death the holy son that year. In the end, I had him abused until he was mentally disoriented and went crazy. You're really a demon. Early morning. Great dream. Such a great dream. Jiang Ming exhaled as he pushed open the window. He was in great spirits, inhaled a fresh breath of air, and stretched himself pleasantly. The formation looming over the room was temporarily deactivated. His junior sister suddenly jumped from the window straight into his arms and softly said, "Senior brother? What's this all about early in the morning?" Jiang Ming was puzzled. "Last night the whole sect was in shambles. I thought I was done for," she said, finding a comfortable spot to snuggle into. Shambles? Jiang Ming lifted her up onto the table in shock. However, his junior sister would not let go of him. He could not do anything but continue standing there. He asked in concern, "What's shambles? It's all good as long as you are okay. What about Master?" "Only a few of the disciples were killed. It was nothing," said Zilong as she briefly recounted the previous night's events. Then, she huffed softly. "Senior brother, I was scared that I might lose you, and I wondered what I could do if it happened." The mere thought made her tremble. "It's all because I'm too useless. I still need you to protect me." Yang Ming sighed, feeling disappointed. He quickly collected himself and said, "I've made up my mind. From now on, I will train even harder to protect you. I won't let you run around out there getting into fights and killings." Zilong giggled with her eyes smiling. "Sure thing, senior brother. All right, let me make you some food to calm down a bit." "No need, this is already calming me as it is. You are breaking me in half with your hug. I'll just put you back together if you break." "You think I can still be alive after falling apart like an earthworm? You are like an eel. If I loosen just a bit, you'll run off." "Senior brother, I was terrified the whole night. Just let me hug you for a little while longer. It feels reassuring by your side." Jiang Ming resignedly replied, "Okay, while having breakfast on the rooftop. "So many of them?" asked Jiang Ming in shock. "The Bishui sect's attack was too sudden, and their disciples were too strong. If it weren't because a few of their higher-ups were killed by someone, the Jiuyang Sect would have been wiped out," said Gu Hai solemnly. He looked at Zilong and said, "Little girl, the Qingyuan sect and the Infinite Alchemy Pavilion invited you to become their disciple, right? Accept it and go. It's safer, and you can grow much faster there," Gu Hai said with a bitter face. "Senior brother, what do you think?" asked Zilong. She felt afraid as she recollected what had happened the day before. She then looked attentively into Jiang Ming's eyes. She felt the gaze from that person seemed very much alike with that of her senior brother, but the temperament was obviously different. The biggest difference was still their cultivation. One was so formidable that he could even shake the sky and mountains. The other was so feeble he could only hide in the mountains. "Stay, don't go anywhere." Jiang Ming smiled. In the end, the Bishui sect is just a foreign influence that dominated Hai Province and launched their sudden attack trying to conquer Qing Province. Now that we have warded them off, the Bishui sect no longer poses a threat. What are we still afraid of? Each of the influences in Eastern region has its own distinct domain. Who will dare to act? So, there will not be any more danger in the future. "Little girl, do you still want to leave?" Jiang Ming felt rather nervous. "Wherever my senior brother is, I will be there," Zilong replied without hesitation. Jiang Ming secretly exhaled in relief and smiled. "Don't worry, I will continue protecting you." Zilong's eyes gleamed brightly. "You, able to protect Linglong?" Gu Hai smirked. "Why can't I protect her? When she was little, whenever she encountered rats and snakes or mischievously climbed trees and fell off, I was always there to protect her," Yang Ming rebutted. "This time, it's different. Who knows what other dangers lie in the future? We've warded off the Bishui sect, but what if the devil sects come attacking? Don't you forget, there was once a platoon of the devil sects hidden right outside of our sect. It's obvious they were targeting us." Gu Hai replied sternly. "Relax, master. Now that the devil sects have been exposed, why would they come here again? Moreover, our sect is now in hot waters. If we were to leave now, wouldn't people think bad of our characters?" comforted Jiang Ming. "You are such a smart talker. I'm just stating the facts." None of them wanted to back down. 3 days later, the funeral was held. Yang Ming also attended. The solemn atmosphere looming over thousands of gravestones left him in an even deeper sentiment. He felt that human life seemed to be so fragile in a world where power was dominant. I must train harder for my junior sister, Jiang Ming thought. Upon returning to Jiuyang Sect, Jiang Ming went to the veranda at the rooftop. As he lay on the rattan chair, it started to sway gently. He felt very comfortable, so comfortable that he did not want to move at all. Thus, he thought that some witch must have conjured the recliner. Senior brother, muttered Ziling Long as she snuggled up to Jiang Ming. I'm preparing to retreat for cultivation. Trying to comprehend the lunar Dao? Asked Jiang Ming. Yes, I want to improve myself further. I realize that I am still too weak during the last battle. I almost failed to protect you, senior brother, replied Ziling Long. You little girl. Protecting our home should be my responsibility, yet you are bearing it, said Jiang Ming. He was hesitating over whether he should tell her he was the person that night. In the end, he still held back. If it caused too much of an uproar, rumors would spread which would only mean trouble. Yang Ming flipped his palm, revealing 2 little gray pebbles. He handed them over to Ziling Long as he said, use them during your cultivation, they are helpful. These are enlightening stones? Ziling Long was astounded. You recognize these? Jiang Ming was surprised. Yes, Ziling Long calmed down before continuing. Can't you remember I was blessed with the Tomb of Extreme Path? I also found a description about these enlightening stones, senior brother. This is a rare world treasure. How did you get them? Don't ask. I will just say I don't know, said Jiang Ming as he gently stroked her hair. Okay, I won't ask, answered Ziling Long like a well-behaved child. Senior brother, I think it's better if you use them for yourself. Don't be so long-winded and just take them. This is a one-use kind of object. Use it at the right time to get the best out of it. Okay. After a while, Ziling Long returned to her room. Looking at the enlightening stones in her palms, she felt baffled. Why does senior brother own such a thing? Could it be that person that night was in fact senior brother? Impossible. My senior brother never left my sight, but, sigh. Also, why is it that the Bishui sect was the first one to attack our sect? Everything is just messed up. It doesn't matter. If it's a mess, then it's a mess. As long as I improve my cultivation base, it'll be enough to protect my senior brother and to overwhelm everything. Ziling Long sat cross-legged on her bed as she took out the yin spiritual items that she had obtained, absorbing the Dao fluctuations in them and speeding up her comprehension of cultivation. Time passed by, much like how the river flowed. Jiang Ming was once again farming behind the mountains. This time, however, all that he had planted were middle or top-grade herbs, not knowing what rewards he would get when he reaped his harvest. In addition, he was finally able to arrange for the immortal enlightening tea leaf seed to be planted in a spiritual fountain located underground. He readjusted the life and death disillusionment formation disc, making the formation more discreet and powerful. Brother Zhang came over once but sat quietly at the side. He was not as carefree as he was in the past. Before leaving, he said that he would be retreating for cultivation as well, trying to ascend into the Purple Mansion realm. Chang Yiming came over as well. He sighed a few times before asking for a jar of wine. He chugged down the whole jar with a big gulp and exclaimed, "This feels good." "A total waste of provision," said Jiang Ming, astonished. "Who asked you to brew them?" Chang Yiming snickered before he suddenly became solemn. He said, "Momo is not doing well. Even though we won in the battle against the Bishui sect, too many of our brethren fell. Many went to find fault with her. If not for the first seat Yin Yue feeling nostalgic over the past, she would be in even more trouble." Jiang Ming paused in silence for a while before suggesting, "Bring her over to your side. Let her stay and take care of you. You can take care of her as well." He still felt a bit remorseful over it. After all, they knew each other. There aren't many people here in Chuyang Peak. It's better for her to come here. Ling Long has a high position here, just a level before the sect master. If Momo comes over here, nobody will dare trouble her. She's all alone now. She will be perfect to accompany you. You can be busy farming and she can be busy back at the kitchen. Such happiness, replied Chang Yiming. Enough. I have my hands full taking care of just one, let alone two, said Jiang Ming as he rolled his eyes. Chang Yiming laughed. Finally, you show your true colors. Such impure thoughts. Jiang Ming was rendered speechless. Chang Yiming did not stay for long before leaving as well. After Chang Yiming left, Jiang Ming sat there for some time before lifting his head and gazing at the floating clouds. I have impure thoughts, he questioned himself. Alas, he shook his head. Where in the world is there anyone that is as pure as I am? He stood up and slowly strolled back to the back of his house, humming along as he went. I have myself a bright pearl. A dusty pearl sealed for ages. Now with the dust gone and the pearl shining bright, it will shine upon mountains and rivers, thousands of mountains and rivers. One day I will make sure it gleams, gleaming onto my fields. Standing in the courtyard, he looked upon Ziling Long's window. He felt the waves of Dao fluctuations dispersing from her room, leaving a chilling sensation akin to the moonlight like the fog in the winter. Did she succeed? Jiang Ming's eyes were gleaming in delight. He called up the human path records. Name Zlinglong race, human gender, female, cultivation base, Golden Core realm, ninth extreme, background, disciple of the Jiuyang Sect's Chuyang peak relationship, 97 innate talent, primary Taoist body, high-tier phoenix bloodline, status, after she defeated holy daughters and geniuses, her name spread through eastern region and Zhong Province. During the Bishui Sect's assault, she saw a pair of eyes in the dark, almost similar to her senior brothers. There were too many strong enemies. Thus, she telepathically asked the sect master to stall the primal spirit expert as she went on to kill the nascent soul experts. They successfully protected the sect through a night of much bloodshed. Although she was victorious, her heart was trembling. If not for that unknown expert lending a hand by fending off against 4 primal spirit experts, she had no idea if she could protect her senior brother. She was wondering whether she would go crazy if anything happened to her senior brother. She eventually thought she would slaughter the world. Senior brother actually took out enlightening stones. She thought it was just unimaginable but didn't care as they were a gift from her senior brother. After absorbing the yin spiritual items, plus using 1 enlightening stone, she finally was able to invoke the extreme yin Dao and comprehend the extreme yin Semboda. Jiang Ming had a convoluted smile upon reading the status. Their relationship had actually risen by 2 points, reaching 97 points. He wondered whether their feelings became even stronger because they were in the face of danger. If I die, she might slaughter the world? My junior sister. Jiang Ming was smiling delightedly. He looked at the main building and its door was shut tight. That old man was probably out somewhere doing whatever he wanted. Jiang Ming returned to his room and activated the formation. He temporarily shut Chuyang Peak as he also retreated into cultivation. His heart and mind started to merge into the heavens and earth as he continued to perceive the wonders of karma. As he started to feel around, he could sense that many illusionary threads were coming out of him, penetrating into the void and connecting to anything and everything. One of the thickest threads was like a chain in order, extending itself into his junior sister's room. However, most threads were so fine that they felt they would snap off any time. Karma. It is only the relationships between humans, that is all. Directly connected, relating to one another, or simply existing in a specific time and space can all lead to the birth of karma. There was a saying from the past that was so very true. As long as you are correlated, there will be an exchange of matter. Also, being connected indirectly always ends up with some very important ordeals. I killed Mo Lin, hence my relationship with the Yinmo Sect. I fought against Tian Ci, hence my relationship with the Tian Yuan school. There are both good karma and bad karma. Jiang Ming was immersed in his feeling of karma. His comprehension of the karma Semboda started to rocket. Whenever he hit a dead end, he would just pop another one of those enlightening stones. Even if there were not many of them left, he never cared. Time flew the quickest during cultivation, yet Jiang Ming was still spending some of his time daily checking on the herbs he grew. It was a shame that the middle and top grade ones grew very slowly. Even after being watered with spirit waters, they had only just begun budding. Splitting firewood, getting water from the rivers, and cooking, these were all his daily routines. Sometimes he would mix it up a bit and go fishing. He heard from Cheng Yiming that the outside world was tense. The Qingyun sect surrounded and started to suppress the disciples of the devil sects who fought back in madness. The whole situation was becoming more severe. Even water demons had started to emerge from various water regions. Jiang Ming only listened quietly. In a blink of an eye, the 5-year term had finally arrived. It's been 5 years. Time passes ever so quickly. I'm sure this time the system will have a great explosion. Yang Ming was very excited about it. He had a weird feeling that he might be getting his hand on something that he would have never thought of this time. Time flitted past and would not stop for anyone. January, the year 9995 of the Zhou calendar. As soon as it reached midnight, it marked the 5th year since the awakening of the system. Jiang Ming had been looking for it for a long time. The westbound sun cast a red glow on the sky and the mountains in the evening. There were 8 dishes and 2 bowls of soup on the table on the rooftop. The entire courtyard was filled with the fragrance of the dishes. Senior brother, this is the first time I made shrimp dumplings. Please give it a try, Zlinglong said as she placed a dumpling near Jiang Ming's mouth. I'll do it myself. You used to feed me in the past, so it's my turn now. I'm not an old man who can't move anymore. Be good, senior brother. Alright then. Jiang Ming opened his mouth and ate the dumpling. Then his eyes glowed and he exclaimed, "This is so good. You're even better than me at cooking." Really? Of course. There's no way I would lie to you, Jiang Ming said as he wolfed down the rest of the food. The night came and the sky was filled with stars. Jiang Ming sat on the rattan chair admiring the sky. Zlinglong washed a plate of fruits and put it on the desk beside him. She poured a cup of tea for herself, went to the other side of the chair and sat on it. Isn't there another chair on the side? This one is big enough to fit 2 people, senior brother. Let's share. It's not that big. Go to the other chair. I'm cold, senior brother. Hey, do you think I'd fall for your trap? You don't love me anymore, senior brother. We used to sleep on the same bed when we were kids, remember? How could you do this to me now? I'm so sad. Alright, you're giving me goosebumps. Jiang Ming shuddered and hurriedly scooched over. The wind was warm and the moon was beautiful. Seeing that it was almost midnight, Jiang Ming reluctantly sent his junior sister away. After that, he went back to his room and sat on his bed in a lotus position. He closed his eyes and waited. Suddenly, he cracked his eyes open, and light burst out in the dark room as the voice of the system rang out in his head. Congratulations to the host for living on Shuyang Peak for 5 consecutive years and doing at least one kind of labor every day. 2,000 years of cultivation base, 1,000 pieces of top-grade enlightening tea leaf, 1 by 5-minute extreme path experience card, 1 by Supreme Order, and 1 by Verdant Emperor Spirit Transformation Technique. 2,000 years of cultivation base? Jiang Ming was shocked. It seemed to him that the system did not want him to waste his time on collecting mana anymore. Well, this is interesting. 1,000 pieces of top-grade enlightening tea leaf. Jiang Ming was certain that its effect would be even better, but he was kind of disappointed at the fact that the system did not give him any enlightening stone as a reward. Another 1 extreme path experience card. Well, this is a good thing, Jiang Ming thought. After all, it could help him to change the tide of the battle in his favor. When he saw what the Supreme Order could do, Jiang Ming nearly leaped up in shock. A certain being who had transcended beyond destiny had crafted a supreme pagoda, had distributed different supreme orders throughout the entire world. Those who were lucky enough to receive it could enter the pagoda to receive the trial and obtain his legacy or other benefits. Note, it can only be activated with a drop of blood, a being who had transcended beyond destiny. System: on what cultivation base can one transcend beyond destiny? However, the system did not reply. Jiang Ming felt a tingling sensation across his scalp. Transcended beyond destiny, distributing the orders across the entire world. What kind of a monster is he to achieve these feats? He commanded his mind to stop going any further and calmed himself down. He then looked toward the only one special ability in the reward. There is actually a special ability like this? Jiang Ming's eyes glowed. Amongst the spiritual plants he was raising right now, middle grade would need at least 10 years, while top grade would take at least 100 years before reaching maturity. He needed to wait for a long time before he could harvest them. Had he not wanted to gamble, he would have planted all the low-grade spiritual herbs. He looked through the information of the Verdant Emperor Spirit Transformation Technique and was shocked. This special ability had 3 stages. In the first stage, it could increase the growing speed by 10 times. In the second stage, the rate would be increased by 100 times. And in the third stage, 1,000 times. Holy moly, Jiang Ming exclaimed. However, the special ability had its flaws as well. One was that it could only be used on a spiritual plant once, and second, it needed something to facilitate it from running. The world is really a big and wondrous place. I didn't expect someone could create such a special ability. This is just perfect for me. Jiang Ming got down from his bed and paced around in his room. He decided to put the special ability aside first, for he had something else more important to do. He flipped his palm and an order appeared. The order was gold in color and the word Supreme was engraved on it. Other than that, it looked nothing different from other orders. It couldn't be activated through mana and couldn't be destroyed through physical force. It was an order made from an indestructible material. After thinking for a long while, Jiang Ming dropped a drop of blood on it, but nothing happened. Since he had already made up his mind, he was not going to regret his decision. He activated it through his mana, and in the next second, a strong suction force appeared from the order and sucked him into it. When he finally regained his posture, he took in his surroundings. It seemed to him that he was in a valley and he had never been there before. He tried to look forward, but there was nothing but a stretch of mountain ranges in his vision. He began to check himself, but nothing had changed. He could still open the human path's records. Just when Jiang Ming heaved out a sigh of relief, a majestic voice echoed, "There will be 3 trials. Once you pass all of the trials, only then can you see the true face of the Supreme Pagoda. If you fail, your memory of this place will be removed and you will be sent back to where you come from. At the same time, the Supreme Order will disappear as well. Any special abilities or weapons above the level of a middle-grade Dao vessel are forbidden. No matter how long you're going to stay here, only 1 hour will pass in the world you are in. The first trial will begin in another 30 seconds. The divine voice sounded as if it was talking next to his ears, but in fact the voice entered right into his head. There are trials, and the world I'm staying in is known as Teen Yuan World. The corner of Jiang Ming's lips twitched as a stern expression appeared on his face. Time flitted by, and a figure appeared about 1,000 miles away from him. It was a young man wearing a white robe. His long hair was neatly tied behind his head. His eyes were sharp, and he had a sharply chiseled face. As he was coming toward Jiang Ming, he said, "I'm in the same realm as you, and I'm practicing the 5-elemental Dao Seed, 5-elemental Great Grinder." As soon as he had finished speaking, he threw an attack at Jiang Ming directly. "He isn't a puppet," Jiang Ming said. Well, this is going to be tough. He was in the same realm as Jiang Ming, but he had already mastered the 5-elemental Dao Seed. There were very few people in the Tianyuan world who could master the 5-elemental Dao Seed. In other words, he couldn't take the young man in front of him lightly. While Jiang Ming was thinking about how he should deal with the young man had engulfed him in a torrent of 5 elemental forces, trying his very best effort to destroy him like a grinder. This special ability is even stronger than the Heaven Suppression Divine Seal and the Wooden Dragon. Besides, he has mastered this special ability to the perfect stage, and I'm afraid even Tian Ci wouldn't be able to take this attack head-on. Jiang Ming thought for a while and then delivered a punch at the 5-elemental Great Grinder. His mana surged through his veins as he collected all his strength on his fist. He delivered another punch at the young man and crushed him. Congratulations to Jiang Ming for passing the first trial. The voice rang out again, and his surroundings shattered like a mirror. As light began to flash around him, he found that he was standing at one end of a staircase. He lifted his head and looked up. The stairs were made of jade and extended into mid-air, with a total of 100 steps. Jiang Ming, this is your second trial. You will need to climb the heavenly ladder. Reaching the top means you've passed the trial, and falling means you've failed. The voice rang out again. Jiang Ming's pupils constricted. Climbing the heavenly ladder? As he was thinking, he had stepped onto the first step. Suddenly, he felt as if a heavy weight was suppressing him and there was a big stone on his heart. Is this trial going to test my willpower? Jiang Ming speculated. As he moved on step forward, the weight on his heart would become stronger while his body would become heavier. However, he had strong willpower, so it did not affect him much. When he was staying at Chuyang Peak, he might look lazy and weak-willed, but he would do his best in mastering it whenever he comprehended one Dao. It was also considered a form of refining and strengthening his willpower. As such, he had strong willpower that couldn't be compared by other people. Soon, he had arrived at the 89th step. As his feet landed on the step, something rang through his heart. It felt as if a divine mountain had descended and exerted strong pressure on him, trying its best to crush his willpower. When he reached the 90th step, the invincible pressure transformed into a sword of light. It flew across the sky and aimed straight at his sea of consciousness. This attack is as strong as a strike from a peak nascent soul martial artist, Jiang Ming exclaimed. The sword of light landed, but it did nothing to his sea of consciousness. Jiang Ming continued to climb the stage. On the 91st step, the sword of light split into 2. On the 98th step, the sword of light split into 9, each and every one of its attacks equivalent to the full power of a nascent soul martial artist. Yang Ming was stumped momentarily. However, he soon regained his composure and continued to climb the stairs. Bam! The swords of light became even stronger and more terrifying. It was something he had never seen before as the barrage of swords of light dashed toward his sea of consciousness. This is equivalent to a strike of a primal spirit martial artist. This wasn't a physical attack. Instead, the attack was directed straight into his mind. Jiang Ming stopped when he arrived at the top, and the pressure he felt disappeared. His mind also suddenly shone brightly, as if a layer of dust had been wiped away. He was more in tune with heaven and earth. At that moment, the feeling was akin to when he was drinking the enlightening tea. He knew this was a trial as well as an opportunity. Suddenly, he felt something and turned around. In front of him was a big platform, and on top of the platform stood a stone monument. There were countless lines and light dots on it, looking just like stars. Congratulations on passing your second trial, Jiang Ming. Now, onward to the third trial. In front of you is the Million Mana Monument. You're required to comprehend a special ability in 3 days. The voice disappeared after it had given its instructions. Jiang Ming's heart skipped a beat. I need to comprehend a special ability in 3 days? It took more than 3 days to learn a special ability, let alone comprehend it. The first trial is about combat prowess, and only a genius like Tian Ci has a chance of passing it. The second trial is about willpower, and only a person in the primal spirit realm can pass it. The third trial is about intellect. Unless one is extremely bright, who can accomplish it? Yang Ming shook his head. Battle prowess, willpower, and intellect. These three represented the innate ability of a living being, and apparently intellect was more important than the rest of the two. After all, one just needed to master more special abilities to increase their battle prowess. Willpower could be cultivated as well, but how about intellect? It was nearly impossible to improve one's intellect through the help of external force. 3 days, Han. Jiang Ming walked over and sat in front of the stone monument. He wanted to take out an enlightening tea leaf, but he couldn't do so no matter how hard he tried. This ability, he felt a chill creeping down his spine. He turned his head toward the stone monument without thinking twice and was absorbed into it. The light dots became stars while the lines turned into rivers, forming a vast starry universe. Captivated, Jiang Ming threw himself in it and swam across the universe. Then, he found that every dot was formed with laws, and every line was the chain of order. Together, they formed nature. There were also Wood Dao, Fire Dao, and Earth Dao. He also saw the 5 elemental, the decimation, and the reincarnation, to name a few. There were even traces of time here. A surge of great joy and freedom welled up in Jiang Ming's soul. The light of Dao was bursting from every pore in his body. He just wanted to keep exploring and roaming in this wondrous space in order to ascend to a higher level. Suddenly, a light dot twitched and formed into a human figure in front of him. Junior sister? Jiang Ming's eyes shone as a smile appeared over his face. Just when he was about to go forward, he suddenly realized something. He wasn't at Chuyang Peak. I need to comprehend a type of special ability. I can lose myself here. He hurriedly calmed himself down. At the same time, he noticed something. Although it seemed on the surface that comprehending a special ability was the trial, in reality he had to watch out so that he wouldn't get too immersed in the sea of Dao. Otherwise, he would have failed the test. Thank you so much, junior sister. You really are my lucky star, Jiang Ming exclaimed inwardly. It seemed to him that half a day had passed. Next, he closed his eyes and calmed his mind. A virtual image of himself had manifested behind him, aiding him in comprehending a special ability. Suddenly, he flipped his hand, and a wisp of fire appeared on his palm. He formed it into a spear and threw it toward the void. Congratulations, Yang Ming, on comprehending a fire-type special ability and passing the third trial. The voice rang out, pulling Yang Ming back to his thoughts. Before he could do anything, the things around him began to fall apart, and by the time he appeared again, he found that he was standing on a platform. He turned his head around to take in the surroundings. It was a wide area, and his eyes couldn't register anything no matter how far he looked. Where am I? No sooner had the thought surfaced in his mind than a voice erupted. Finally, a new friend. We have a new companion. I wonder what world he comes from. What are the characteristics of his world? He doesn't look like a devil or a demon, and he definitely is not a ghost, a sorcerer, or a vessel. Ah, I get it. He's a human, the master of all different worlds. He heard voices coming around him, but he couldn't see any of them. In the meantime, a surge of information appeared in Jiang Ming's head, and he got a basic grasp of the situation after absorbing the information. This was the third-dimensional space of the Supreme Pagoda, and everyone here was in the Dao Seed Realm. The center was the resting zone of the platform. People could choose to stay here forever, and no matter how long one stayed here, it would only be 1 hour in the world outside. However, the flow of time still had an effect on the essence of life itself. In other words, when the end of life came, one would die as well. Fighting was prohibited here, but they were allowed to communicate and exchange knowledge with the geniuses from other worlds. After ascending into the nascent soul realm, they would go to the fourth-dimensional space in the Supreme Pagoda. However, they still needed to go through 3 trials, and if they failed the trials, the Supreme Order would be taken back, and they would forget everything that was related to the Supreme Pagoda. Besides, they would be forbidden from talking about the Supreme Pagoda in their own world. Jiang Ming turned his head around and began to take in his surroundings. On the left side of the platform stood 17 heavenly monuments of unknown height, and their ends were covered in a veil of cloud, rendering them indistinguishable. All of them were engraved with the basics of the laws and order of the universe, which could be deciphered by consuming points. The first heavenly monument was glowing with a red radiance, and the fire Dao rhythm was flowing in it. It was the fire heavenly monument. The second one gave off a faint green glow, and Jiang Ming could vaguely sense the aura of vitality. This was the wood heavenly monument. As Jiang Ming continued to observe the monuments, he noticed that each of them represented different Dao rhythms. There were the wood, earth, metal, water, wind, thunder, light, dark, spatial, time, reincarnation, decimation, karma, unlimited, blade, and illusion heavenly monument. Behind him was the Million Dao chart, and he could also earn points from there. This is, if I stay here and cultivate, wouldn't it be? Jiang Ming's heart began to race. He turned his head around and looked to his right. On the right side of the platform there were 7 Dao monuments, all of which were imprinted with the basics of the fusion of the Grand Path, and like the 17 heavenly monuments, they were tall, and he couldn't see their ends as well. The first Dao monument had the divine light of the 5 elements around it. It was the 5-elemental Dao monument. The second monument was covered in the light of yin and yang, and it was the yin-yang Dao monument. There were other Dao monuments as well, such as the life and death, the light and dark, the true illusion, the space-time, and the chaos Dao monuments, the origin of the world's law, and the ultimate Semboda. There is time on the left, and space-time and chaos on the right. Jiang Ming was so shocked he did not know what to say. Even with his system and the human path's record, he had never expected that a place like this existed. Although it was not the legendary 3,000 heavenly paths in the mortal realm, it had surpassed the world's boundary. One side was a bridge corridor extending up diagonally to a platform. After the platform, it still extended to the next platform until it was lost into the depths of the sky. This was the Heaven Battle stage. One could earn points by stepping onto the battle stage and engaging in battles. The other side was a staircase made of white jade that extended into the horizon. This was the Heavenly Ladder. One could climb the ladder to accept trials and earn points. He turned around and looked back. There was a sky where the vast majority of it was hidden from view. Even though only a small part of it was visible to Jiang Ming, he was confident that it was a lot larger than the monument that gave him the trials. This was the Million Dao chart, and one could obtain points by studying it as well. Marvelous, Jiang Ming exclaimed. He took a deep breath and calmed himself down. He then looked sideways, and he saw a few couches and desks. Couches? Jiang Ming's eyes glowed slightly. 5 people were sitting on the couches. 3 of them were men, while the remaining 2 were women. The men had good-looking faces and imposing auras, while the women were pretty. When they noticed that Yang Ming was looking at them, they bobbed their heads in greeting. One of the young men in black combat gear, boots, and a sword on his back came over and said in a very enthusiastic manner, "Do you feel surprised and amazed?" "Yes." Yang Ming nodded. "All of you come from different worlds?" "Yep," the short-haired young man replied as he invited Jiang Ming to sit with them. Jiang Ming walked to the couch and noticed that several other people were special. "All of us come from different worlds, different civilizations, different races, and even have different cultivation backgrounds," the short-haired young man said as he poured a glass of red wine for Jiang Ming. Then, he continued, "What a fate for us to meet each other across the world. Brother, let me make introductions. I'm Luo Heng and I'm a human from the Xinghe world. Guang Ru, an angel from the Guangming world. Yi Qingxian, a human from the Zhantian world. Orum, an elven prince from the Great Forest world. Li Yu Yuan, a plant life form from the Boundary Sea world. How about you, brother?" Luo Heng asked after he had finished introducing the rest of the people. The remaining people were waiting for his answer as well. While Jiang Ming was listening, he also checked their information through the Human Paths record to see if everything Luo Heng said was true. Luo Heng, a human, male. His strength is equivalent to that of a martial artist in the Dao Seed Realm, and he comes from the Xinghe world. Relationship, 55 innate talent, immortal status. The human race is indeed the strongest race across so many worlds. Here comes another one. The information for the rest of the people was about the same, save for Orum. His name was too long, so Luo Heng did not tell Jiang Ming his full name. "Well, since all of us come from different worlds, there's no need for me to hide anything from them," Jiang Ming thought, and whipped up a smile. "I come from the Tianyuan world. You can call me Jiang Ming." "Brother Jiang, let's toast to our fate," Luo Heng said. The rest of the people picked up their wine glasses and drank them in one go. "Brother Jiang, have you ever heard of this place before?" Luo Heng asked. "Nope. I obtained the Supreme Order by accident, and I was here after activating it." Jiang Ming shook his head. "Just as I expected," Luo Heng replied. "I got the Supreme Order very early. I was in the 1st level when I first came here, and it took me quite a long while to reach the 3rd level. I met many people at the 1st level. They were all from different worlds as well, and there was no news of the Supreme Order circulating in their respective worlds. The more I learn about the Supreme Order, the more I admire the owner of this place. He had come across hundreds of people on the 1st level, and he also noticed that only one person in each world could get the Supreme Order. Unfortunately, he had only bumped into one person he had known before after he came to the 2nd level. He also told Jiang Ming that the world he was in was a combination of technology of evolution. Technology allowed some objects to fly in the sky and travel through the universe. People could even communicate face-to-face with each other while being hundreds of millions of miles apart. As for evolution, it was the evolution of the physical body. Ultimately, they would cultivate the cosmic force and understand the laws of the universe. Although different worlds have different cultivation methods, they all come from the same root, Luo Heng concluded. Then, he took a tablet out and began introducing his world to Jiang Ming. Jiang Ming's eyes were glowing with excitement as he thought, "Finally, my boring days have finally come to an end." Although the tablet was small, it had the whole world in it. "Unfortunately, we don't have an internet connection here, but don't worry. I've downloaded many things in advance. I have a lot of movies, portraits, novels, and many more here. At my place, it's the era of the knowledge explosion," Luo Heng said, grinning from ear to ear. "I'm pretty sure that cultivation isn't the only reason the Supreme Order brings us all here. This is a platform for cross-border exchange. If you can make use of it, you'll gain a tremendous amount of fortune. What do you think? Do you want to get it?" He waved the tablet in his hand. "It's cheap," he said while grinning like a Cheshire cat. Jiang Ming rubbed his hands. Everything that happened in the Supreme Pagoda was already shocking enough for Jiang Ming. However, what made him even more surprised was that this place could allow him to communicate with people from other worlds. Awesome. Is this technology? Jiang Ming was both surprised and amazed, yet he commanded himself to calm down. Although it isn't useful for cultivation, we can use it to pass the time of boredom. However, there's one thing I don't understand. Are they cultivating some kind of demonic technique to seduce people? That being said, they really are pleasing to the eyes. Hee hee. Lup Heng giggled. "If I put this on your side of the world, would it be worth anything?" "Well, it's hard to say," Jiang Ming said. "Those who cultivate the path of heaven would definitely not like it. Those who are weak don't have much money in their hands. Brother Luo, why don't you tell me what you want in exchange?" "Spiritual pills and immortal weapons," Luo Heng said without any hesitation. "What do you think about this spiritual pill then?" Jiang Ming asked as he handed a chi maintenance pill to Luo Heng. "Are you kidding me?" Luo Heng's face sank. This pill only has a small amount of vitality in it. Even a golden core martial artist wouldn't want it at all. You're the one who messed with me first, Jiang Ming said. This thing of yours couldn't be eaten or drunk. It can't assist us in our cultivation either, and you still have the audacity to ask for a spiritual pill or an immortal weapon as an exchange. Do I look like a fool to you? The scale finally had dropped before his eyes. Luo Heng was just trying to cheat him with something he had never seen before since he was the new guy here. Would a picture gallery of pretty women be more appealing than female dancers? Would an 18-rated movie be better than a demoness? It was not that he had never seen it before. After all, he was already an adult. Besides, in a world where power reigned supreme, having a lot of women wasn't a problem at all if one was strong enough. He could have banquets every single day, and many pretty ladies would dance and entertain him right in front of him. Moreover, with his current level of intelligence and the knowledge he had amassed in his previous life, he might be able to develop an atomic bomb in another 10 years. At that time, creating something entertaining or building a new island dedicated to entertainment would be a breeze. However, the thought disappeared as soon as it popped up in his head. He was a cultivator now. His goal was to attain immortality, so how could he do something inappropriate like that? Luo Heng grinned embarrassingly and said, I'm just joking with you. Please don't take it to heart, Brother Zhang. Just show me everything that you have. I'm going to make a big deal with you. I have everything you need here. Food, drink, games. I'm sure you'll be satisfied. Alright, Jiang Ming replied. He still had a lot of spoils that he hadn't sorted out yet, so he figured that this might be the perfect chance for him to go through all of them. With that thought in mind, he came to the side, channeled his mana onto his palm, and made a table about 100 meters long out of thin air. Luo Heng was stunned. He wasn't stunned because Jiang Ming could manifest a table out of thin air, but because he could sense the endless stream of mana inside of Jiang Ming. His heart couldn't help itself but tremble in fear. At the same time, he came to a conclusion. Jiang Ming was strong, a lot stronger than him. He himself was already considered a great genius of the last 10,000 eras, yet Jiang Ming was even better than him. Not only him, but even Guangru, Ye Qingshan, Orum, and Lu Yuan were astonished by Jiang Ming. Jiang Ming paid them all no mind. He waved his hand, and several heaps of items appeared on the table. All of these were spoils that he had gotten from his battles with Mo Ling, the holy son of the Yinmo Sect, Gi Shang, Mu Lei, Mu Shuiyun, and so on. Although some of them were destroyed alongside their original owners by him, he still managed to gather a lot of them. On the first heap were spiritual herbs, such as the azure spiritual grass. The second heap consisted of multiple pills and elixirs. There were more than 1,000 bottles of them, and they were all labeled with their uses and functions. The third heaps were weapons, instruments, and some Dao vessels. There were nearly 1,000,000 of them. The fourth heap was the biggest amongst the heap. It consisted of many different rare stones and gems. He couldn't take them out when he was at Kuyang Peak, so he hoped to get rid of them here. Luo Heng's eyes were glowing with excitement. He had the urge to claim all of these things as his own, but luckily he pressed the urge down. What do you need? Orum asked as he looked across the spiritual herbs. I want spiritual fluids, spirit crystals, or energy crystals. The purer the better, Jiang Ming said slowly. Of course I'll accept seeds of spiritual plants or something special from your world. I have the seed of the ancient tree of war with me, Orum said after he thought for a while. He then took out a fist-sized turquoise seed that was brimming with vitality. I want to use this to exchange for all of your spiritual herbs. Yang Ming took a look at the seed and shook his head. However, he did not say anything. All of your spiritual items are low grade, but this seed of the ancient tree of war is different. It can grow into the ancient tree of war and it's very powerful. Orum explained, in my world, it's a treasured item that everyone seeks. My items are treasured items in your world too, Jiang Ming said. Don't think that your item is the best. I believe that all of our items here are unique in their own ways and are sought by the people in our own respective worlds. Alright then, but I want seeds as well. Do you have any? Orum asked. Yes, I do have some with me. Jiang Ming smiled. Although Orum had only a dozen types of seed, all of them were of high quality. For example, the flower fairy tree seed could produce flower fairies. He gave the azure spirit grass and some seeds to Orum in exchange. I've heard from a legend that the elves are accompanied by the elven sacred tree. Is there a seed for it? Jiang Ming asked. Orum's face sank when he heard his question. The mother tree is our origin. He flung his sleeve and took a seat at the side. I apologize for my rudeness, Jiang Ming said embarrassingly. Origin? In other words, the mother tree is their mother? I've heard that elves are born from the elven tree. It seems like it's not a myth at all. Ye Qingshan picked some materials, weapons, artifacts, and Dao vessels. She gave Jiang Ming 100 pieces of divine stones, which were equivalent to 100 pieces of top-grade spirit crystals. Liu Yuan looked around but did not ask for anything. I have a bottle of holy water of light with me. It can purify evil energy, cleanse one's body, and strengthen one's foundation, Guangru said as she took out a bottle. The liquid inside swirled with white light, giving a sense of holiness. So, what do you want? Jiang Ming asked expressionlessly. Raw materials. Guang Rui pointed at the heap of stones and gems. There was a halo of light on top of her head and two big wings at her back. She lifted her chin slightly and added, all of them. So how much holy water are you going to give as an exchange?
10 kiloliters? Huh?
Jiang Ming scoffed. A smirk crossed Luo Heng's face. Oram frowned. There was a grin tugging at the corner of Ye Qingshan's lips, and Lu Yuan smiled. What do you want? Yang Ming turned to look at Luo Heng. All of them, Luo Heng said. All of us here are geniuses. It's without a doubt that all of your items are good, but in fact they are of little use to us. I'm not going to point them out. He paused for a moment. Why? Yang Ming asked. Wang Rui's expression changed when Jiang Ming ignored her. A flash of anger crossed her face as she asked, 10 kiloliters of my holy water isn't enough to exchange for these low-quality raw materials. Low quality? Jiang Ming smiled coldly. He picked up a purple metal ore and said, do you know what this is? This is the purple copper ore. It can be refined and made into a weapon far beyond our cultivation level. This one alone is more precious than your so-called holy water. Oh yeah. Since we're here, I might as well tell you that your holy water is nothing but spiritual water infused with the power of light. My holy water is a sacred item in my world. It can purify evil energy, ward away darkness, and cleanse all negative statuses. How dare you say it's just spiritual water? Guang Rui flew into a rage. However, her expression changed in the next second. A wine cup had appeared in Jiang Ming's hand. Then, he waved his hand and a stream of water appeared in the air, filling the cup. Afterward, his palm glowed with light, and the cup of ordinary water became holy water that emitted a soft white light. You have mastered the power of light? Guang Ru was stunned. Her mouth opened and closed several times, but she did not say anything anymore. She flung her long hair and strode to one side. She turned her head around as she did not want to look at Jiang Ming anymore. Jiang Ming shrugged. For him, she was just a little girl who needed to be taught some manners. Unfortunately, fighting was prohibited here. Otherwise, he would make her, a prideful girl, scream with fear. Luo Heng continued, I've been here a lot of times, from the first level until the third level, so I know that if I can make use of this place, I can get a lot of benefits in my world. Not long ago, he grinned, looking prideful. It so happens that not long ago I participated in the selection battle of the entire universe. I'm one of the top 3, I'm backed by a great supporter, and I've taken a great martial artist as my master. I'm not the person I used to be in the past anymore, and I can take whatever you have, Luo Heng said. He did not try to hide anything about his situation. Let me tell you something. If I can bring these things back, maybe I can earn 1,000 times, 10,000 times, or even 1,000,000 times the benefits. Are you not worried about getting too much attention? Jiang Ming asked. After all, these items aren't items from your world. Haha. Luo Heng tossed his head back and let out a boisterous peal of laughter. This is the difference between your world and my world. The universe I'm in is vast. It's home to hundreds of millions of communities and hundreds of millions of civilizations. Different civilizations will naturally give birth to different cultivation methods. There are also secret cosmic realms or forbidden places, and it's normal to see some exotic plants and special materials. No one will question me if I tell them I got these from my adventure. Besides, these new artifacts and materials that have never appeared before are priceless to some powerful people who like to study them. Very well then, Jiang Ming laughed. Name your price. Okay, Luo Heng said. Gone was the guy who tried to sell him a tablet and 18-rated movies. It was only now Jiang Ming realized that Luo Heng was just sounding him out just now while trying to make friends with him to reduce the awkwardness between them. Luo Heng waved his hand and a four-sided peak-like item appeared out of thin air. It was invisible and made of small pieces stacked together. These are energy crystals. What do you think? Luo Heng asked. Awesome. Jiang Ming picked up one. He indeed could sense a massive amount of pure energy from the energy crystal. It was equivalent to a spirit crystal, but this energy crystal was obviously synthetic, and it could only be considered as a low-grade spirit crystal. This is too little. Jiang Ming shook his head. He picked up the low-grade Dao vessel, the heaven-shattering hammer, and said, in terms of level, this hammer is equivalent to the 6th level, and needless to say, there are many more of the same items. I have another 2 heaps of energy crystals and some other daily necessities. That's all I have. If you want, then take it. If you don't want to, then there's nothing I can do about it, Luo Heng said. All right then. Jiang Ming nodded after some contemplation. After all, he had no use for these spoils. Maybe I'll get some more items in the future. Do you want them? However, Luo Heng shook his head, much to Jiang Ming's surprise. Then, he sighed helplessly. No matter how long we stay here, it will only be an hour for the world outside. But once we leave and come back again, we won't know how long has passed here, and it will be near impossible for us to meet again. Why? Jiang Ming asked. Who knows? Luo Heng replied, shrugging. Well, this place is, after all, a terrifying existence that can bring people from different worlds and universes together. Perhaps it's only normal that it can't be understood. Jiang Ming nodded. He looked at the 3 mountains of energy crystals before him and scratched his head. There are too many of them. How should I use them? A suggestion, Brother Luo. You should prepare more high-quality energy crystals, Jiang Ming said helplessly. Although it's great to have so many of them, it's a pain in the ass to use. Haha, Luo Heng laughed. Don't worry. My wealth will definitely increase after I return. At that time, I'll buy the highest grade of energy crystals. Of course, I hope we can still meet. I hope so. After all, it's a pleasure to trade with you. Me too. By the way, Brother Jiang, you took these items from other people, right? Well, please don't tell anyone about it. Okay, don't worry. Both of them were mumbling to each other, and then Jiang Ming suddenly walked to the front. He was going to earn some points. Luo Heng and the others followed behind him as they were curious about what he was going to do. It's a pain in the ass to gain points here. Luo Heng sighed. I've never earned more than 5 points. Seriously? Jiang Ming was stunned. But there are 3 spots that can earn the points. You're right. However, you need to use it as soon as you gain it, or else the points will be useless, Luo Heng explained. Also, the process of gaining points is an arduous one. Take the Heaven Battle stage as an example. There's a probability that our opponent is someone who surpasses us by 2 realms. You're kidding, right? Jiang Ming was shocked. Nope, I'm not kidding. This is how things work here, Luo Heng replied. After all, only geniuses from different worlds and universes can come here, and those who are too weak and can't pass the 3 trials won't be able to get here as well. In my world, those who are able to come here have the qualifications of being a great emperor, Yue Cheng timed in. In my world, those people are beloved by God, Oram said. Jiang Ming fell silent. He came to the corridor, lifted his head and looked toward the first battle stage. There was a stone tablet beside the corridor with 3 names engraved in gold on it. Nian Beishan, 4 stages Ming Fei, 4 stages Peng Mo, 4 stages what are these? Jiang Ming asked as he pointed at the stone tablet. If you want to know what these are, just step onto the corridor or touch the stone tablet, Luo Heng explained. Oh yeah, one more thing. Since we all come from different worlds and have different cultivation methods, to make it easy to understand, our strength is classified into level here. Jiang Ming nodded. He glanced at the stone tablet and stepped onto the corridor. Vroom. At that moment, a stream of information surged into his head. Rule No. 1. 1 point will be granted for defeating the opponent, and the point will be doubled for every subsequent victory. Rule No. 2. The opponent on the first battle stage has the combat power of level 7. Rule No. 3. Only those who have cleared the 4th battle stage can be bestowed with supreme honor and be recorded to be admired by future generations. Rule No. 4. Those who are defeated will be teleported back to the corridor. Challengers will appear directly on the battle stage that they were defeated in the next challenge. Jiang Ming turned his head and asked, what is the strength of the 4th heavenly platform equivalent to? According to my speculation, it should be on the early stage of level 8, Luo Heng replied. I've managed to clear the first 3 battle stages, but I was defeated on the 4th battle stages. I'm pretty sure that the opponent that I went up against was at least a level 8. As for the former 3 battle stages, they were all at lower level 7, middle level 7, and upper level 7 respectively. Does this mean that the strength of those 3 people on the stone tablet is at least on level 8? Jiang Ming was shocked. A level 8 martial artist was equivalent to a parody martial artist. He knew very well how powerful and how hard it was to kill a parody martial artist. During his fight with Yi Shang, he wouldn't have the confidence that he could defeat him if he hadn't pulled him into the mana-sealing chest plate. Yeah, Luo Heng replied. This is also the reason why it's hard to earn points. When I was attempting the 3rd battle stage, it took me 9 attempts and 3 years to clear it. I only managed to clear the 1st battle stage, Oram added. A look of indignation crossed Guangru's face. Liu Yuan sighed softly, while Ye Qingxian said with her hands behind her back, I'm confident that I can clear the 4th battle stage on my 2nd attempt. In other words, she had only attempted once, but she had already cleared the 3rd battle stage. Yang Ming shot a glance at Ye Qingxian. He had to admit that she truly was one pretty woman. I'm really looking for you to leave your name on the stone tablet. After all, we all came in here at the same time, and I'll feel very proud as well if one of us could leave our name on the stone tablet. Luo Heng said, of course, I'll take it as encouragement. After all, who knows if I'll have a chance as well. But still, it's very hard. Throughout history, only 3 people managed to leave their names on the stone tablet. Miss Ye has the confidence to do so, but how can 2 people leave their names on the stone tablet? Oh yeah, and you too, Brother Jiang. Anyway, good luck, Brother Jiang. I hope you can conquer the 4th battle stage, Luo Heng said. The 4th battle stage, huh? Jiang Ming smiled. He picked up his pace and soon arrived at the 1st battle stage. It looked like a stone platform from the platform, but it was only then Jiang Ming knew he was wrong after he arrived here. This was a huge battleground. There were deep ravines and rocky outcrops everywhere that stretched for nearly hundreds of kilometers in circumference. Please register your weapon. Please take note that only ordinary weapons are allowed. Weapons with special attributes are strictly prohibited. A voice rang into Jiang Ming's ears, and a minotaur stood in front of him. The minotaur had 2 horns on its head and was holding a big hammer. There was golden light swirling around it, giving it an impressive look. No weapon needed, Jiang Ming announced. Battle starts. The minotaur on the other side swung its hammer and charged toward Jiang Ming in the next moment. Golden light burst out and the sound of an explosion echoed as if the Akasa couldn't handle its power. At the same time, a strong suppressive force swept across Jiang Ming and increased the gravity by multiple times. This was the Earth Dao. Jiang Ming was not perturbed by it. He clenched his fist and gathered up all his strength and mana in his punch, sending both the minotaur and hammer flying away. Jiang Ming stepped on the spatial nodes without giving the minotaur a chance to fight back and delivered another kick to it. Congratulations, Jiang Ming, on clearing the first battle stage. You have been rewarded with 1 point. You can choose to continue the battle or return to the corridor. Yang Ming flew toward the corridor in the distance without any hesitation. Luo Heng and the others had been watching the fight from the moment Jiang Ming stepped onto the first battle stage. How long do you think he is going to take to clear the stage? Luo Heng asked. I think he'll lose, Guang Ru said. Her voice was charming, but there was a hint of derision in it. He really has a lot of guts not to use any weapon. Maybe he has a lot of confidence in his own strength. Yue Cheng added. Maybe he can defeat his opponent in 2 punches. 2 punches? That's ridiculous, Guang Ru replied. He's just a human. Without any weapon She came to an abrupt stop when she saw Jiang Ming had made quick work of the minotaur, and her face sank. Yi Qingxian darted a glance at him. That's terrific, Luo Heng exclaimed. How many battle stages do you think he can clear, Ms. Yi? Maybe all 4? Yi Qingxian replied. There was a divine light swirling in her eyes. All 4? Guang Ru scoffed as she summoned a chair behind her. She sat down and a green-colored wine glass appeared in her hand. Jiang Ming cleared both the second and the third battle stages with ease. Soon he stepped onto the 4th battle stage and a serious expression appeared on his face. Let's see if I can defeat a parody martial artist or not, Jiang Ming said. There was a sword in front of Jiang Ming on the 4th battle stage. A sword? Well, it's better than nothing. As the thought flitted across Jiang Ming's head, he stretched his arm forward and picked up the sword. A human figure appeared right in front of him. He was wearing a blue robe and had long hair. There was a sword in his hands as well. God-slaying heart sword. No sooner had a light flashed on the forehead of the man than his attack came. It was an attack on the level of the primal spirit realm, which was a terrifyingly powerful move. Without a special defensive ability, it could kill one in merely a second. Voom. However, Jiang Ming was prepared. The light of 5 elements began to flow and weave around the membrane of the Sea of Consciousness before turning into a simple defense barrier. In the past, when Mu Shuiyun's primal spirit had attacked him, he had been comprehending the method to defend his Sea of Consciousness. However, even until today, he only managed to achieve the elementary stage. He used the 5 elemental Symbota to form a protective barrier. The membrane of the Sea of Consciousness shook, but it did not break. The man's sword had already arrived in front of him. Swoosh! Jiang Ming disappeared, and when he appeared again, he was behind the man. Great Akasa formless sword chi. Jiang Ming raised his hand, and 9 sword energies appeared around him. He then sent them all toward the young man, cracking the Akasa and crushing the divine light of protection around the young man in the process. Suddenly, the area around him dimmed, and an ocean descended on the battlefield. Jiang Ming knew this was the Akasa projection. The young man was trying to use this to suppress her sword energies. It was rather effective, but Jiang Ming was unperturbed. He took a deep breath and his body began to increase in size until he became as large as a titan. This was the 3-fold astral transformation. His physical strength had been increased by 8 times his original strength, and his raging aura had turned into an ocean, causing the Paradise projection to shake violently. 9 divine mountain treasures. Jiang Ming threw his sword away and activated another special ability. This was also another powerful special ability given to him by the system. 9 divine mountains had appeared on top of him, their aura so powerful that they could crush everything around it. This special ability had 3 stages as well. During the first stage, he could form a black divine mountain. When he could form 9 of them, it would be considered he had cultivated it to perfection, and the black divine mountain would transform into the silver divine mountain, which was the elementary level of the second stage. In order to master the second stage and enter the third stage, which was the golden divine mountain, he needed to form 9 of them first. Right now, Jiang Ming had reached the second stage of the special ability, which was the silver divine mountain. Divine mountain embracement, Jiang Ming shouted. He activated the Earth Dao, the Suppression Dao, and the Decimation Dao as he wrapped his arms around the divine mountain. The divine mountain shrank rapidly, and Jiang Ming felt himself become heavier. Suppress, he shouted. Rumble. The divine mountain contained immense power, and Jiang Ming threw the divine mountain toward the young man. Seeing that the divine mountain was coming straight at him while crushing everything in its path with its terrifying power, the young man finally parted his lips and shouted, Paradise Ascension, "Come forth, thunderstorm spears." The parody projection turned into a sheet of light and engulfed the divine mountain in an attempt to stop it. At the same time, the sword energy became spears of lightning and stormed at the divine mountain. Unfortunately, his effort was futile. The parody projection dissipated, and the thunderstorm spear exploded. The divine mountain crumbled away and the young man was flying toward the back. Half of his body had turned into a blood mist. Yang Ming was sent backward by the blast as well, but he soon regained his stance. His figure disappeared, and when he appeared again, he was behind the young man. He delivered a punch at him and crushed his head. However, a small human figure appeared out of the young man's forehead. It was his primal spirit. The small human figure turned around in the air and transformed into sword energy before darting straight at the center of Jiang Ming's eyebrow. Soul decimation. This was the young man's last resort. It was fast, but unfortunately, Jiang Ming was a tad faster. He disappeared again and reappeared 10,000 meters away. "There's no way I'll let you have your way. Nine Heavens Imperial Lightning, die." Jiang Ming raised his hand, and a barrage of thunder rained down on the primal spirit, obliterating it in the process. A primal spirit was agile but very fragile. Congratulations to Jiang Ming for clearing the 4th battle stage and gaining 8 points. Congratulations to Jiang Ming again for clearing the 4th battle stage. Special access permission has been granted, and please check the details through the Supreme Order later. Jiang Ming was surprised. There's a hidden bonus? Special access permission, what is that? Although Jiang Ming was curious about it, he knew now was not the right time to check on it. Due to the enhancement of the power from the Akasa, Jiang Ming was able to regain all his lost energy in the blink of an eye. He flew toward the next corridor and headed to the 5th battle stage. Meanwhile, a new name had appeared at the bottom of the stone tablet on the corridor beside the platform. Jiang Ming, 4 stages. Luo Heng and the others were shocked. Did he just kill his opponent? Wang Rui asked, her voice filled with disbelief. Unbelievable. Luo Heng explained, many geniuses have come to this place, but only those 3 were able to leave their names on the stone tablet, and now there's another one. Why am I a little jealous to witness such a historic moment? Also, I can feel my blood boiling. I'm feeling the same way too, Oram chimed in. The opponent in the 4th battle stage is on a whole different level. They can bring forth a dimension that I don't even know how to fight against. That's the ability that I keep losing to. Luo Heng smiled bitterly. Not only does the dimension has the ability to suppress and restrict our movements, but we also have to watch out for the attacks that will come at us from all directions. Defending myself is all I could manage. That's right. Yi Qingshan joined the conversation, her eyes filled with surprise. But he could break through that ability and defeat his opponent by fully utilizing his great power and teleportation skill. You made it sound very easy, but do you know how hard it is? Luo Heng said. Great power? No matter how strong he is, he's going up against someone who's much stronger than him. Do you know how much of a combat experience one would need to carry out the feat that he just did, and the teleportation skill that you mentioned? That's a special ability that can only be achieved after one has fully comprehended the spatial Dao. Not many in our realm can do that. At least, I've never heard of anyone in our realm who can comprehend the spatial Dao. Me neither, Ye Qingshan said as she shook her head. Both his strength and level of intelligence are beyond imagination. I think he can clear the 5th battle stage too. The 5th battle stage? Everyone gasped when they heard what Yi Qingshan said. All of them couldn't help but wonder if Jiang Ming could really clear the 5th battle stage or not. Given his performance on the 4th battle stage, there was a possibility. No, he must be able to clear it. If he could clear the 5th stage, did that mean that he had broken the record? Luo Heng couldn't help himself and exclaim, wow, if he really can clear the 5th stage, then it would be so awesome. Oh please, Wang Rui harumphed. On the 5th battle stage, Jiang Ming picked the sword as well. He was going up to the same young man, but this time, the young man was wearing a black robe and was giving off a different vibe. His entire being was clad in the aura of calamity, as if he was the manifestation of disaster. The calamity Dao, and he's in the middle stage of the parody's realm? Jiang Ming became serious. Rumble. For a moment the young man cast the parody projection on him. Raging wind, fiery sun, falling meteorites, surging magma, and sword energies that flew here and there. The entire area was filled with all sorts of calamitous forces, and it seemed like the end of the world inside the parody's projection. Jiang Ming was shocked. Amazing. He has combined all the Symbodas together to form the calamity Dao. Wooden dragon. That being said, Jiang Ming knew now was not the time to get amazed by his opponent. He swiftly calmed himself down and activated his special ability. A huge forest appeared on the battlefield. The tree branches and vines twined against each other and formed into multiple green dragons. As they all rushed toward the young man, they were crushed by the various calamitous forces. Great manifestation technique. Jiang Ming summoned 2 decoys and sent them to the left and right of the young man. One of them flipped his palm to form the Heaven Suppression Divine Seal, while the other activated the 9 heavenly cannon. Storm hypostasis. The young man transformed into a wisp of wind and merged into the parody projection, causing both of the decoys to miss their attacks. Jiang Ming had already activated the threefold astral transformation. Initially, he planned to use the decoy as a distraction while he himself attacked the young man, but his plan failed. He even had lost track of his opponent. He could use the human path's record to track him, but he refused to, for he was going to rely on his own strength to fight. A few minutes later, both of the decoys were defeated. His opponent's movements were unpredictable, but luckily he could teleport so he could still hold on. I can't keep on like this. He can merge into the parody's projection, and it's too hard to kill him. If I want to get him, I need to get rid of the parody's projection first. Yang Ming calmed himself down and successfully found his opponent with that thought in mind. Found you, he exclaimed. He activated the 9 divine mountain treasures without wasting any time and forced the young man to come out. In the meantime, the parody projection was distorted and disappeared. Die! Jiang Ming shouted and dashed toward the young man. The young man was not going down just like this. Countless calamitous forces fell on Jiang Ming and created many wounds on his body. In the end, the young man was defeated, and this time Jiang Ming had obtained 16 points. As soon as Jiang Ming entered the battlefield on the 6th battle stage, he felt he was enveloped in a chrysalis of despair and darkness. His opponent was a martial artist who had mastered the light and darkness Dao. He just summoned the darkness on him, and Jiang Ming had fallen into absolute darkness. Even if he tried to teleport here and there, he couldn't prevent himself from getting stabbed through his forehead. So this is death? Jiang Ming said as he appeared in the corridor beside the platform. He touched his forehead as a chill ran down his spine. He took a while to calm himself down and heaved out a sigh. Let's see what is so special about the access permission. I hope it's something good like becoming the master of the Supreme Pagoda. As he was thinking, he pulled out the Supreme Order. Luo Heng and the others had come down as well. All of them looked at Jiang Ming in amazement. In the past, only 3 people could clear the 4th battle stage, but Jiang Ming had broken the record by clearing the 5th stage. Congratulations, brother Jiang, Luo Heng said. He knew that someone like Jiang Ming would certainly grow into an incredible person if he had the chance. That's terrific, Yue Cheng said. She had managed to clear 3 stages, but she stopped at the 4th stage. Therefore, she was well aware of how powerful the opponent of the 4th stage was. However, Jiang Ming had not only been able to clear the 4th stage, but he could even clear the 5th stage. He was a lot stronger than her. In my world, a lot of people say that I'll become the empress in the future. But how about him? There are no words that can describe him better than boundless prospects. Oram and Lu Yuan also came forward and congratulated him. As for Guang Rui, she just pouted and turned her head sideways. After all, both of them came from 2 different worlds, and she was confident that they wouldn't meet each other again. When they looked at the name on the top of the stone tablet, they still couldn't help but feel amazed. Jiang Ming, 5 stages he was number 1. Throughout history, only 4 people could leave their names on the stone tablet, and one of them had even managed to break the record and clear the 5th stage. Since all of them were geniuses and were much stronger than their peers in their respective worlds, they had all felt they were the best when they first arrived here. However, the longer they stayed here, the more they felt how wrong they were. The gap between each genius was different. Some were as small as a river, while some were as large as a ravine. First was Luo Heng, then Yue Cheng, and now Jiang Ming. They were not humans but monsters who were ridiculously strong. Do you want to give the heavenly ladder a try? Luo Heng asked as he pointed at the jade-white staircase on the other side. Your willpower will be tested. Since you have such great battle prowess, I'm sure you have strong willpower too. I'll take a break first, Jiang Ming said. Although I'd physically recovered from the battle, I still feel tired mentally. You're right, but remember to tell me when you're going to attempt the heavenly ladder. I'm sure it'll be a sight to behold. Sure, thank you so much, brother Jiang. They all left him alone after chatting with him for a while. Some of them continued to enjoy their drinks while the others formed into a group and were discussing something. However, none of them were going to attempt the heavenly battle stage, the heavenly ladder, or try to comprehend the Million Dao chart. Sitting on the couch, Yang Ming pulled out the Supreme Order. A stream of information entered his head with a flick of his mind and he was shocked. The information about the special access permission was as follows. Those who had cleared the 4th stage of the heavenly battle stage would be granted a chance to join the Supreme Chat Room. It allowed everyone in the group to chat with each other outside of the Supreme Pagoda. After joining the chat room, one would be kicked out of the chat room if they did not pass the trial of the Supreme Pagoda on the next attempt after their cultivation base had been raised. However, one would be kicked out of the chat room as well when their cultivation base had surpassed level 10. It was not anything impressive, yet Jiang Ming was shocked. In other words, I can chat with different geniuses even if we're in different worlds or universes? This is sick. But why is there a group chat that brings together the top group of geniuses? What is the purpose? Jiang Ming thought. There was his information in the Supreme Order as well. Name Jiang Ming Cultivation Base. Level 5 point accumulated. 31 points honor. 5 stages record. It was just some basic information. At the bottom was the link to join the chat room. As long as he clicked yes, he would be part of the chat room. Yang Ming closed his eyes, pretending that he was taking a nap. He joined the chat room with a flick of his mind. At that moment, a chat interface appeared in the Supreme Order. On the top was the name of the chat group, Supreme Group 9. Below was where the conversation took place, and the group member's name information was shown on the right. Welcome, Ed. It has been 30 years. We finally have a new friend. Welcome. Guys, we have a new friend here. Let's come out and welcome him. Those guys must be in seclusion again. Or maybe they're currently being hunted down. Well, that's possible, but there's only one end for going against people like us. Death.
Luby can be luckier than us.
We're beloved by the world, and going up against us is like going up against the entire world. Then can you explain why I always end up very miserably when someone is hunting me down? There's an instance where I nearly died. Give me some points and I'll give you a forbidden weapon that can even slay a level 10 martial artist. Forbidden weapon, talismans, sealed powers. Just give me your points and I'll give you all these to save your life. Jiang Ming looked at their conversation and fell into silence. There are only 9 members in this chat group. In other words, only very few people across different worlds could clear the 4th stage. Amongst the 3 people, Ao Ju and Feng Wu had a big background, and they both had an immense amount of power that gods could only rival. However, Zhang Ge was a little bit sad. At the same time, he also noticed that everyone who could enter this chat room felt that they were the chosen ones. Whoosh! The human path's record flipped open, and Zhang Ji's name and his information appeared. Name: Zhang Ji, race human origin, Huanggu World Cultivation Base, level 8 status, currently recuperating after being hunted down. Well, he truly is one unlucky bastard, Yang Ming commented. He then went to the next page. Name: Au Ju, race, dragon, gender, male origin, small chiliocosm world, cultivation base, level 10 mutated 9-headed dragon, status: it has been the 18th day since he started to sleep with a female scaled dragon. Dumb, he truly has a lot of stamina, Jiang Ming exclaimed. But he's a 9-headed dragon. Does this mean that he has 9 heads? Would their heads fight with each other? Jiang Ming hastily stopped the thought as soon as it surfaced in his head. I've heard of a 9-headed snake, a 9-headed scaled dragon, but this is the first time I come across a 9-headed dragon. There really are a lot of interesting things in this universe, but the world he's in is known as the small chiliocosm world. Is the chiliocosm the same as the small chiliocosm in my mind? A myriad of questions appeared in his head, but he decided to push them aside first. He flipped to the next page. Name: Feng Wu, race, phoenix, gender, female origin, fire god, middle chiliocosm, world cultivation base, level 10 status. She couldn't make up her mind if she should break into the next level or not. Once she ascended into level 11, she would lose access to the chat room, as well as the possession right to the Supreme Order if she failed the Supreme Pagoda's trial. She was also wondering if she should get 2 juvenile dragons to satisfy her desires. Shang Ming was rendered speechless. Ao Ju would certainly fly into a rage if he knew what Feng Wu was thinking.
Ao Ju, new friend, you've been a little bit too quiet. Hurry up and tell us your race, where you come from, your cultivation base, and your achievement.
Basic information is also available on the group member profile. Let me have a look first. He's only level 5 and he... What? He has cleared the 5th stage of the Heavenly Battle stage? This is incredible. Hachu Poshir, he has cleared the 5th stage? That's pretty awesome. After all, the Heavenly Battle stage is the hardest in the Supreme Pagoda. If my memory serves me right, no one has ever cleared the 5th stage of the Heavenly Battle stage before throughout history, and he's the first one. Brother Jiang, you'll be my brother from today onward.
Shame on you.
You're considered a great monarch for him now.
Shame on you.
You're considered a great monarch for him now. Walju, he's a genius, not to mention that he's a human and could enter the Supreme Pagoda. In another 100 years, I'm afraid he will become even stronger than both of us. Thing one true. If I didn't need to suppress my realm, I'd be able to surpass you in just 10 years. A junior of mine took only 30 years to reach level 10, although he's still no match for me, and I nearly killed him. That's the reason you're being hunted, right? Judging from your battle prowess, by right, you should be able to roam about in different planes without much effort. How come you are being hunted down?
There are 8 level 10 and a dozen level 9 coming after me, and all of them are equipped with immortal weapons. There's nothing I could do other than running for my life.
Considering your status in your world, you shouldn't be able to come across so many powerful beings. Serve you right. Deem it. You really have a lot of nerves, brother. Jiang Ming gave Zhang Yi a thumbs up inwardly after seeing what he had done. He thought for a moment and decided to say something. Hi guys, pleased to meet you. Here he comes. Introduce yourself. For example, what kind of world do you come from and what's so special about it? Well, there's nothing special. All of us there just keep cultivating to become stronger. By the way, can we trade here? Yes, but the feature isn't available now. We were just joking when we said we're going to give forbidden weapons to Zhang Yi just now. Why? We need a group admin. We had one in the past, but unfortunately he left the group and we haven't had one since then. How can one become the group admin? Brother Jiang, you have the chance of becoming the group admin. After all, you have cleared the 5th stage of the heavenly battle stage, so you must have strong willpower and a high level of intelligence. Brother Jiang, work harder and try to become the group admin. After you become the group admin, we can trade between us. Ha, what an idiotic woman. You haven't told him how to become a group admin yet. Anyway, Brother Jiang, if you want to become the group admin, you just need to clear the 4th stage, have 10 levels records, and 99 units of special abilities. If you can really become the group admin, I'll call you my boss. The 3 of them chatted for a long while. Since all of them were from different worlds, there was nothing for them to hide from each other. Besides, there was a probability that Jiang Ming could become the group admin, so Zhang Yi and the other 2 would answer all of his questions. For example, the division of worlds. The planes were at the lowest level, and they were further divided into different levels. Generally speaking, they could sustain level 10 martial artists at most, but only a few of them could do it. Moving up were the small Chiliocosm, middle Chiliocosm, and great Chiliocosm. As for the higher level of worlds, even Zhang Yi and the others did not know about it. By now he had only one doubt about the higher level worlds and the origins of the group members. Amongst the group members, were they from different worlds within chaos, or did they cross the chaos? As a human, he couldn't help himself but keep wondering, if they could cross the chaos, then the Supreme Pagoda was truly a terrifying existence. Jiang Ming called his wandering mind back, but he did not open his eyes. He needed to figure out what he should do to become the group admin. According to Aju, only the group admin could activate the trading feature in the chat room. Also, the group admin would have different other powers as well. As for what they were, I can't tell you. The requirements to become the group admin are 4 stages record, 10 levels record, and 99 units of special abilities. He needed to clear the 4th stage of the heavenly battle stage, climb up to the 10th level of the heavenly ladder, and comprehend 99 special abilities from the Million Dao chart. Then he would be qualified to be the group admin. Honestly, it was difficult for other races, but it was nothing for him as he was a human. After all, humans grew very fast and had a high level of intelligence. As for other races, such as the dragons, they indeed were born with powerful bloodlines and great powers, but their minds and willpower grew slowly. They might get really powerful in the later stage, but they were pretty weak in the early stage, and it was hard for them to defeat an opponent who was in a higher realm. After that, Jiang Ming opened his eyes and walked to the front. Luo Heng hurriedly walked forward and asked excitedly, "Brother Jiang, are you going to attempt the heavenly ladder now?" Yi Qingshan and the others also followed suit. "Yeah, I'm going to give it a try." Jiang Ming smiled. There was a question in his heart. All of the people that could come here were geniuses, but little did they expect that there was a supreme chat room above them. Those people were the real beings who stood on top of all the worlds. "Brother Jiang, I wish you good luck," Luo Heng said. Soon they arrived below the heavenly ladder. There was a stone tablet beside them, and 8 names were on it. Nian Beishan, 14 levels Hong Yi, 13 levels Tian Fozi, 12 levels Ming Fei, 11 levels Qing Fan, 11 levels Xu Wuji, 10 levels Lei Luo, 10 levels Hu Jun, 10 levels Jiang Ming saw 2 familiar names. One was Nian Beishan, and the other was Ming Fei. Both Nian Beishan and Ming Fei had cleared the 4th stage on the heavenly battle stage. However, at the heavenly ladder, Nian Beishan had climbed 3 more steps than Ming Fei. Although it might not seem like a lot, it was a world of difference. Hong Yi had climbed up to the 13th level, but why didn't he clear the 4th stage of the heavenly battle stage? Jiang Ming asked. He has strong willpower, but that doesn't mean that he's strong in combat, Yi Qingshan explained. Combat strength is the combination of physique, bloodlines, special abilities, and battle sense. I've seen one person who has rock-solid willpower, but he's weak in combat. Simply put, willpower represents the spiritual dimensions. Martial artists that follow the teaching of Buddhism have a natural advantage in this regard. For example, Tian Fozi. But I have to say that Nian Bicheng is truly powerful. He had reached the 14th level. I stopped at the 9th level and I collapsed when I stepped on the 10th level. I only reached the 8th level, Luo Heng said as he smiled bitterly. You guys truly are geniuses. Our future isn't determined by our innate talent. Otherwise, the existence of this place would be meaningless, Jiang Ming said. Both the heavenly battle and the heavenly ladder are the best places for us to hone our skills. In my world, there is one saying that goes, the early bird gets the worm, so we just need to wake up earlier. Also, the clumsy birds need to start early. We're not clumsy, nor are we stupid, and if we work harder than the slow, we'll have a very bright future. Haha, nice one, Brother Jiang. Luo Heng couldn't help but chuckle. He felt Jiang Ming was right. He was a genius, and if he worked even harder than other people, there was nothing he needed to be afraid of. Yi Qingshan nodded. Yang Ming stepped on the heavenly ladder without saying anything. In an instant, a terrifying pressure manifested itself as an overpowering sword, cutting through the air and falling straight into a sea of consciousness. On the first level of the heavenly ladder, one's soul will be attacked, but a primal spirit martial artist will be able to withstand it. Yang Ming knew what he was facing based on the information he received from Luo Heng and Gang, as well as the experience of Zhang Ge and the others. Generally speaking, a martial artist would not be able to withstand the attack if they hadn't entered the primal spirit realm yet. But Jiang Ming was unaffected. He moved up the staircases one after another without stopping. When he reached the 9th level, 9 swords appeared in front of him and rammed into his sea of consciousness. It was a test of his willpower, and there was nothing he could do but go up against it. It was the best if he could withstand it, but if he couldn't, he would fail. Jiang Ming took a few deep breaths. He already had the experience since he had come across something like this when he first entered the Supreme Pagoda. Therefore, he knew how to deal with it. Luo Heng and the others were watching him from the bottom of the heavenly ladder. He's already at the 9th level? Terrific, Luo Heng exclaimed. Even though I'm a genius in my own world, I'm still very impressed by him. He truly is the greatest genius I've ever seen across so many worlds. Well, Yi Qingxian chimed in, you're probably right. Looking at him, Guangru did not know what to say. She had just managed to reach the 2nd floor. Before coming across Jiang Ming, she thought she had a noble bloodline and unparalleled talent, but it was only then she realized how insignificant she was after meeting Jiang Ming. Sigh, I thought we're already considered highly talented geniuses, but he's truly in a whole different world compared to us. Orim sighed. Yeah, you're right, Lu Yuan added. There was a mixed expression on his face. People always said that there would be no harm if there were no comparison, and it was only through comparison that one knew their limit. On the heavenly ladder, Jiang Ming had reached the 10th level. Suddenly, a rain of thousands of arrows descended to rip his sea of consciousness apart, and his leg trembled for a moment. On the 11th level, countless bolts of lightning and thunder enveloped his sea of consciousness, filling every inch of space and trying to annihilate everything. This time, he stopped for even longer. On the 12th level, his face turned slightly pale. On the 13th level, his body began to shake. On the 14th level, a drop of sweat dripped down from Jiang Ming's forehead. On the 15th level, the space above his sea of consciousness suddenly collapsed and turned into a black hole, sweeping away everything and trying to swallow his entire sea of consciousness into it. Jiang Ming's vision turned black, but there was a light deep inside of his heart. When the darkness looms, use the light of your heart to shatter the darkness. The light inside of his heart turned into a sword and slashed across the surroundings, driving the darkness away. On the 16th floor, countless stars appeared above his sea of consciousness. Each of them then fell down as streams of light, giving rise to an apocalyptic scene. Bam! The stars burned with flames and fell into the sea of consciousness, exploding with an impact force that destroyed everything. Yang Ming trembled, but he pressed on. My heart is a boundless place that can hold everything under heaven. Jiang Ming's heart let out a cry and the sea of consciousness suddenly expanded. It rolled over violently, enveloping the starry sky and integrating it all into the sea of consciousness. He cleared the level and felt a surge of relief washing through his heart. Then, he suddenly understood something. He had comprehended multiple sembodas and various special abilities, including the 5 elemental, yin and yang, light and dark, life and death, reincarnation, karma, and spatial in the past. Whenever he successfully mastered one samboda or special ability, his heart and mind would be strengthened once. As time passed, he had indomitable willpower. Unfortunately, although the membrane around his sea of consciousness was strong, it could only serve as a passive defense, and he did not have any special abilities that could improve the protection. He cleared the 17th level as if he was walking through the park. On the 18th level, a human figure and a sword appeared in his sea of consciousness. The human figure was none other than his junior sister, and the sword was Sword of Demise. Either you or I will die today, his junior sister said. There was no expression on her face as she swung her sword downward in a mighty swipe. Then, Jiang Ming realized with surprise that the sword seemed to have the ability to control time. Whenever she swung it, 1,000,000,000 years seemed to have passed. His sea of consciousness dimmed under the sword light, his willpower withered, and the fire inside of his heart seemed to be extinguished. Yang Ming was getting older and older as time passed. He could barely move, and all he could was watch as the sword descended on him. Suddenly, his figure, old and hunched, appeared in his sea of consciousness that had already gone dry. Am I going to die in the hands of my junior sister? Am I going to die without getting to understand everything in this universe? Ha! He lifted his head with a crooked smile tugging at the tip of his lips. I've seen the secret to immortality here. I've seen the power that can move mountains and raise the sea, but I haven't achieved immortality. I haven't obtained the power that can reshape the world, and I haven't truly experienced everything in the world yet. So how could I lose here? You will forever be my junior sister, but I'll not get defeated by you, Jiang Ming said as determination appeared on his face. Junior sister, although you're my sweetheart, I'll never allow you to do this to me, Jiang Ming shouted, his voice cold. Slowly, he lifted his finger. I love you, I care about you, and I can allow you to do whatever you want to me, but how could you do this to me? The arrogance that he had been suppressing in the heart erupted. Now die. He channeled all his mana and strength to his fingertip, causing it to emit light so bright it could only be compared by the starlight in the sky. Bam! The tip of the sword broke and his junior sister began to dissipate. The pressure that had been pressing on him vanished, and he had returned to how he usually looked. Jiang Ming heaved out a sigh of relief. He felt as if something inside of him had changed. His sea of consciousness was glowing brightly, and his willpower had gotten even stronger. He was hunched over, sweating profusely as if an unbearable weight was weighing him down. However, he refused to give up. He kept his head high as he looked at the sky. He lifted his right finger and pointed at the sky, and slowly he straightened his body as he asked inwardly, "Is this the real me?" He took a deep breath and stepped on the 19th level. Suddenly, a spear came from chaos, pierced through the sky and dashed straight toward his sea of consciousness. Accumulated 130 points honor, 5 stages record, 18 levels record. Jiang Ming failed on the 19th level and fell to the ground from the heavenly ladder. Although he recovered fast, his mind was still a muddled mess and his soul was trembling. The spear on the 19th level had been so powerful that it stunned him the moment it appeared and crushed his sea of consciousness in the blink of an eye. "It's too powerful," Jiang Ming exclaimed. He let out a sigh and then smiled when he saw how many points he had accumulated. He had accumulated 31 points from the heavenly battle stage, but he got even more points from the heavenly ladder. One would get 1 point for clearing the first 9 levels of the heavenly ladder dedicated to the martial artist in the primal spirit realm. Starting from the 10th level to the 18th level, only a parody martial artist had a chance of clearing them. Not only that, but they were getting 10 points for each stage. "You're awesome." Luo Heng and the others came over. All of them were wearing surprised expressions on their faces. They didn't think that someone could reach the 18th level until they met Jiang Ming. "Terrific!" Yi Qingshan exclaimed, her eyes glowing. She looked at the stone tablet next to her and unexpectedly saw Jiang Ming's name on the top. Yi Qingshan couldn't help herself and exclaim again, "18th level. It means that you have the willpower of a level 8 martial artist, yet in reality you're only a level 5-1. This is unbelievable. What I envy most are the points you gained. It's just too amazing." Orem cried out after he did mental calculations. "Once he consumes those points, I can't imagine how powerful he will become." Everyone sucked in air sharply after they heard what Orem had said. Even Guang Rui couldn't help herself and lick her lips. Jiang Ming let out a smile but did not say anything. After chatting with them for a while, he went to the side, sat in a lotus position, and began recuperating. After all, his mind was exhausted and the spear had pierced through his sea of consciousness. Time was flowing slowly. It was only when his sea of consciousness returned to its original state that Jiang Ming rose to his feet. He felt refreshed, and the lethargy he felt earlier was gone. Luo Heng and the rest did not leave. They did not go to comprehend the heavenly monuments or the Dao monuments as they waited for him. Jiang Ming nodded at them and after a short contemplation, he walked toward the Million Dao chart behind him. He was going to get some special abilities. The Million Dao chart was a massive monument. Jiang Ming had to lift his head to look at it, and he was amazed. There were many lines and nodes on top of the Million Dao chart, and they gave off the vibe of a starry sky. He squinted his eyes slightly and saw several Dao rhythms in them. He hastily sat in a lotus position and closed his eyes. As he tried to make a mental connection with the Million Dao chart, he felt a strange aura had enveloped him in a barrier, preventing people from the outside from interrupting him. He did not have to worry about the passage of time, so he decided to take his sweet time comprehending the special abilities. An illusionary scene that represented the world of his mind appeared behind him. It seemed like the Paradise projection, but nobody could see it. Inside the Million Dao chart, Jiang Ming felt he had arrived at the origin of all forces. A plume of flame exploded and turned into a star. It then continued to collapse and condense into a point before turning back into a plume of flame. In the next second, he felt he had come to the eye of the storm. He was surrounded by a raging wind that could even destroy his body and soul. Before he could take a closer look at it, lightning burst out of nowhere and a dark fog descended. "This is the transformation of power, but it's a muddled mess. I need to sort them out one by one and analyze the changes of power during the process, as well as the transformation of the Semboda," Jiang Ming said. Jiang Ming had a basic understanding of the special ability. In fact, special abilities were divided into several grades as well. Elementary grade special abilities only utilized the Semboda. In the intermediate grade, one could fuse several Sembodas and make changes regarding the mysteries of Dao. In the advanced grade, it generally involved the changes of laws, the fusion of several Sembodas, or the utilization of space and time power. As for the supreme grade, well, as the name suggested, it could draw out the full power of laws and suppress everything in the world. This was everything that Yang Ming knew about special abilities. he would be granted 1 point for every 8 elementary special abilities comprehended, and it accumulated from there. However, 1 supreme special ability was equivalent to 2 advanced special abilities, 4 intermediate special abilities, and 8 elementary special abilities. Some people would have a hard time gaining points from the Million Dao chart, while it was a breeze for other people. It all depended on the level of intellect of that particular person. Feng Wu had once said that one person had comprehended thousands of special abilities, a feat that nobody could surpass until this day. Time went by slowly. 3 days later, a silhouette that looked like Jiang Ming appeared behind his back. The silhouette then performed a hand seal and created a red lotus. The red lotus then exploded, and a pillar of light rushed out from above his head. In the distance, Yue Cheng, who had been observing Jiang Ming, exclaimed, "Amazing! It took him only 3 days to comprehend a special ability." "Yeah, he is truly a genius," Luo Heng chimed in. "How many special abilities do you think he can comprehend? 10 or 20? I can't tell," Ye Qingxian said. Comprehending special abilities is a tiring process, and one would get exhausted very easily. However, judging from his willpower, I think a dozen shouldn't be a problem for him. Luo Heng smiled bitterly. "It took me half a year to comprehend 1 special ability, and I was already exhausted. How can you compare yourself to him?" Yi Qingxian said, darting him a glance. Luo Heng nearly choked. Several hours later, another beam of light shot out of Jiang Ming's head. This meant that he had comprehended another special ability. Yi Qingxian froze when she saw the scene. "Ha!" Luo Heng turned around. "He has shattered my pride and confidence." "Well, you're not alone," Ye Qingxian said, her voice low. Guangru, Li Yu Yan, and Orim were rendered speechless too. More and more pillars of light appeared from Jiang Ming's head. Most of them were under 10 meters in height, but some were about 100 meters in height. This meant that he had comprehended an intermediate special ability. Generally, a level 5 martial artist would need a lot of effort to comprehend an intermediate special ability. "Holy!" Luo Heng shouted. "Jesus Christ!" Yi Qingxian followed suit. This was because a light pillar of about 1,000 meters in height had appeared above Jiang Ming's head. It was so bright it could light up the entire sky. If there was a light pillar of about 1,000 meters in height, it meant he had successfully comprehended a supreme special ability. Luo Heng and Ye Qingxian sighed. A supreme special ability generally involved the utilization of laws. However, there were several special occasions as well. For example, fusing several Sambodhas together, or developing a certain Sambodha to a higher degree. But either way, it was a miracle. However, what surprised them the most was that although Jiang Ming had comprehended more than 40 types of special abilities, he still did not stop. One day, a voice rang out in Jiang Ming's heart. "Congratulations, you've successfully comprehended 2 advanced special abilities, 6 intermediate special abilities, and 79 elementary special abilities. You're eligible to have your name carved on the divine tablet." Simply put, since you've comprehended 99 special abilities, conquered the 5th stage of the heavenly battle stage, and cleared 18 levels of the heavenly ladder, you're qualified to become the group admin of the Supreme Chat Room. Jiang Ming, you've become the group admin of the Supreme Chat Room. Jiang Ming, the trade feature in the Supreme Chat Room has been activated. Also, as the group admin, you can mute or prevent members from trading. Please take note that the trade item is genuine, doesn't have any marks on it, and doesn't have any owner. Jiang Ming opened his eyes again. He was exhausted but happy. He was satisfied since he had successfully comprehended 99 special abilities. If he could ascend into the next realm, he could come back here and keep comprehending more special abilities. Jiang Ming was pleased with the last notification as he did not have to worry about trading items with other people in the Supreme Chat Room anymore. After all, if the item contained a mark that a certain great monarch could trace, then he would be in big trouble. I can assure that whoever is behind the Supreme Pagoda, they must be a transcendent being. While Jiang Ming was contemplating, he entered the Supreme Chat Room. It was very lively in the Supreme Chat Room. "Feng Wu, from now onward, we're a family. Congratulations, Brother Jiang. Congratulations to every one of us. Zhangyi Sob, I can finally stop fleeing. Brother Jiang, thank you. I truly appreciate your presence. I've got some points here. Do any of you have great killing weapons? I want to counterattack. I want to snatch all of their holy daughters to bear me sons. Itian Fozi, Imitaba, Mr. Zan, please do less killing. Zangi, what I despise most is you bald-headed who talk of compassion and equality of all beings, but are more ruthless and noble than anyone else. Zilei, I agree. A fucking monk nearly refined me. Hence I decided to make my world Buddha-free when my cultivation base reaches its pinnacle. Hey Gulei, you're as dominant as ever. Mingfei, Brother Jiang, the heaven god's small Chiliocosm's first princess. Because of my distinguished status, I can customize any item for you whenever you need it. Just to be clear that this service is not free, but I can give you a 50% discount. Brother Jiang, I've got a level 15 old ancestor here. Do let me know if you're in danger. I will help you at the cost of 1 point. Shinji. Brother Wang is indeed generous. Am now in danger, please help. What do you need? A level 11 war sword. Don't just attack without any defense. You'll likely be killed when you're being targeted by enemies.
Tian Ci, I've got 2 points left.
Wang Ye 1 point in exchange for a weapon.
I've got 2 points left.
Wang Ye 1 point in exchange for a weapon.
I've got 2 points left.
After all, it's not difficult for you to earn back more points with your ability. Zhang Yi, alright brother Wang, thanks. Jiang Ming read messages quietly but in astonishment. He had not thought that Wang Yi had a level 15 expert with him. Although he had no idea how strong a level 15 expert was, he knew that a level 15 expert could easily destroy his world. Yang Ming indeed did not expect to meet people with profound backgrounds in the chat group. Jiang Ming, brother Wang, why do you still remain at level 10 when you've such a strong background and you're from a middle Chiliocosm? He had checked on Wang Ye with his human path records. Wang Ye, human male level 10 from mythical middle Chiliocosm, was so talented that incurred heaven's jealousy. He was currently suppressing himself with an artifact so that he could continue enhancing his foundation for a breakthrough. He wanted to continue staying in the Supreme Pagoda and also wished to join the Supreme Chat Room of a higher level. Yang Ming was surprised to read Wang Ye's information. Although it was the system's evaluation, the use of so talented that incurred heaven's jealousy was, after all, unbelievable. Moreover, Wang Ye seemed to have a better understanding of the Supreme Pagoda. Wang Ye, just because the world Temin is ranked too high, I was born with a primal spirit, grow too fast and miss out on a lot of opportunities. Therefore, since I now have this supreme order, I shall suppress my cultivation base. However, because my cultivation base is now at its limit, I can't suppress it much longer. Anyway, I'm surprised to see someone becoming the group admin before I leave. What an unexpected pleasure. Feng Wu, little Wang, I can't suppress any longer either. Let's decide a time to leave together. Who knows, we could meet again. Wang Yue, sure, let's leave together. I'm glad to see Brother Jiang becoming our group admin, so I'll spill some beans about the Supreme Pagoda. It's a very tall pagoda, beyond your imagination. Based on my understanding, it's challenging to have a group admin. But if each group admin can grow up smoothly, they'll definitely be a shining star in all heavens and worlds. Wang Yu, one must also stay low profile, as low as possible. Well, let me just share my experience as a piece of advice for you. Wang Yue, in fact, team not the one who's supposed to get this supreme order in my world. It belonged to another man. Obtaining this supreme order equals obtaining an inconceivable opportunity. As expected, he started growing up rapidly and took out items not belonging to my world. To us, it was obviously abnormal, wasn't it? This man also acted in a high-profile and domineering manner. As a result, he offended my Wang clan and was killed. In the end, I accidentally got this supreme order, and it became mine. Remember, never make this supreme pagoda a sanctuary. For however long you stay in it, only 2 hours will pass in reality. Jiang Ming nodded in agreement as he read. Staying high profile could indeed easily offend others, hence becoming a target. Anyway, he did not believe in Wang Yi's claim that he had killed that man just because that man provoked his Wang clan. It must be due to the ability of that man to grow up at an incredible speed and take out something unusual that had attracted the Wang clan's attention, which then forcefully decapitated that man. That man's death was unjustified? No, it was not. In the cultivation world, it was, after all about competing for chances. Being low profile is the way to go. Jiang Ming exclaimed to himself. Meanwhile, he remained silent while reading the chat content. Zhangge Biru de Sangai I see men. If you're a member of my world, you'd have been killed. If you're to act high profile, you'd have to get a strong ally or support. Otherwise, you'd mostly be killed. Just like your situation now. If Brother Jiang did not become the group admin, how long could you last? Zhang Yi. So, I must thank Brother Jiang. Does his presence as a group admin mean that we now have strong support? Wang Ye, Chimigu. The group admin is indeed our strongest support. At the same time, Jiang Ming also checked the condition of other members. Ming Fei, divine being, female, level 10, originated from the heaven god's small Chiliocosm, currently suppressing her cultivation because of her intention to strengthen her foundation to a degree that no one has ever done before so as to pull off with a great coup. Tian Fozi, spiritual Buddha, born from exceptionally precious Bodhi seed, level 10, originated from the benevolent small Chiliocosm. The biggest question in his mind is whether he is a male or a female, hence he decided to question Buddha for clarification when he meets Buddha in the future. Zile, innate being, born from a wisp of foreign violet heavenly divine lightning, level 10, originated from the thunder small Chiliocosm, currently preparing for further metamorphosis. Hegu, devil clan, a fallen devil skeleton from beyond heavens which was conceived and born after 10,000 years, level 10, originated from the devil skeleton world. He is wondering whether he is a son of the devil skeleton or the devil skeleton itself. He is also planning to refine the devil skeleton world and use it for its own achievement. Yang Ming felt shivers run down his spine as he read these people's information. He was surprised to see the existence of the legendary divine being and the fact that Tian Fozi was born from a Bodhi seed. No wonder Tian Fozi had an unyielding will, capable of leaving his name on the heavenly ladder. The weirdest thing about Tian Fozi was the obsession he had with his own gender. Zi Lei was so great for being an innate being. The scariest was Hegu, who actually was planning to refine the world he was from. Nevertheless, it would be a great being in the future if it succeeded. With the presence of immortals, devils, demons, Buddhas, and human beings, the world is so big that nothing is to be surprised at. Jiang Ming was overcome with emotions and began asking his questions. Jiang Ming, Ms. Feng Wu, Brother Wang, since both of you come from middle Chiliocosms, will one ascend to another higher world once their cultivation base reaches a limit? Feng Wu, yes, but I've no idea where they'd be ascending to. Wang Ye, neither do I, but Tim's sure that they won't ascend to the Great Chiliocosm. Yang Ming, if it's not the Great Chiliocosm, where would it be? This is indeed strange. It must be recorded in my clan, but Tim not qualified yet to know. Brother Jiang, if we meet in a higher level supreme chat room, we'll definitely give you the answer. Jiang Ming, TM sorry, but I wonder if there's any legend about the Supreme Pagoda. I know what you want to ask, but I can't answer your question. Jiang Ming felt his heart skip a beat but did not inquire further. He just replied, let me know when you're about to leave. I might order from you a batch of items Wang Ye. That's great. Brother Zhang, just remember the preciousness of these points is beyond your imagination. Don't simply waste them. Yu Jiangming, thanks. What if one's cultivation level rises above the limitation of the Supreme Order? Won't the points be useless? Perhaps the benefits will be even greater. Jiang Ming was startled. He stopped focusing on the chat. He had learned that the chat room would be his greatest support. Therefore, he no longer had to be too scrupulous while confronting any extreme path experts or even imminent immortal experts in the near future. Jiang Ming took a last look at the Millions Dao chart before he rose to his feet, walking towards where Ye Qingshan and the others were. Remarkable. Luo Hen only blurted a word. You're indeed a genius beyond my perception, Yi Qiu Gingxian exclaimed. However strong you are, there is always someone stronger. The Supreme Pagoda has an unknown number of levels, each of which has many geniuses. Looking further back in time, how many more will there be? I'm merely one of the insignificant ones. Jiang Ming smiled. He then made a pause before continuing profoundly. We're fortunate to be able to come here. Accumulate and improve yourself as much as possible. Yi Qingshan reacted with her eyes gleaming while Lu Hen looked as if he was absorbed in thoughts. Jiang Ming nodded at the other three people. Then he shifted his focus to the Time Heavenly Monument on his left before sitting cross-legged at one side and beginning to self-recover. Junior Sister Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation Name, Jiang Ming Cultivation Base. Level 5 points accumulated, 142 points. Plens 3 Special Ability. Honor, 5 Stages Record, 18 Levels Record, 99 units of Special Abilities. Jiang Ming looked at his information in the Supreme Pagoda after recovering. His accumulated points changed again. The comprehended special abilities had been converted to primary level, with exactly 99 of them. Each special ability was counted in units, and he could earn 1 point for every 8 units. This meant Zhou Langming had earned another 12 points, and the other 3 special abilities were not added into account. Initially, he had 130 points. It might seem that getting points through deducing special abilities was low, but it was not true in reality. The battle stages put combat power to the test, but it got really hard to improve it further when combat power reached a certain level. The same went for climbing up the heavenly ladder. The improvement of one's willpower was extremely slow. However, it was different for special abilities. As long as one continued deducing special abilities, there were bound to be results. It was just a matter of time. Jiang Ming greeted them and went straight toward the Time Heavenly Monument on the left. It was the Sambodha that he had been trying to comprehend but to no avail. Comprehending the Heavenly Monument and the Dao Monument is akin to enlightenment. The respective Sambodha can be felt directly, but the cost isn't cheap. Comprehending a Heavenly Monument costs 1 point for every 2 hours. And as for the Dao Monument, it's 2 points. This was not just pricey, it was extremely expensive. How many points could normal geniuses such as Guang Rui accumulate? Those who got 3 or 4 points were already considered an amazing feat. The Heavenly Monument stood so tall that you would have to be very near to see its contents clearly. As Jiang Ming went near the 100-meter radius of the Heavenly Monument, he could hear a voice reminding him, Jiang Ming, you have stepped into a 100-meter radius from the Heavenly Monument. You may start comprehending. 1 point will be deducted every 2 hours. If you do not choose to stop comprehending, your points will continue to be deducted until there's none left. Jiang Ming paused for a moment and paced a few steps further before coming to a stop. Jiang Ming sat cross-legged and looked up at the Heavenly Monument. The monument seemed very peculiar. There was nothing else other than random scribbles and some vortexes. He could feel the time's power with just a simple glance. He quickly prepared his mind to meld in it. He instantly realized that the vast, never-ending time could be felt upon assimilating into time itself. There were instances of time that slowly formed vortexes, in disorder, and even in a backflow. These were all instances where time flowed in reverse. Yang Ming was astonished. So this is time? In the past, Jiang Ming felt that time was something that could not be seen, touched, or even felt. He felt that time was more mysterious and abstract than space. When a person achieved a certain level of power, they could punch through space but time. However tremendous a person's cultivation was, or even if they were able to destroy the whole world, none could affect time. As time passed by, Jiang Ming's body suddenly shook. A mysterious aura was flowing out of its body. It felt gentle, like the leaves falling down, and soft like the luminescence of sunsets. As he felt time flowing boundlessly through the vast space, Yang Ming finally began stepping into the rudiment stage of the time Samboda. He did not stop there. He was prepared to fully comprehend the time Samboda at one to save time, fusing the time Dao in the near future. From afar, Guangru was speechlessly envious of Jiang Ming, who took over 20 hours for one session of comprehending the heavenly monument. If I had so many points myself, I would have easily comprehended my light Dao up to the law's level. Never mind him. I think we should face reality and fully digest what we've obtained this time around rather than staying here and feeling irritated. If fate allows, we will meet again, said Guang Rui, looking over at Jiang Ming in perplexity. He said his goodbyes before disappearing from the place. Yue Cheng, however, was not discouraged by Jiang Ming at all. I will use him as my goal to catch up to him and overtake him. We are all still in the lower cultivation realm and struggling along in the midst of this mundane world. The future is still far ahead of us, and our fate is indefinite. There are still chances of us surpassing him. You are right. Luo Heng nodded. Oram smiled bitterly as he said his goodbyes. He can no longer compare myself with all of you. Hopefully we can still meet again in the future. Initially, he wanted to stay around. Alas, he could not withstand the continuous blows of self-depreciation, hence he left disheartened. In the end, even Lu Yuan left the place. As everyone was leaving, Ye Qingshan asked, "Aren't you leaving? It's impossible to improve much in such a short time. You traded with Brother Jiang earlier, and it is the best time now for you to head back to reality and earn a fortune from it. It's much easier for you to improve yourself in the real world with that speciality of that world of yours, right? Why don't you leave then?" rebutted Luo Heng. "I will wait for Brother Jiang and try comprehending the heavenly monument myself. I'm sure that I will improve drastically by then and leave a name for myself on the stone monument," said Ye Qingshan enthusiastically, as Luo Heng twitched in disbelief. Ye Qingshan started reading while Luo Heng indulged himself with alcohol, waiting patiently in silence. Yang Ming, who sat in front of the heavenly monument, finally finished up his meditation and walked toward them. Ye Qingshan was the first to bounce up and congratulate Yang Ming for mastering the time Dao. Luo Heng followed after. "Congratulations, Brother Jiang. Back at my place we have a saying that those who mastered time are well respected as though they are kings. I still can't believe that you've now mastered it yourself." "Yes, I've gained quite a bit today," Jiang Ming replied happily. He had gained tremendously from this round of comprehension with the heavenly monument by spending 39 points in just 78 hours. In fact, he not only stepped foot into understanding the time Samboda but also ended up mastering the time Samboda as a whole. Taking just 3 days to master the Dao Samboda fully was truly an imaginable feat. It was without a doubt a combination of his profound comprehension of Dao and also the extraordinary effect from the heavenly monument. Jiang Ming was able to feel an even higher level of time Samboda as he completely mastered the time Samboda. He knew that what he felt then was the time law, a more profound and even more mysterious level than before. Jiang Ming calmed himself down for now, because he understood it was nearly impossible to try stepping into the latter level in such a short time. Although he had accumulated many points, he had yet to master many other Sambodas completely. He needed to start planning wisely. Yiqiu Zhengxian asked, "Brother Jiang, is there any benefit for leaving our names on the stone monuments?" Luo Heng hurriedly clenched his fist in respect, stating that he wanted to ask the same thing himself. It was the reason both of them had stayed behind and waited for Jiang Ming. "Yes, there are benefits to it. Once we leave our names on the stone monument, we will be invited to join the Supreme Chat Room," Jiang Ming answered. He did not hold back, nor was there any need to hide it from them. "A chat room?" Yi Qingshan asked as she frowned in confusion. Luo Heng was surprised and asked, "You mean a place where people can chat around? That kind of chat room?" "We can even trade in the chat room," added Jiang Ming. Luo Heng was suddenly overwhelmed by this piece of news. "A chat room where members can even trade across different worlds? Doesn't that mean there's no longer any restriction among worlds?" "Yes, something like that." Jiang Ming nodded. Yi Qingjian finally understood, and her eyes gleamed. "This means that all of the group members are people who left their names on the stone monument. The creme de la creme among geniuses?" "Right again," Jiang Ming smiled. Upon hearing this shocking piece of news, Luo Heng was brimming with enthusiasm. Never have I imagined there are such benefits hidden in this supreme pagoda. No, I have to work and strive harder. I am Luo Heng, the genius of the universe. I cannot fall behind anyone. Thank you, Brother Jiang, for sharing this. If I manage to join this chat room, I will provide you with as many high-quality energy crystals as you desire. Luo Heng promised as he bowed in respect. Ye Qingshan clenched her fist and thanked Jiang Ming as well. Gathering together is proof of fate. You two were able to understand the whole thing with just a few hints fully. It's a sign. Jiang Ming did not plan to tell the other three about this. They had left and missed their chances. If they knew the existence of such a chat room, they might continue to strive harder, and there would still be a slight chance for them to join. But now it had become almost impossible. Jiang Ming did not go deeper into what the chat room was all about. After chatting briefly, he left for the other heavenly monuments. He continued to comprehend many more heavenly monuments such as reincarnation, decimation, karma, unlimited, blade, and illusions. He only comprehended a glimpse of most Sambodas, for he had a limited amount of points available. He remembered the 7 main Dao monuments, namely the 5 elemental, yin-yang, life and death, light and dark, true illusion, space-time, and chaos. Comprehending these Dao monuments required 2 points for every 2 hours, and the difficulty of comprehending was even harder, especially for the space-time and chaos Dao monuments. Understanding space-time was easier in comparison because the comprehension of spatial Samboda and time Samboda could act as a base for reference. However, the same could not be said for the chaos Dao monument. Even if a person spent points on comprehending it, the level of comprehension for it was still a blur and immensely difficult to even set foot on the rudimentary stage. Jiang Ming went to the Million Dao chart again when he had spent most of his points. He could accumulate points easily, so did spending them. He was prepared to continue deducing special abilities to gain more points. He had a target this time around. He slowly managed to deduce many special abilities, such as the physical offensive special ability, the consciousness defensive special ability, and the mind offensive special ability. As Jiang Ming's aura became stronger and stronger, Lu Heng and Ye Qingshan, who glanced over occasionally, started to get anxious. They could only sigh because the distance between them and Jiang Ming was becoming bigger and bigger. This session of comprehending special abilities is enough for my use, Jiang Ming thought as he finally stood up after a very long time. He had a great feeling of accomplishment but was very tired at the same time. This feeling of exhaustion came from his very spirit. He looked around at the heavenly monument and the Dao monument, finally looking at the battle stage and the heavenly ladder. Jiang Ming shook his head, suppressing his urge to continue pushing onward. Never mind, I should get myself some rest. I'm starting to miss junior sister anyway, Jiang Ming muttered. Brother Luo, sister Ye, I'm going back now. Hopefully we can still see each other in the future. Jiang Ming clenched his fist and said his goodbyes. He didn't want to stay there any longer. He took a look at his own information before leaving. Name Jiang Ming Cultivation Base Levels Points Accumulated. 52 points honor, 5 stages record, 18 levels record, 336 units of special abilities. The current special abilities accumulated, minus the previous 96 types of special abilities accounted, for a total of 30 points. Adding the 22 points that remained previously, it came to a total of 52 points. Next time I'll be back again to break my limits, Jiang Ming thought as he evoked the Supreme Order and returned to reality. Cultivation Method, Grand Path Almighty Method, Sutra Special Ability, Supreme Verdant Emperor Spirit Transformation Technique, Great Manifestation Technique, Great Akasa Formless Sword Chi, etc. 5 Elemental Defense, Yin-Yang Grinding Disc, 9 Divine Mountain Treasures, etc. Slice the Heaven Sword Transformation, Tian Gang Punch, etc. Innate Talent, Immortal Primary Taoist Body, Item Human Path Records, Supreme Order, Mystical Light Sword, Life and Death Disillusionment Formation Disc, Mana Sealing Chessboard, Top Grade Dao Vessel, Dark Abyss Sword, High Grade Dao Vessel, 7,600 Years of Cultivation, 5-minute Extreme Path, Experience Card, Top Grade Enlightening Tea Leaf, 1,000 pieces, Support, Primary Training Zone. For what looked to be a long passing of time in the Supreme Pagoda, only 2 hours had gone by in the real world. Jiang Ming walked out of the room and went up the roof. Gazing at the galaxy far beyond, he took a deep breath. It gave him an indescribable feeling of serenity. Laying back on the rattan chair, he checked his status and noticed there were some changes. The spell column had been removed, while the special ability section had been separated into different types. The rest did not change much. With 7,600 years of cultivation, the mana accumulated in his sea of consciousness had reached its peak. If he consumed them, the benefits would be insignificant, but if left to overflow, the mana would only dissipate away. Currently, what Jiang Ming was comprehending was the Samboda. What he was trying to form was the Dao Seed, and what he was cultivating was his cultivation realm. Although it might seem that there are not many changes to his physique, he had reached the current physical limits. The Grand Path Almighty Method Sutra and physical training were linked together, but even then, cultivating both at the same time still would not be enough to help him break through. His battle prowess, however, had grown immensely. Never would I have guessed that the Great Manifestation Technique would actually be a supreme-grade special ability. This is really a surprise, exclaimed Jiang Ming. He figured that the Great Akasa Formless Sword Chi would be considered to be of supreme grade as well, and the Verdant Emperor Spirit Transformation Technique being a supreme-grade special ability was not surprising either. Suddenly, Jiang Ming saw a figure flying toward him from afar and landed right next to him. It turned out it was Zilong. "Senior brother, let's just squeeze a little," she said as she leaned against Jiang Ming, who was trying to inch over to the other side. "You little girl, why don't you go for a rest?" Yang Ming asked. Zilong remained by his side and fluffed up his shoulder like a pillow, latching on comfortably. The soft night breeze blew comfortably, tickling his face as her hair swayed around. "I've just completed a part of my training and came running over when I saw you were awake," Zilong said happily. Then she asked curiously, "Senior brother, you used to be a deep sleeper and seldomly wake up in the middle of the night. What's wrong?" With a big smile on his face, Jiang Ming replied, "I've also just finished my cultivation and came out for some fresh air. Linglong, do you need any help with your cultivation?" Zilong reached out and clung onto his neck, inching nearer and nearer until half of her body was already bearing down on him. "You've grown so much, and you're still squeezing onto me." Jiang Ming huffed. "Well, I always slept on top of you when we were kids. I'm older now, but that doesn't mean I can't do it anymore. From now on, you are my pillow," Zilong replied with a cheeky smile as she squinted her eyes. Jiang Ming muttered, "You can even kill a primal spirit expert with your strength. If you suddenly get agitated, you might end up flattening me into bits. I won't be able to rest in peace." "Just relax, senior brother. My phoenix bloodline has the ability to reincarnate. Even if you really burst into pieces, I can easily fix you up." Zilong grinned. "Yes, you are all that," Jiang Ming sneered. Zilong continued to snuggle up to him. "Hey, it's really comfortable laying on you, so don't move. I want to take a nap." "Well, I want to take a nap too," Jiang Ming muttered. Zilong lay on top of Jiang Ming and continued teasing one another before falling asleep together. As the sun rose steadily up the eastern sky, the warm sunlight slowly crept its way over, illuminating Mother Earth. The two finally woke up from their deep sleep. "That was a really good sleep." Zilong yawned with her eyes still half open. She did not climb down from Jiang Ming but instead snuggled even closer onto his neck for comfort. "The sun is already up. You are killing me here." Jiang Ming huffed. "Brother, let me sleep just for a bit more. Early mornings are the best time to sleep. Pretty please?" Zilong begged as she refused to come down. Jiang Ming simply flipped over, placing her down before waking up himself. "I'm making breakfast," he said as he jumped off and went off to prepare their breakfast. Zilong continued to snuggle on the rattan chair with the biggest smile on her face. As the sun finally rose, illuminating everyone and everything, Zilong finally got up and saw that Jiang Ming had already prepared a table full of food. "Brother, what's this? It looks murky and sticky," asked Zilong curiously. "This is black pepper soup. Have a taste. Maybe you might like it. If not, then go for those white, soft-looking things on the side." "This is tofu pudding. They are much lighter and refreshing," answered Jiang Ming while dipping his bun into the black pepper sauce, taking a big bite. The crispy bun covered with the gooey black pepper soup tasted heavenly. Zilong looked at the gooey black pepper soup and frowned. She stirred the soup around with her spoon and muttered, "Brother, this soup looks unappetizing. I know there's mutton, yellow flower herbs, purple fungus, and even prawns in them, but it still looks really hard to swallow." Yang Ming could only ask her to give it a try. "Well, you made them for me, so I guess I must give them a try," Zilong murmured as she took a sip hesitantly. "Delicious," Zilong praised as she continued to sip more and more of the black pepper soup. As Jiang Ming smiled in delight, an announcement could suddenly be heard in his mind. "Ding! Congratulations! Master has had a delicious breakfast with junior sister. Reward of 10 days of cultivation is awarded." This made his smile spread. They finished up their breakfast, and just as Jiang Ming was about to sit down after doing the dishes, Zilong had already prepared a pot of tea and was walking toward him. "Come, little girl, sit," said Jiang Ming as he patted the seat next to him. Zilong hugged onto his arms, sat next to him, swinging around and asked, "Brother, what is it?" "I have something for you." Jiang Ming smiled as he flipped over his hands, revealing a piece of red crystal. The crystal was scarlet red and looked somewhat ominous. Even though the crystal was sealed, a threatening aura dispersed out of it, sending chills down one's spine. "This is..." Zilong gasped when she saw the crystal lying in Jiang Ming's palm. Her eyes were staring wide at the scarlet crystal in disbelief. "This looks like the phoenix's blood?" Jiang Ming simply nodded. "This is actually the phoenix's blood essence. The phoenix's will has already been refined and its raging power has been suppressed. Consuming it now is completely safe and should be very beneficial to you. Here you go. Don't ask questions," Jiang Ming said as he handed Zilong the crystal. "Thank you, brother." Linglong thanked Jiang Ming. She had so many queries and confusions on how he had gotten them in the first place but ended up not asking any questions and simply thanked him for it. Jiang Ming followed up with another jade box sealed with 10 herbs. Just by looking at the yin-yang aura lingering around the herbs, one could tell they were exotic items. These are 10 blades of king-grade yin-yang swordgrass. It helps a lot with the cultivation of the yin-yang Dao, Jiang Ming explained as he tossed her the box. Jiang Ming had gotten the items from trading with Feng Wu. The phoenix blood was of the immortal grade, which only cost him 1 point. The same went for the 10 blades of yin-yang swordgrass. In the past, he couldn't give anything to her because he wasn't strong enough and would invite suspicion from others. Another reason was he couldn't find any explanation for how he got them in the first place. Even though Jiang Ming had the supreme order now, he still could not let others know of the item's origins, but at least he felt the reason was good enough. He now had the confidence and the ability to face the world. Of course, he would start to train his junior sister. Jiang Ming called up the human path record and took a look at his relationship with Linglong to see that there were no changes and it remains at 97. Her status, however, stated, "My goodness, how does Brother Jiang own such an immortal grade artifact? Did he stumble upon immortal encounters? That must be it." Seeing her status in the human path record, Jiang Ming smiled as he explained, "I've gotten some lucky immortal encounters, that's all. Don't pry." "Ha! That's where you got them. I knew it. With your vast knowledge and peerless talent, how would you be weaker than anyone?" "Brother Jiang, I think you can continue pretending to be weak and let me handle the problems outside. You can continue your cultivation in the shadows," exclaimed Linglong, who was delighted for Jiang Ming but was still a little perplexed. Jiang Ming noticed that her status had added yet another row. "Brother Jiang had immortal encounters? That's really good news. In the future, with both of us working together, we can kill the 9 heavens." Reading this, Jiang Ming had a weird thought that Linglong was arranging for her to deal with the affairs outside and arranging himself to deal with internal affairs. As Linglong went back to continue her cultivation, Yang Ming walked to the back of the mountain. He pondered long at the 5 acres of planted lands and decided just to destroy all of them, leaving only an acre of farmland. He turned around and entered into the underground void that he had opened up. It was enclosed with a formation evoked from the Life and Death Disillusionment Formation Disc. Jiang Ming knew now that this disc's grade was exceptionally good and actually on par with an immortal grade Dao vessel. The void was huge, and an immortal grade spiritual fountain was standing in the middle of it. It was constantly communicating with the ley line, absorbing the heaven and earth spiritual essence and turning it into an immortal grade spiritual fluid. An immortal grade enlightening tree seed could be seen starting to bud in the middle of the fountain. Pondering for a bit, Jiang Ming suddenly announced, "From now on, this here will be called the Chuyang Cave." He started to evoke spatial energy to widen the land further, reaching a total of 10 acres wide. 4 acres were lands surrounding the spiritual fountain and were recognized by the system as fertile land. Jiang Ming evoked the Life and Death Disillusionment Formation Disc once again, placing a bundle of low-grade energy crystals into it. Upon detecting the low-grade energy crystal, the formation started operating to whittle away at the energy crystal, turning them into gaseous spiritual essence, which intensified the cave's spiritual essence to its limit in an instant. At the same time, waves of patterns started coming out of the formation. Some of them followed the ley lines into the ground while others reached out into the air as if following an invisible network, triggering the power of the orders of heaven and earth. It slowly covered the entire cave, permeating through Chuyang Peak, quietly raising the sect's defense. All of a sudden, the spiritual fountain was suddenly stimulated by the gaseous spiritual essence in the air and started to hum. These gaseous spiritual essences were slowly pulled toward the fountain, condensing and saturating until they eventually turned into top-grade spiritual fluid. "Incredible! This really works!" exclaimed Jiang Ming euphorically as he continued adding 2 more bundles of those low-grade energy crystals into the formation. Jiang Ming thought for a while before deciding to plant more seeds into the land, namely the Ancient Tree of War's seed, Flower Fairy Tree's seed, Scarlet Fruit seed, Phoenix Blood Crystal Rice, and many more. All of these seeds were considered rare elixir seeds, which even the worst among them were of high grade. There was even a chance for these seeds to grow into a king of medicine. It was a shame that he could not plant them as densely like he did before because the seed's grade was so high that it might not even bud when it was planted too near to each other. Jiang Ming quickly finished farming the 4 acres of land and came to realize that there was no reward given by the system this time around. "I destroyed the previous plot of land and reopened this land. Maybe that's why there's no reward this time," speculated Jiang Ming. He reasoned that this might be a way to prevent people from cheating, but he paid no heed. It would be absurd if he could keep destroying and replanting the few acres of land repeatedly and receive rewards for doing so. The spiritual essence has become so saturated, turning into rain clouds and irrigating the whole plot of land. With such great conditions, there's bound to be a bountiful harvest in the future. "I can't wait," exclaimed Jiang Ming. "Everything's all set in place and ready for the next crucial part. Hopefully the Verdant Emperor's spirit transformation technique can effectively help speed up the plant's growth, thought Jiang Ming as he leaped up enthusiastically and sat cross-legged atop the middle of the patch of land. He started to slowly evoke the Verdant Emperor's spirit transformation technique, which caused waves and waves of green aura to appear, radiating through and engulfing the 4 acres of land. The technique was a mysterious special ability. Jiang Ming focused on comprehending the technique even more during his spare time in the Supreme Pagoda. Although it did not cost him much effort, he only managed to comprehend it up to the 2nd level, for this special ability was just too hard to master. The 2nd level of this technique could speed up the growth of spiritual herbs by up to 100-fold. Jiang Ming slowly evoked the special ability, molding mana into pieces of tiny runes. These runes formed waves of lights which then merged into each seed. As the light slowly seeped in, it triggered the seed's growth, expanding it until the bud from the seed's membrane bloomed. The seeds started to absorb all the spiritual essence upon budding wildly and grew rapidly. Whoosh! Numerous whirlpools could be seen forming on top of each seed as the spiritual essence was siphoned as nutrients. It didn't take long before all the small whirlpools caused a storm, devouring the spiritual essence in the entire area in just a glimpse. So this is the Verdant Emperor's spirit transformation technique's weakness, exclaimed Jiang Ming. The cave, initially rich with spiritual essence, was wiped clean in an instant. The seeds ravaged even the enlightening tree's 2 newly nurtured sprouts. The whole thing was just too violent. Jiang Ming quickly realized that in order to speed up the seed's growth by 100-fold, the amount of spiritual essence needed would drastically increase by the thousands or even 10,000s. Jiang Ming evoked the Life and Death Disillusionment Formation Disc to speedily refine the energy crystals, instantly filling up the whole place with spiritual essence once again. However fast Jiang Ming tried refining them into spiritual essence, the seeds devoured them even faster. This phenomenon continued for another 2 hours before coming to an end. This special ability consumed a tremendous amount of spiritual essence in the beginning but started to dwindle down after absorbing to a certain level. Even so, its consumption of spiritual essence was simply terrifying. Luckily, with the Life and Death Disillusionment Formation Disc's ability to absorb the energy from the ley lines, Yang Ming was able to keep up with the seed's speed of absorbing spiritual essence. Yang Ming started to regret his actions and sighed. I'll have to find more top-grade spiritual crystals or even immortal crystals if I want to keep up with this. It was evident that the Verdant Emperor's spirit transformation technique depleted a lot of resources. He might not have been able to keep up with such consumption in the past. If he failed to provide ample spiritual essence, the spiritual herbs might wither out from the technique's backlash. The seed from the ancient tree of war had already budded to more than 10 inches tall. Even the enlightening tea tree's seeds had grown substantially. The growth of some top-grade spiritual herbs' seeds was truly gratifying. Jiang Ming stood high above in the air, admiring his work. Hopefully, when the time comes, I'll get a good harvest from this. Otherwise, this would have been a huge waste, Jiang Ming thought before flying off. Time passed slowly without anyone noticing. The outside world was filled with wars and carnages daily, yet the mountaintop remained as peaceful as always. Gu Hai returned to the mountains occasionally to loiter around, enjoying the peace there. He went around playing chess and drinking wine and sometimes even visited the city by the mountain foot to listen to some music, enjoying himself. Meanwhile, Jiang Ming and Zi Linglong were always busy cultivating in Chuyang Peak. The duo could be seen eating and drinking on their time off and enjoying the serenity too. Jiang Ming was still trying to comprehend the Symbotas, for he wanted to master them quickly to move on to the next step, the fusion of Dao. He would still occasionally cultivate in the Supreme Pagoda but did not visit the Heaven Ladder or the Heavenly Battle stage. He spent his time comprehending the Heavenly Monuments or observing the Dao Monuments. Most of the time, however, he would be seen deducing his techniques at the Million Dao chart. Although he did not improve his cultivation realm, his battle prowess rose drastically. The imprint on the immortal weapon Mysterious Light Sword was completely removed during his time in the Supreme Pagoda. 3 years of such peaceful days passed swiftly. One morning, Zi Linglong finished up her breakfast and washed for Jiang Ming a plate of fruits before continuing her cultivation. Her yin-yang Symbota was almost fully mastered already. Jiang Ming, who was loitering around leisurely in Chuyang Peak, suddenly sensed something different. He quickly dived into the Supreme Order to open the chat room and quickly realized that a new member had joined their chat room. The quiet, gloomy chat room suddenly became active again. Shangercher Ifra Karen quickly Ishram Olbun, welcome to our new friend here, Ye Cheng Shen. Cheng Shen, such a nice name. I can tell that you must be a lady for sure by your name. An exquisite lady radiating with temperament. Sister Yi, send us a photo of yourself and let us know more about you. Fix Wong. That was personal. One thief. Bishop Brody Chans. Seems something is going on here. You should just say this here is an affair. You stupid guy. You just freed yourself from getting killed and now you are trying to get yourself into trouble again. One day you might offend some powerful being and they will put you out of your misery. We are all God's destined children. What are we even afraid of? Enough squabbling, you two. Group admin, I went through Yue Cheng's information and it seems her cultivation base is level 5. I guess you two acquainted each other in the Supreme Pagoda. Yes, her talent is peerless and she's not any weaker than us here. Those who managed to reach this chat room are surely not weak. Now that we have a new member joining us, I think it's time I take my leave. Meeting each other here is fate after all. So if anyone here needs any help, speak up now and I'll see what I can do.
If Brother Wang is going to break through soon, I guess I can't wait any longer myself.
Fate brought us together and I hope we can still meet each other in the future. Group admin, do you still need anything? I do need something actually. I'll DM you. I'm sure we will meet again in the higher tier Supreme chat rooms in the future. Great. See you all again then. Also, group admin, when you join the higher tier, you can definitely be an admin again.
Even Brother Zhang's talent, I think it's really possible.
Yi Qingxian joining the chat room sparked many conversations, and some even started trading among them. In the Supreme Pagoda, Ye Qingxian was standing at the heavenly ladder and had just stepped foot onto the 10th level. Although she failed at the 11th level, it still gave her the opportunity to join the chat room. It was through joining the chat room she came to realize that those in the group there should be called the real peerless geniuses from the infinite worlds. Yi Qingxian went through a few of the members' information and saw there were many peerless bloodlines such as the Divine Being, Phoenix, and even dragons. To think that Jiang Ming was able to become the chat room's group admin, that was truly incredible, Yi Qingxian thought. This is really an unbelievable chance for me, Yi Qingxian gasped. What really made her euphoric was that she could even trade among worlds through this chat room. Jiang Ming was able to get a 5 stages record, 18 levels record, and even managed to become the group admin on his first try upon entering the Supreme Pagoda. If they knew of his achievement, how shocked would they be? Jiang Ming, you are truly remarkable, exclaimed Ye Qingxian. The more she understood him, the more she realized how terrifying Jiang Ming's potential was. As conceited as she was, she couldn't help herself from marveling at Jiang Ming. On top of Chuyang Peak, Jiang Ming smiled as he received a message from Ye Qingxian thanking him. He then messaged Feng Wu and Wang Ye privately and traded some things. A group even superior to the Supreme chat room? Are these the true immortal beings? Jiang Ming pondered as Gu Hai suddenly flew back and landed next to him. Gu Hai lifted the teapot nonchalantly and drank the whole thing in a sip. Like that, and you've just wasted such a good tea. Jiang Ming laughed. I'm satisfied and that's what matters, Gu Hai replied as he sat right next to Jiang Ming. He then sneered jokingly, little brat, you really don't show this old-timer his due respect. I've come back and you don't even stand up to greet me anymore. What if you try making your grand appearance again? I'll stand up and welcome you this time. Master, do you need anything? Jiang Ming chuckled in reply. You are looking for a beating young man. I'm the first seat for crying out loud. Can I come back to my own turf as I wish? Gu Hai sneered while Jiang Ming continued just to chuckle. Why do I feel like beating you up? As Gu Hai started to get worked up, Zi Linglong suddenly flew down and joined them. Gu Hai's face instantly lit up when he saw her. Little girl, you've grown so much. Master, I'm 18 now. Zi Linglong smiled as she sat next to her master. Do you have anything to tell us this time, master? Gu Hai's face slowly turned solemn, and he explained, yes, I do. It's been 1,000 years now, and the immortal treasure of Lei Province has finally opened again. Only those below the nascent soul realm can enter. There will be not only trials or inheritance but also great chances of blessings. Chances of dying are slim, and most who enter the immortal treasure are bound to benefit from it. Legend has it that if a person manages to pass the last trial, he or she will even obtain the core inheritance of the immortal treasure. Gu Hai paused and looked at her asking, Linglong, do you want to go? Lei Province's immortal treasure? Zi Linglong exclaimed before asking her master for more details of the place. Gu Hai nodded in agreement and started to explain more as Jiang Ming listened attentively. Tens of thousands of years ago there lived a peerless warrior who many called him as God of Thunder. His cultivation reached an extraordinary level, and he left his inheritance behind for others before starting his journey toward immortality. However, he also put a restriction on his inheritance, and those who have exceeded the nascent soul realm will be slaughtered if they try entering his place of inheritance. Those who are below the nascent soul realm, however, will not be met with much danger. There was a time when many powerful warriors tried to force themselves into this God of Thunder's inheritance and were killed mercilessly. Because of that, the place slowly became a forbidden area. The immortal treasure was set to open once in every 1,000 years, and there will surely be a lucky person who will be met with great fate and rise among others. This is now the 9th time the immortal treasure opens up. I want to go for a try. Senior brother, may I? Linglong answered as she looked over at Jiang Ming, asking for approval. Jiang Ming smiled. If you want to go, just go. I will be there to protect you along the way. You can go anywhere you wish under this vast world. Keep bragging, you are only a core formation brat. I can easily kill you with just one finger. How do you plan on protecting Linglong along the way? Gu Hai huffed. Zi Linglong only smiled but kept her silence. Yang Ming scratched his head. He had the urge to try pulling off a strand of his hair and see if he could overwhelm Gu Hai with it. Well, just go and try. With your cultivation coupled with you obtaining some lucky encounters in the past, I don't think the sect can give you much help. Gu Hai sighed reluctantly before he continued to advise, the sect master will always be monitoring the whole thing as it progresses. If you meet any troubles, just wave around our flags and scream for help. Using our sect's name seems more imposing. I think that's all you can do anyway. Master, that is more than enough. Jiang Ming smiled in reply. How is that even enough, you brat? Gu Hai huffed again. It's best if nothing bad happens. But if something happens, it will make your master and our sect seem useless. I'll go discuss with the sect master and see if I can get more information on this immortal treasure. He sighed before flying off. The wind blew strong over the vast land. Waving his hand, Jiang Ming evoked a formation, isolating him and Zi Linglong from the surrounding area. A few items suddenly appeared in front of them with a simple thought. Their appearance instantly caused the sunlight to turn foggy as rays of light started diverging from them, radiating a powerful aura that filled up the top of Quyang Peak. Zi Linglong gasped in shock at the items and asked, "What are these, senior brother?" Golden Phoenix shoes, Golden Phoenix feather, Golden Phoenix suit, Golden Phoenix crown, Golden Phoenix belt, Golden Phoenix sword, and Golden Phoenix fan. Jiang Ming named each of the equipment and pushed them over to Zi Linglong. He then added, "This here is a full set of top-grade Dao vessels. They will fit perfectly with your Phoenix bloodline. If you manage to refine the set of equipment, coupled with your peerless battle prowess, you can even fend off against parody experts." Zi Linglong was moved by Jiang Ming's gift and sniffed while her eyes started to water. "Senior brother, you prepared this set just for me? I only have you as my junior sister. Who else would I prepare these for?" Jiang Ming replied. "You're the best, senior brother. Did you have to pay a lot for them? I think maybe you should just return them," Zi Linglong said because she was worried for him. Jiang Ming chuckled. "Haha, it's fine. Don't worry. Wait till you get to the Paradise realm. I'll get you a full set of immortal weapons." Hearing that Jiang Ming would even give her a set of immortal weapons, Zi Linglong leaped into his arms and said, "Senior brother, I'm starting to think that you might be a reincarnated immortal." Half a month went by and Zi Linglong finally left. Jiang Ming called up the human path record and was occasionally looking for any changes in her status. He discovered that his relationship with Zi Linglong had increased another point, reaching 98 points in total, which seemed to be the maximum already. He flipped the pages out of boredom and stumbled upon the status of Yue Cheng, the first seat of Zhiyang Peak. As he looked through his status, he looked shocked at first, but deep inside of him, his urge to kill was bubbling. This guy, is he finally making his moves? I've been waiting for ages for this. Old Yue, I'd really hate to kill you, muttered Jiang Ming. Year 9998 of the Zhou calendar. Name Yue Cheng, race human, gender male, cultivation base Dao Seed Realm, background first seat of Zhiyang Peak. Note, he's actually an elder of the Yinmo Sect. Relationship -9, talent 7 stars, status just received news that the God of Thunders Immortal Treasure opens in 1 month's time. It's time to launch their attack onto the Jiuyang Sect and take over the place. He is to be prepared to launch an attack from the inside and take down the sect in a sweep to avoid any unforeseen accidents. He was confused why they kept on targeting the Jiuyang Sect, a second-tier sect. If they want to take over the Jiuyang Sect, won't it be a piece of cake if they just send a parody expert to take it over? Are they worried that any big commotion will bring them to the Qingyun Sect's attention? Is there really a big secret hidden by the Jiuyang Sect? That last phrase of the status was first seat Yue Cheng's doubt and something Jiang Ming couldn't make of. The Yinmo Sect started laying out their plans very early on. They placed someone undercover who climbed up to the first seat's position and tried to secretly take over Jiuyang Sect, only to end up being decimated by the Qingyun Sect. Now, it's been only a couple of years and they are planning to do this yet again. It seemed very abnormal to Jiang Ming. On a hunch, Jiang Ming flipped open the human path record over to the page of the Qingyun Sect's supreme elder Yang Feng. Yang Fen, also known as King Fengzi, extreme path realm status. The opening of the God of Thunder's immortal treasure will surely attract all the young geniuses to try their luck. The Yinmo Sect and Red Mountain Palace will surely take this chance to strike. Keeping my Qingyun Sect's expert at bay, these two forces will launch their attack on the other sects as well, taking over the domains and clearing out any hindrance. The timing is just right. We will take this chance to clean up Eastern region and secretly kill off a few of those sects and families who dare to defy our Qingyun Sect, especially these two. Still thinking of becoming a sacred land? Keep dreaming. The trap is set, and when they launch their attack, I will be able to sweep them up in one go. As Jiang Ming read through the status, a chill went down his spine as he realized that they were all cunning old men. The Qingyun Sect knew about the collaboration between the Yinmo Sect and Red Mountain Palace but acted as if they didn't have a clue and continued just naturally to fend off these demons as they emerged. Yet, in reality, a big trap was already in place for them. There must be a Qingyun spy among the higher-ups of the Yinmo Sect, thought Jiang Ming confidently. How could the Yinmo Sect be so useless preparing their scheme for such a long time? Jiang Ming was in disbelief. If the Yinmo Sect knew what was happening in the Qingyun Sect, it would have been a heck of a show. Everything would be evident in a month's time. Why do you have to challenge my Jiuyang Sect? You're just forcing me to go on a killing spree, aren't you? Muttered Jiang Ming, annoyed. He really wanted to live a peaceful life where he could just cultivate in the shadows and slowly grow strong. Once the time was right, he could then kill every single one of those who plotted against him. This would have been perfect for him. Unfortunately, he had no choice, as some people were just rushing to their death. Yang Ming went back to his underground cave. There had been a huge change compared to how it looked initially, especially the spiritual fountain right in the middle of the whole cave. Inside the spiritual fountain, a 3-meter-tall enlightening tea tree could be seen with 3,000 young sprouts. Boundless fluctuation could be seen streaming along its surface, yet there was still a long time to go before these sprouts could be harvested. Furthermore, the ancient tree of war could be seen growing up to 10 meters tall with its lush green leaves. Truly a sight to behold. Yang Ming could even sense a small and weak spirit slowly emerging from the tree. Once the spirit developed fully, it would grow to become a real tree being. A myriad of spiritual herbs had grown substantially, and many of them were already mature and ready to be harvested. Jiang Ming did not give them much thought and looked around his cave. The cave had truly turned into a cavern, being thousands of meters high with its land reaching tens of thousands of meters wide. Jiang Ming had been continuously opening more lands with his spatial ability, and its dense spiritual essence had turned into fog, permeating into every inch of its space for the longest of time. The spiritual essence had accumulated so much that a spiritual essence stream was slowly formed. After surveying the area, Jiang Ming sat cross-legged on one of the clouds and was prepared for his breakthrough. Deep in his consciousness, many of his Dao seeds had reached their limit, causing their mana to overflow. Jiang Ming was now in a state where all his Dao seeds were at their pinnacle, a maximum that had never been achieved. His next step was to start and nurture them into a nascent soul. There can only be one nascent soul, but Jiang Ming had numerous types of Dao in him. If they could not be fused together, he had no choice but to cut off the extra Dao seeds, leaving only one to his use. All Dao seeds are perfectly mastered and what's left is to fuse them, muttered Jiang Ming as he closed his eyes to focus. He had gotten a lot of rewards, had been drinking the enlightening tea daily, and would even go to cultivate inside the Supreme Tower occasionally in the past 3 years. He had long accumulated the Dao seeds to a level no one had ever tried to. Had he not had a wild ambition in his heart, he could have easily reached the nascent soul realm, primal spirit realm, or even the paradise realm. System, seal my body changes within, commanded Jiang Ming as the system slowly permeated around him. He evoked the Grand Path Almighty Method Sutra and formed endless surges of waves in his consciousness that had already reached a radius of 10,000 kilometers. Even if Jiang Ming tried to continue expanding his consciousness, a 10,000-kilometer consciousness was already the true limit, and it would not expand any further. As waves of enormous mana surged, the Dao seeds started illuminating one after another. Each luminance represented one type of Dao, and trying to fuse them into one was not an easy feat. Using my consciousness as a furnace, fusing every Dao and merging all into a single Dao, thought Jiang Ming as he evoked his technique to its limits. Loud rumbling sounds could be heard from his consciousness as a destructive storm of power that could shatter the heavens and earth was formed. Countless types of Dao could be seen, such as the 5 elemental, yin-yang, space-time, life and death, light and dark, true illusion, reincarnation, karma Dao seeds, and many more. Jiang Ming used the 5 elements as a base, yin-yang as a frame, space-time as support, filling up with light and dark, running through life and death, containment of true illusion, absorbing reincarnation, and entanglement of karma to start the fusion process. As the Grand Path Almighty Method Sutra was evoked, countless waves of Dao fluctuations started radiating. This technique could contain up to 10,000 spells, and as it was continuously evoked, it felt as if a grand path of energy was boosting the process, forcing the different types of Dao seeds to fuse into one. As Jiang Ming continued trying to fuse the Dao seeds, he felt as if there was a strong, invincibly repulsive force stopping them from merging. It was a feeling as though what he was trying to perform was a taboo that the great Dao would not tolerate. In the end, nothing could stop the inevitable. Deep within his consciousness, a deafening explosion suddenly echoed from Jiang Ming's soul. As the countless Dao seeds completely fused, radiating a terrifying force that engulfed every inch of mana from his consciousness. No one knew if the Chaos Dao ever descended the human realm throughout the ages, but if it did, it was sure to be a forbidden Dao. It's still not enough, Jiang Ming muttered. He was shocked because the moment all the Dao seeds successfully merged, they completely consumed every drop of mana from his consciousness. The fusion was a success, but it did not mean he had successfully formed the Chaos Dao seed. System infused 600 years of mana, commanded Jiang Ming. He understood what would happen if he could not form a new Dao seed and was prepared for it. The system started to infuse a ball of mana right into his consciousness, right onto the fused Dao seed. The Dao seed instantly sucked dry every ounce of mana that was poured in, but it still seemed to be inadequate. That wasn't enough? System infused 2,000 years of mana, commanded Jiang Ming. He was adamant and instantly added an even bigger burst of mana than before. With an accumulation of 7,600 years of mana, Yang Ming was not afraid to expend even more. Loud buzzing noises could be heard constantly. His consciousness trembled uncontrollably as the newly fused Dao seed acted as if it was a black hole, rapidly engulfing the mana it was given. Just when the 2,000 years of mana were almost depleted, the Dao seed suddenly stopped absorbing. Illuminating rays of light could be seen glaring in his consciousness. The blinding light gave off a feeling of the most primitive Dao, a flare from the primitive era, and with that, a brand new Dao seed emerged. This round, dusk-looking Dao seed seemed to be extremely heavy, hidden in it a mysterious chaotic power. Yet, it was such a weird-looking Dao seed that was beaming such illuminating rays of light. The light continued to illuminate as Jiang Ming's consciousness continuously rumbled. Even so, he realized that his consciousness did not expand at all. On the other hand, the space within his consciousness had been strengthened by more than tenfold. The fetal membrane had undergone drastic transformations, where densely packed veins started to appear on its surface. 3,000 of these veins were imprinted onto the membrane, and each of these veins signified a type of great Dao. Jiang Ming felt the membrane of his consciousness had been terrifyingly strengthened to more than 100-fold. He could already fend off against mind attacks from a parity expert in the past. Now that he had grown even stronger, how would he fare against them? It was truly unimaginable, but the transformation did not stop there. The illuminating light seeped through his consciousness, shining onto every part of his bone, vein, muscle, organs, membrane, skin, and even strands of hair. Every inch of his body was bathed in luminance. At that moment, Jiang Ming's physical body started to change little by little, and he started to feel an excessive feeling of hunger coming from his stomach. As he tried to guide the mana into his physical body, the energy snowballed and was directly infused into his body like it was a sponge or a dessert hungrily devouring for more mana. He continued to evoke the Grand Path Almighty Method Sutra as his body rapidly underwent evolution. This transcending metamorphosis that he was going through was helping him to revamp his core drastically. It took 3,000 years of mana before his metamorphosis finally ended. After a long moment of silence, Yang Ming finally opened his eyes, smiling a little before bursting out in euphoria. Ha ha ha! I finally formed the strongest Dao foundation of all. My Dao has been forged. His physical body was so unimaginably strong that as he gripped his first, the space itself started to ripple. Even if I don't use any of my special abilities, I can now kill a primal spirit expert with only a single punch. No, not any primal spirit expert, but the pinnacle of the primal spirit realm itself, exclaimed Jiang Ming. It wasn't arrogance that he was showing, but sheer confidence, an appalling amount of confidence. Never did it come over his mind that fusing different Daos and forming the Chaos Dao Seed would improve him by leaps and bounds. He was still considered to be a Dao Seed realm based on his cultivation realm, but his battle prowess had reached an unimaginable level. What I need to do now is to visit the Supreme Tower to continue pushing on for the Chaos Seed Dao's growth. I will settle down a little and fully assimilate my cultivation to reach the Dao's peak. That will be the time that I break through into the nascent soul realm. Once I step foot into the nascent soul realm, I can advance straight into the primal spirit realm without much accumulation, thought Jiang Ming. He realized he had only 2,000 years of mana left, and it was not enough. He wondered how bountiful it would be if he went to harvest from his farm. After thinking briefly, he noticed that only half a month had passed since the beginning of his transformation. Jiang Ming fully adapted to the changes and never felt any problem with his body, even though he had just had his breakthrough with his powers increasing exponentially. He leaped up and paced along into his spiritual farm.